just for marrying a man, she had to give her 36F made to this worthless man to serve as bed. It should be known that she was a female general who didn't lose out to men, commanding 1,000,000 soldiers under her command and also a beauty coveted by countless men in the world. It turns out the man was a time traveler. In this world akin to ancient times, he could brew rainbow silk that amazed everyone. Even his eyes were like X-rays, able to clearly discern the structure of the human body and perform miraculous life-saving surgeries that drove many insane. This was possible because in his previous life, he was a highly skilled doctor, but he was an ugly man, so hideous that he was denied even the right to reproduce. Even passing dogs would curse at him, not to mention girls. However, originally he was a super handsome guy. Due to a failed experiment, sulfuric acid splashed on his face, turning him into a frightful, ugly monster. But the man didn't take revenge on society. Instead, he went to the war-torn battlefield, using his medical skills to benefit and treat the soldiers. He did this for 20 years. Unexpectedly, a missile strike made him the most shining light on the battlefield. When he woke up again, he had traveled into the body of a man named Shen Lang. In this life, he regained his handsome and dashing appearance, but his fate in this life seemed no better than the last. In his original memories, he found out that he was in a place called Mythical Turtle City in a country named Yu. Everyone thought he was an idiotic waste. After 10 years of study, he couldn't recognize a single word. Yet, such a man, after just one meeting with the daughter of the Su family, turned into her devoted admirer. When the daughter of the Su family became ill and needed a husband to change her luck, he volunteered without hesitation, but he was despised, beaten, and humiliated by the maidservants of the Su family. Fortunately, the young lady of the Su family recovered and stood up for him. He became increasingly obsessed with Su Qianqian. Although they were not husband and wife in reality, it wasn't until half a month later, when he suddenly fell ill with a strange disease that couldn't be cured, that he took over the body of his original self. Just when Shen Lang thought he could lead a leisurely life thereafter, he heard footsteps outside. He went to listen and heard two maidservants discussing him. He had been poisoned by a steward half a month ago, and now they came to see if he was dead yet. Unexpectedly, as soon as the door opened, they saw Shen Lang up close. The two maidservants were terrified, leaving behind a remark, "Shen Lang, he's actually alive?" Then they hastily fled. Shen Lang was momentarily stunned. Poison, this is different from my memory. Before he could ponder further, Shen Lang realized something in his mind. The next moment, his consciousness arrived in the depths of his mind, where he saw a laptop containing several terabytes of data from his previous life. Not only that, Shen Lang also discovered that his eyes had changed. When looking at objects, he could see through them. Shen Lang understood this was an X-ray machine which had fused with him during the time travel along with that missile. Moreover, Shen Lang found out that he could integrate the computer and X-ray vision. When looking at objects, he could accurately identify what they were. At that moment, someone came. What caught Shen Lang's eye was the phrase 36D. The person was Shen Lang's wife, Su Qianqian. She was extremely concerned about Shen Lang. Hearing from the maid that Shen Lang had awakened, she immediately called for a doctor. After the doctor examined Shen Lang, he looked shocked and said, "Shen Lang is perfectly fine." This suddenly made Su Qianqian's face twist in fury, and she blurted out, "How is that possible?" Then she quickly calmed down, trying to shed tears and expressing her deep concern for Shen Lang. Little did she know, Shen Lang was no longer the fool he used to be. He could see through Su Qianqian's facade, realizing that there must be something wrong with her. As for the memories of his original self, they were probably beautified by him. In the following conversation, Shen Lang sensed Su Qianqian's intention to get rid of him. Su Qianqian suddenly realized, how can an idiot understand these hints? Just at that moment, the door was kicked open and a man walked in. Without any courtesy, he said, "Stop going around in circles with an idiot." Saying so, the man approached Su Qianqian and kissed her, then pointed at Shen Lang, indicating, "Su Qianqian is now my fiancée. You better leave." Shen Lang felt numb in his heart. Was he being cuckolded? Initially, it was just because Su Qianqian was seriously ill, and they needed an idiot to bring good luck. Now, it seemed like she was used and then discarded. It must be said, Su Qianqian's act of a gentle and graceful lady was spot on. Just like now, she actually wanted to kill him, found she couldn't, and then wanted to drive him away. Yet on the surface, she pretended to be all innocent and caring. The death of his original self made Shen Lang realize he couldn't stay in the Su family any longer. Who knows if these two would plot against him again? So, Shen Lang readily agreed to leave. The man, Zhang Ji, hearing this, pulled Su Qianqian away, leaving Shen Lang just 1 hour to leave. Watching them go, Shen Lang didn't feel the slightest bit of loss. Instead, he was quite happy. With this handsome face, finding another wealthy woman should be easy, he thought. However, at that moment, Shen Lang suddenly overheard Zhang Ji and Su Qianqian's conversation. They were discussing the Zhou family proposing marriage to Jean Mulan of the mythical Turtle Earl's mansion, a move that could overshadow their own wedding's hype. Hearing this, Shen Lang immediately had a new target for his gold-digging, Jean Mulan. As for the Su family, let them wait for his triumphant return. But the reality was that he was driven out and his marriage with Su Qianqian was annulled. They even slandered him for stealing from the mansion and being decent with the maidservants, cleanly removing any scandal of Su Chanshan breaking off their marriage. Shenlang didn't care. He decided to first go back home. Meanwhile, in the Su family, Su Chanshan was still worried about her reputation, but the family head had no choice but to do this to keep Zhang Ji happy. Su Chanshan understood the gravity of the situation and didn't say much. On his way home at night, Shenlang was suddenly stopped by some strong men. Knowing he couldn't resist, Shenlang let them take him away. What he didn't expect was the Su family's ruthlessness. They actually wanted to bury him alive. The leader, known as a notorious underworld boss within 100 miles with hundreds of blood cases on his hands, instructed someone to light incense for Shenlang. Shenlang, using his X-ray vision, discovered a silver needle inserted in the boss's body. The boss, Tianheng, noticed Shenlang's odd gaze, removed the cloth from his mouth, and asked what he was looking at. Shenlang straightforwardly revealed the presence of the needle in Tianheng's body, warning that it posed a life-threatening risk. The crowd exchanged glances, and Tianheng himself was stunned. Even his wife was unaware of this. Shenlang also expressed his ability to remove the needle. Tianheng, in turn, guessed Shenlang's conditions, his life spared, and the revelation of who wanted him killed. Surprisingly, Tianheng scoffed and outright refused. This left Shenlang bewildered. Did Tianheng not wish to live, or had he willingly been implanted with the needle? Tianheng then revealed that it wasn't about others using him to kill, but about Shenlang's brother borrowing money from him. What started as a loan of 5 gold coins had ballooned to 100 due to compounded interest. Unable to repay, this was why Shenlang was to be buried alive. This revelation reminded Shenlang of an incident 2 months ago when he had just married into the Su family. His father had come to take him back, disagreeing with the marriage, but was violently driven away by the Su family's guards. Shenlang cursed internally. The original Shenlang had abandoned even his parents for Su Chanshan. He then overheard Tianheng ordering not only his burial, but also that of his parents. As for Tianheng, he decided to make it quick for Shenlang. Just as he was about to end Shenlang's life with a swift stroke, Shenlang shouted out, promising to repay 1,000 gold coins, 10 times the debt. The blade paused at his neck. Shenlang asked for 10 days to repay the 1,000 gold coins. The bandits looked at each other and then at their boss, Tianheng, who only gave Shenlang 3 days. This made Shenlang realize that the Su family had given Tianheng a 3-day deadline to kill him. He didn't believe a word of Tianheng's previous story. Nevertheless, Shenlang agreed, and Tianheng had someone draft a written agreement for Shenlang. Shenlang gestured that it wasn't necessary and tore off a piece of his clothing. He pricked his finger and wrote the agreement directly with his blood. Tianheng, watching this, felt it was a bit absurd. Was this decisive and efficient Shenlang really the same person known for being an intellectual waste? After issuing a warning, Tianheng sent 2 men to accompany Shenlang home. On the way back, Shenlang quickly thought of a way to earn the 1,000 gold coins. Soon after arriving home, Shenlang's father, gravely ill, still thought of going to the Su family to bring Shenlang back, fearing Shenlang might be mistreated there. Shenlang's mother felt the same, and his brother, despite having his legs broken, was determined to bring Shenlang back home. Shenlang heard all this and immediately opened the door, kneeling down and giving a deep bow to his family. Upon seeing Shenlang, his family was overjoyed. Shenlang softly said he was back and then apologized to his mother and father one by one. His mother, happy, embraced Shenlang, indicating that everything was fine. They noticed something different about Shenlang. His eyes seemed clearer and more spirited. His brother guessed that Shenlang had been driven out by the Su family, which his mother actually considered a good thing, as she could now arrange another marriage for him, like with the widow Lu from the village. Shenlang, speechless, chuckled and began to treat his father's illness. He used his X-ray vision to assess the condition, finding his father's ribs broken in several places and severe hemorrhaging in the lungs. With his decades of medical experience from his past life, Shenlang immediately had a solution, like draining the blood from the lungs first. After implementing a series of treatments, his father would soon recover. Then Shenlang turned his attention to his brother's broken leg. Relieved to see the fracture was relatively clean, he heard his brother suggest pretending to be injured in accidents for compensation, making Shenlang facepalm in frustration. He flicked his brother's leg, admonishing him to avoid such crooked ideas, reassuring that he could treat the broken leg. The next day, Shenlang spent the entire day gathering enough medicinal herbs. Upon returning home, he set up a simple operating table and began treating his father. Relying on his exquisite medical skills, Shenlang successfully operated on his father. This operation astonished Shenlang's mother, making them regard him as extraordinary. With such medical skills, it seemed likely he could even marry the village chief's daughter. Shenlang had seen the chief's daughter before and was frightened by the idea, hastily saying he needed some fresh air. Outside, Shenlang was reminded that he only had 2 days left and not to forget, otherwise his entire family would suffer. Distraught, Shenlang lost his desire to relax. Just as he entered the house, his mother brought him a basin of water to wash his feet. Shenlang wanted to refuse, but his mother looked like she would cry, so he reluctantly agreed, feeling the love of his family. The next day, Shenlang's door was knocked by 13 and 14, urging him to hurry and make money as time was running out. They pretended to be his friends so as not to worry Shenlang's mother. On their way to mythical Turtle City, they unexpectedly encountered two men. 13 seemed to know them and led them to a bush. Soon after, 13 returned alone, revealing that the two men had been killed by him for failing to repay their debts. Shenlang was shocked to learn that their debt had started at just 3 gold coins, but ballooned to 25 due to interest. One of them had even been friends with 13's father for over a decade. 13 warned Shenlang that he would not show mercy and doubted Shenlang could earn 1,000 gold coins. After all, 1,000 gold coins were equivalent to the savings of hundreds of households for several decades. Shenlang, however, confidently stated that he would earn the 1,000 gold coins today. Soon, Shenlang and his companion arrived at the busiest commercial street in mythical Turtle City and stopped in front of a loft building. In front of the building was a sign reading Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion. Shenlang's plan to make money, which also entailed exacting revenge on the Su family, began here. After all, the Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion was also in the silk business and a competitor of the Lin family. Shenlang immediately asked the waiter who greeted him to call out the owner, promising a business deal that could potentially earn them an additional 5,000 gold coins a year. The waiter, initially skeptical and almost mocking, was compelled to invite them in when 13 stepped forward. Inside the hall, the head of the group was Manhwa, the owner of the Brocade and Embroidery Pavilion. Shenlang got straight to the point, indicating he had a unique secret formula to sell for 2,000 gold coins. Upon hearing the price, Manhwa was dismissive and ordered his servants to show the guests out. 13, too, became furious at the mention of 2,000 gold coins, suspecting they were being made fun of. However, at this moment, Shenlang produced a piece of golden fabric, prompting Manhwa to take a closer look. Manhwa was shocked upon examining it. Gold silk was an exclusive material for royalty, and the Su family had made their fortune with it. However, the color of the gold silk from the Su family paled in comparison to what Shenlang had. The gold silk in Shenlang's possession was merely a byproduct of his medicinal brewing, casually dyed by him. Shenlang announced that he could produce even better quality within 2 hours if provided with the right dyes, and he was firm on the price of 2,000 gold coins. 13 was amazed, realizing that Shenlang could indeed exact revenge on the Su family while earning a substantial amount of money. 2 hours later, Shenlang emerged from the brewing room with a radiant piece of gold silk. Manhwa, the family head of the Lin household, was truly astonished and immediately prepared a box of gold coins, eagerly inquiring about the formula Shenlang used. Shenlang gave the formula to Manhwa, the head of the Lin family. To verify its authenticity, Shenlang demonstrated the process, dyeing the fabric golden. As he was about to leave, a loud shout interrupted him. The head of the Su family stormed in, accusing Shenlang of stealing their secret formula. Shenlang was stunned and immediately looked at Manhwa, who did not deny the accusation but simply mentioned that his son was studying at a military academy. Shenlang's expression darkened. He realized that this was a plot to betray him in exchange for getting Manhwa's son a backdoor entry into the academy, especially since Su Qianqian's fiancé, Zhang Ji, was an officer in the Ministry of War. As the Su family head accused Shenlang with red eyes, Su Qianqian tearfully expressed her disappointment in him, questioning why he didn't just ask her for money if he needed it. They played the victims, and the Su family even reported the matter to the authorities. However, Shenlang was not the least bit perturbed. He laughed at the accusation, challenging the Su family head to provide evidence of his supposed theft. Since the Su family head had no proof and only resorted to insults, "You, Shenlang, are just a worthless person with no skills or knowledge. How could you possibly come up with a dye formula?" Shenlang proposed a challenge to see who could produce a more perfect golden silk. He also raised the stakes by including purple silk, which was extremely rare due to the difficulty of extracting the necessary dyes. In response to Shenlang's challenge, the Su family agreed. They decided that if Shenlang could produce a color better than theirs, they would have no further objections. The contest would be overseen by a government official as a witness. Shenlang then started his work, aiming to create something beyond the era's understanding. After 3 hours, the Su family showcased their purple silk, eliciting amazement from the spectators. At this moment, Su Qianqian instructed a servant to show the golden silk formula to the official. After examining it, the official concluded that the document had existed for many years, thereby affirming the accusation of Shenlang's theft of the formula. Just as they were about to apprehend Shenlang, he stepped out, looked at the Su family's purple silk, and then presented his own. The color of Shenlang's silk astonished everyone present. Unlike the dull and lackluster purple silk of the Su family, Shenlang's silk was vibrant and dazzling, with a purity of color that was unmatched. He challenged them, asking if this was also stolen from their formula, which left Su Qianqian and her family unstable. Shenlang then pulled out his trump card, a multicolored rainbow silk. The official quickly approached Shenlang and examined the rainbow silk, expressing amazement at its natural and extraordinary colors. The Su family head was speechless at this point, and Shenlang immediately demanded justice from the official. The Su family head, having no face to stay, dismissed the accusation and left. Su Qianqian, suppressing her anger, apologized to Shenlang before also leaving. Shenlang's confidence in challenging the Su family was partly because the young chief clerk present had a grudge against Zhang Ji. 3 years prior, the chief clerk, who had once taught Shenlang, at that time, Jin Mulan led a group for hunting, and they arrived at the back mountain of Shenlang's original home. Their prey, a black bear, got frightened, and its escape route coincidentally crossed paths with Shenlang. Jin Mulan saved Shenlang's life, killing the black bear, and brought the injured Shenlang back home. The chief clerk's actions were motivated by his affection for Jin Mulan, hoping to win her favor by teaching Shenlang, who was associated with her. During the teaching period, he noticed Shenlang's antagonism with Zhang Ji. The chief clerk remembered Shenlang but wasn't particularly close to him and initially ignored him. Realizing this, Shenlang understood that being the chief clerk's romantic rival would be effortless. Shenlang's plan was proceeding smoothly, and he was poised to rise above all others. After leaving the brocade and embroidery pavilion, he encountered Su Chanqian. She appeared sorrowful and apologized to Shenlang, subtly attempting to persuade him to hand over the rainbow silk formula. Shenlang, however, ignored her, refusing to be exploited again as he had been in the past. Su Chanqian then reminded him of the debt of 1,000 gold coins owed to Tianheng, causing Shenlang's pupils to constrict. 13 also reminded him that there were only 14 hours left to repay the debt, urging him to arrange the funds quickly to avoid any harm to his family. Shenlang realized the gravity of the situation. Even if he paid Tianheng, the Su family would likely continue to threaten his family to obtain the formula. He knew he had to find a permanent solution to this problem. Just then, the sound of galloping horses approached from behind. Shenlang squeezed through the crowd and saw a cavalry troop led by Jin Mulan. Upon seeing her, he impulsively decided to add a new element to his plan. As Jin Mulan's horse passed by him, Shenlang deliberately allowed himself to be hit, simulating an accident. He silently hoped that Jin Mulan, who had once collided with him 3 years ago, would take him home this time. His wish was granted. Jin Mulan immediately dismounted and checked Shenlang's breathing, relieved to find him unharmed. She then ordered her men to take him to the Earl's estate for treatment. Shenlang felt relieved. His ability to save his family and defeat the Su family would depend on his performance in the upcoming moments. The Earl's estate of mythical turtle, distinct from the city, had its own manor and castle. The Su family, wealthy as they were, paled in comparison to the Earl's estate. Inside the estate's council hall, Jin Mulan, dressed casually, met with her father and mother. Her father was pleased with her performance in the military exercises but expressed concern about their family's precarious situation. Jin Mulan's brother was not up to the task, and the Yu Kingdom was beginning to strip the nobility of their military power. Hearing this, Jin Mulan declared that with her support, their house would not fall, and she vowed to remain unmarried for life to assist her brother. Father Jin sighed, acknowledging the incompetence of his son. At this moment, a servant reported that Shenlang requested an audience, specifically concerning Jin Mulan's marriage. This piqued Father Jin's interest, and soon Shenlang was brought into the hall. He got straight to the point. The Zhu's family wishes to seek a marriage alliance with the Earl's mansion. Zhu Hongxue desires to marry Miss Jin Mulan. Both Jin Mulan and Father Jin were visibly shocked by this revelation. It turns out that the Zhu family is the top aristocrat in the Yu Kingdom, related by marriage to the ruler of the country, and they also hold the position of governor of the southern province. The general who pacifies the south also hails from the Zhu family. Father Jin questioned how Shenlang came to know such confidential information. I used to be a son-in-law at the Su family. Su Chanqian and her new fiancé Zhang Jin discussed this matter as if I were a fool, without any guard. Despite Shenlang's explanation, Father Jin, still wary from the Su family's slander, ordered an investigation to verify these claims. Though Father Jin had reservations about Shenlang, he recognized the gravity of the situation and promised Shenlang a reward for this information. Shenlang, sensing an opportunity, requested to stay at the Earl's estate and work there. His intention wasn't merely employment. He wanted to be close to Jin Mulan and win her over. But unexpectedly, after receiving reports from his subordinates, General Zhu Lin of the Zhu family, known as Pacify the South, is about to arrive. The Pacify the South general of the Zhu family, who was set to propose to Jin Mulan. The Zhu family's immense influence meant that the baron's estate couldn't afford to offend them, making refusal of the proposal nearly impossible. Jin Mulan considered disfiguring herself to deter the Zhu family's proposal. Father Jin, however, seized the knife, determined to protect his daughter and the family's centuries-old legacy. He knew that disfiguring herself wouldn't solve the problem, as the Zhu family was more interested in their family's elite troops. The only viable solution now seemed to be arranging an immediate marriage for Jin Mulan to deter the Zhu family. Despite Father Jin's reluctance to sacrifice his daughter's happiness, Jin Mulan knelt down, insisting that her greatest happiness lay in securing the future of her family. After a long sigh, Father Jin agreed to hold a suitor selection and listed 5 candidates, instructing his staff to invite them to the estate for Jin Mulan to choose from. Shenlang, determined not to let his beloved fall into the arms of another, declared his intention to join the competition for the position of son-in-law. Approaching Jin Mulan, Mulan, he professed his desire to marry her. This infuriated Father Jean, who saw Shenlang's participation as an absurdity. Surprisingly, Jean Mulan's interest was piqued when she asked Shenlang if he was Second Fool, a nickname he earned in his village, where he was part of a duo known as the Foolish Pair. Jean Mulan's view of Shenlang was akin to seeing a child, appreciating his innocence. She agreed to let him join the competition. Father Jean, though finding it ridiculous, let it pass, confident that Jean Mulan would not choose Shenlang. Shenlang, however, was brimming with confidence, ready to outshine the other contenders. 2 hours later, 6 men, including Shenlang, were brought into separate study rooms for Jean Mulan to interview and select her suitor. With limited time, Jean Mulan planned to make her decision by noon and marry by evening. The first candidate was Chief Clerk Wang Lian, thrilled at the prospect of winning Jean Mulan. When Jean Mulan asked him what future he could bring to the Earl's estate, Wang Lian confidently proclaimed his intention to pass the imperial examination and become a scholar. He believed that with his scholarly skills combined with Jean Mulan's martial prowess, they could lead the Earl's estate to greater prosperity. Jean Mulan didn't respond much to Wang Lian's answer and metaphorically handed him a nice guy card before leaving. She asked the same question to the other 4 candidates and received similar answers, none particularly striking. Finally, Jean Mulan approached Shenlang's room and posed the same question to him. What could he bring to their future together? What can he bring? Well, that's a lot. For example, he can use his X-ray eyes to treat Jean Mulan's hidden injuries, and he can also provide advanced iron refining techniques, among many other things. He knew these would interest Jean Mulan, but might not truly win her over. Then, he earnestly said he could offer her freedom in their relationship, with the only condition being loyalty. Jean Mulan, conservative by nature, was both embarrassed and angered by Shenlang's blunt reference to infidelity, chastising him for his lack of thoughtfulness. However, Shenlang's response was calculated. He had seen through Jean Mulan's desires for autonomy and a non-interfering partner. Returning to the hall, Jean Mulan announced to her parents that she had made her choice. After a moment of anticipation, she bashfully revealed she had chosen Shenlang. This decision infuriated Father Jean, who couldn't understand why she would pick a fool. Jean Mulan explained her reasoning calmly. She feared for the future of her family if her husband sought power after her father's passing, endangering her brother. Only with Shenlang could the family legacy be secure. Father Jean and Mother Jean understood Jean Mulan's well-intentioned decision, but they were still heartbroken. Knowing Shenlang's poor reputation, Jean Mulan remained indifferent, believing that her choice would also deter the Zhu family. She also admitted a liking for Shenlang's appearance, frustrated and feeling like a failed father for sacrificing his daughter's happiness. Father Jean inquired about the whereabouts of Jean Mulan's brother. Learning his location, Father Jean picked up a whip and left, followed by Mother Jean with another whip. In their eyes, it was their son's incompetence that had compromised Jean Mulan's happiness. Soon after, Jean Mulan's brother experienced a harsh lesson from his parents. Meanwhile, Shenlang learned that he had been chosen by Jean Mulan. His demeanor changed instantly, realizing he was about to become the son-in-law of mythical Turtle City's most prominent family. This newfound status emboldened him against the Su family and others who had wronged him, fueling thoughts of revenge. However, Shenlang urgently requested Jean's steward to quickly bring his family to safety, fearing they were in danger. The steward, recognizing Shenlang's new status as the Earl's son-in-law, immediately agreed to assist. On the other hand, at the Black Clothes Bang hideout outside mythical Turtle City, Tianheng ordered 13 to capture Shenlang's family, intending to kill them once Shenlang handed over the formula. Both the legitimate and underworld circles of mythical Turtle City were now in turmoil due to Shenlang, with some preparing to celebrate his marriage and others plotting against his family. When 13 arrived at Shenlang's home, he was taken aback to find Shenlang's family armed and prepared, showing no fear but a readiness to face death. 13, relishing the challenge, drew his sword to attack them. However, he suddenly sensed a threatening presence behind him. Turning around, he found Jean's steward from the Baron's estate, a figure whose presence sent shivers down his spine. Realizing Shenlang's connection to the Baron's estate, 13 knew better than to confront Jean's steward. The steward, followed by several warriors, escorted Shenlang's family to a palanquin for safety. After they left, 13 staggered, realizing the grave implications of Shenlang's ties with the Earl's estate. 13 rushed back to report to Tianheng at the Black Clothes Bang headquarters, interrupting Tianheng's indulgence. Despite fearing Tianheng's wrath, 13 relayed everything about Shenlang's family's rescue. Tianheng's face darkened upon hearing this. He immediately dismissed the woman with him and focused on the unfolding situation, realizing the potential danger they were now in due to their actions against Shenlang's family. Tianheng, stroking his chin, announced the news about the Count's mansion seeking a son-in-law. At this revelation, 13's expression changed dramatically. He thought of a possibility that even 13 himself did not believe. Tianheng, naturally, felt the same. How could a fool possibly become Jean Mulan's husband? Nonetheless, Tianheng decided to go into the city. Soon after, in the Lin family's secret chamber, Su, Lin, and Tianheng, 3 major figures of mythical Turtle City, gathered to discuss the likelihood of Shenlang becoming the son-in-law of the Count's mansion. They all deemed it unlikely. However, to get to the bottom of it, they decided to attend the wedding ceremony that night. Meanwhile, in the mythical turtle Count's mansion, the entire place was festively decorated, with servants bustling around. Among the guests attending were Su Qianqian and others, all curious about who had won over the Count's aloof golden flower. At that moment, Shenlang was sitting in a bridal sedan, accompanied by the sound of firecrackers. The sedan was slowly lifted to the entrance, and the Count and his wife walked out slowly. With the announcement of the groom's arrival, the sedan was set down, the curtain was lifted, and the groom stepped out. This figure, however, made Tianheng and others from the Su family catch their breath in surprise, and Su Qianqian widened her eyes in disbelief. She couldn't be mistaken. Why was Shenlang the groom? At this moment, Shenlang ignored them. His wedding was not to be disturbed by these people. As the auspicious time arrived, the wedding ceremony proceeded, bowing to heaven and earth, bowing to the high hall, and the couple bowing to each other. Just as the ceremony ended and they were about to enter the bridal chamber, a loud laugh was heard. The newcomer is none other than the lord of the mythical turtle city, Lu Wuyan, who wanted to see Shenlang's true face under the mask. Although tradition dictated that the son-in-law could only reveal his face in the bridal chamber, his curiosity wasn't hindered. Suddenly, another loud laugh, this one colder, was heard. A tall figure walked in slowly, but upon seeing him, everyone at the venue, including the Count's family and all the guests, bowed in respect. It turned out this person was Zhu Lin, the general of Yu Kingdom who pacified the south. He bluntly asked Shenlang to remove his mask. With the general's support, the crowd was no longer fearful and urged Shenlang to unveil himself. Shenlang looked towards Jin Mulan, who nodded. Shenlang, seeing this, lifted the mask from his face, revealing his true identity. The revelation shocked everyone present. In their wildest dreams, they never imagined the man under the mask would be the fool, Shenlang. At this moment, Tianheng in the crowd felt a chill run through his body. His trouble had just magnified. The most shocked of all were Su Qianqian and Zhang Ji. Jin Mulan was a person even he dared not aspire to. Zhang Ji, completely thrown off, burst into laughter. In a fit of foolishness, he directly questioned Jin Mulan, accusing her wedding of being a sham. Jin Mulan coldly asked him why he would say such a thing. Fearless now, Zhang Ji laid bare all of Shenlang's past glorious deeds, mainly painting Shenlang as a fool and recounting his previous slander and harassment of maids. He then challenged Jin Mulan again, asking how she could possibly fancy such a worthless person. Zhang Ji's cronies echoed his sentiments. However, some uninformed individuals asked Zhang Ji to provide evidence of Shenlang's supposed intellectual deficiency. At Zhang Ji's cue, a poor scholar who had passed the imperial examination for a lower degree stood up. He claimed to have studied with Shenlang and could testify that Shenlang was indeed a fool or mentally challenged. Shenlang recognized the scholar, Yan Xiong, and realized that it's always the familiar faces who betray you at crucial moments. Shenlang looked at Yan Xiong and calmly asked if he had evidence of his intellectual deficiency. Yan Xiong laughed loudly, claiming that not recognizing a single character after 10 years of study was evidence enough. He proposed to write a few characters for Shenlang to identify. If Shenlang recognized them, he would apologize. As Shenlang accepted the challenge, Yan Xiong had pen, ink, paper, and inkstone brought to him. He wrote a few characters on the paper. Jin Mulan, upon seeing them, couldn't help but open her mouth in surprise. The rest of the crowd was also baffled because they couldn't recognize the characters either. Yan Xiong had written 3 characters that looked familiar but were easy to misread if not looked at carefully, making the challenge extremely tricky. Yan Xiong, smugly triumphant, challenged Shenlang to read the characters, declaring that if Shenlang failed, he must admit to being mentally challenged. Faced with Yan Xiong's provocation, Shenlang activated his cheat, a mental search in his own brain's computer. He then effortlessly began to read and explain each character. Shenlang stated that the first character, which looks similar to goose, actually represents a type of plant, and he explained its origin. The second character, pronounced Su, was also explained by Shenlang. Before Yan Xiong could react with astonishment, Shenlang continued, detailing the multiple pronunciations of the third character, the first being Shu, meaning vertical, the second, Yi, indicating through and through, the third, Tue, meaning to retreat, and the fourth, E. As Shenlang elaborated, Yan Xiong was dumbstruck, barely able to stand. He had only known 2 pronunciations for the third character. Disappointed, Shenlang shook his head, criticizing Yan Xiong's audacity to test him without full knowledge. Shenlang then turned to Yan Xiong's teacher, the former lord of mythical Turtle City, and asked if his readings were correct. After a moment of silence and a nod of agreement from the old lord, the crowd erupted in astonishment. But Shenlang wasn't done yet. Known for his retribution, he decided to write a few characters for Yan Xiong to identify. Despite feeling panicked inside, Yan Xiong outwardly agreed with false bravado. Shenlang's writing captivated the audience. Each stroke was recognizable, but the combined characters were indecipherable to them. Shenlang stated that Yan Xiong only needed to recognize 4 characters. Yan Xiong, spotting a few familiar characters, blurted out, "I am a fool." This inadvertent confession caused an uproar of laughter among the crowd. Even Jean Mulan couldn't help but laugh behind her hand. Yan Xiong's teacher's face turned extremely ugly, and he hastily dismissed Yan Xiong, embarrassed by the disgrace. Seeing Shenlang's proficiency with obscure characters, Yan Xiong's teacher, wanting to save face, challenged Shenlang with a character he wanted him to identify. Shenlang, realizing that all the lords of mythical Turtle City were at odds with the Count's mansion, still agreed to the challenge. The old lord then wrote a character on paper, attracting the attention of Jean Mulan and the crowd. However, nobody recognized the character he wrote. Shenlang, on the other hand, was familiar with the character, which is well known in modern times. Yan Xiong, seeing his mentor stepping up for him, started taunting Shenlang again, but Shenlang ignored him. In modern times, the character is pronounced Yuan, but Shenlang knew that its ancient pronunciation might differ. When he learned that the old lord knew the meaning but not the pronunciation, Shenlang realized he had the freedom to interpret it as he wished. Yan Xiong, still skeptical, jumped in again. Shenlang proposed a bet to Yan Xiong. If Shenlang recognized the character and knew its meaning, then Yan Xiong would slap himself, otherwise, Shenlang would do the same. Confidently, Yan Xiong agreed. Shenlang then pointed at the character and pronounced it Ren. Yan Xiong angrily contested, questioning how anyone could verify that pronunciation. Shenlang explained that the character likely shared a meaning with stab or pierce. This explanation instantly changed the old lord's expression. Yan Xiong sought confirmation from his teacher, hoping Shenlang was making it up. The old lord was tempted to deny Shenlang's answer, but he hesitated, considering his reputation and the possibility of future research corroborating Shenlang's interpretation. Reluctantly, he changed his demeanor and admitted that Shenlang was correct, leaving Yan Xiong utterly dumbfounded and shocking everyone present. Shenlang's knowledge had impressed them all, including Jean Mulan, who looked at him with admiration. Shenlang's gaze turned to Yan Xiong, clearly indicating it was time to fulfill his promise. With a resentful look towards his teacher, who turned away, Yan Xiong bitterly slapped himself, satisfying Shenlang immensely. Humiliated, Yan Xiong left in anger. Jin's father, for the first time, showed some satisfaction towards Shenlang and informed him that it was time to introduce Jean Mulan to his own parents. However, just then, the great general, Zhu Lin, called for Shenlang to wait. As Shenlang turned towards him, Zhu Lin pointed at Shenlang and remarked, "Kid, you are quite interesting. I'll remember you." This statement from Zhu Lin, although not explicitly a threat, carried an implicit intimidating tone. Shenlang, feigning misunderstanding, bowed and politely expressed his gratitude. "Thank you for your high regard, General Zhu." Zhu Lin laughed heartily at Shenlang's response. Meanwhile, Shenlang's parents, feeling inferior due to their humble origins, and not wanting to bring shame upon Shenlang, had chosen not to attend. They also hesitated to wear the fine robes sent by the Count's mansion, fearing they might damage them. Upon Shenlang's arrival at the back hall, he immediately knelt before his parents, expressing his filial respect. "Your son pays his respects, father and mother." "I have been unfilial." Jean Mulan, following suit, also knelt down and said, "Your daughter-in-law pays her respects to you both." Shenlang was pleasantly surprised by Jean Mulan's gesture and felt even more admiration for her. She exuded beauty both inside and out and showed no reluctance towards his parents. Shen's mother quickly helped Jean Mulan to her feet. After Jean Mulan had paid her respects with a toast, she left Shenlang in private with his parents. After dinner, Shenlang's parents, not wanting to impose, left for home in their carriage. In the bridal chamber, Jean Mulan, with a flushed face, slowly entered. Shenlang was mesmerized by her beauty, while Jean Mulan was too shy to look directly at him. As she sat on the bed, both were hesitant about who should make the first move. Shenlang, as a man, thought of guiding Jean Mulan, but she indicated that she had something to say first. Jean Mulan revealed that she had been forced into this marriage by the Zhu family and had no choice but to find a husband. However, already being a married woman, she vowed not to remarry. As for the duties of a wife, like bearing children, Jean Mulan was unable to fulfill them. Shenlang understood that consummating their marriage on the first day, especially for someone of Jean Mulan's stature, was unrealistic. Shenlang signaled his understanding and respect for her feelings. Jean Mulan, not wanting Shenlang to feel aggrieved and knowing the importance of producing an heir, called for her personal maid. Shenlang quickly noticed the maid's attractive figure, marked by her 36F size. Jean Mulan instructed her maid to take good care of Shenlang for the night. Although Shenlang inwardly wanted to refuse, Jean Mulan shook her head, explaining that since she couldn't bear children for him, it was best for Shenlang to fulfill this duty with her maid, ensuring a swift continuation of his lineage. Shenlang, accepting the situation, asked the maid, Little Bing, to help him undress. Jean Mulan, upon hearing this, was stunned and quickly left the room. Little Bing's face turned red with embarrassment and shyness, but soon, tears uncontrollably began to fall from her eyes, eventually turning into a flood of weeping. Shenlang realized something was amiss and asked her if she was unwilling. Little Bing didn't speak, but her tears grew more intense, soaking her clothes. Shenlang felt awkward, realizing that even the maid seemed reluctant to be with him. Not wanting to force the situation, he told Little Bing to go sleep in the next room, after which she quickly left. Shenlang, feeling somewhat exasperated, decided to simply go to sleep. sleep. The next day, Jean Mulan prepared a few gifts for Shenlang to take home and told him he could share any goals or ambitions he had with her. Shenlang initially said he had no particular goals, but seeing Jean Mulan's dissatisfaction, he quickly stated he had a major goal: to destroy the Su family and make Su Chanqian kneel before him, begging for mercy. Jean Mulan was somewhat helpless, realizing this was more about revenge than a goal. She pointed out the difficulty of targeting the Su and Zhang families, who were backed by the powerful Zhu family, and the limitations of the Count's mansion's power. Shenlang, undeterred, asked if he could target Tianheng, but Jean Mulan explained that Tianheng, being a military officer of mythical Turtle City and recently aligned with the Zhang family, was untouchable without provoking a conflict with the city's leadership. Shenlang, feeling frustrated by these constraints, decided to act on his own. He bid farewell to Jean Mulan, intending to confront Tianheng directly. However, before leaving, he visited his father-in-law to pay his respects. When asked about his future plans, Shenlang avoided mentioning revenge and instead expressed his intention to dutifully serve his parents. Jean Mulan's father and mother were pleased with this, perceiving Shenlang as a stable and responsible person, and they prepared gifts for him to take back home. Shenlang thanked them and left. Dressed in fine clothes and escorted by 2 soldiers, he initially intended to travel by carriage. However, seeing a majestic white horse, he was tempted to ride it to make a grand entrance, but just 2 minutes later, it became apparent that Shenlang didn't even know how to mount the horse, so he resignedly settled for the carriage. Upon arriving at Black Clothes Bang, Shenlang's carriage boldly entered the territory. The guards of Black Clothes Bang, ready to shoot arrows to intercept the intrusion, were hastily stopped by someone who scolded them for nearly attacking a carriage from the Count's mansion. As Shenlang stepped out of the carriage, he greeted Tianheng with a smile, saying, "Long time no see." Tianheng, despite his welcoming arms and smiling face, harbored deep resentment towards Shenlang. Shenlang taunted Tianheng about not arresting him, to which Tianheng, suppressing his anger, politely invited Shenlang inside and personally made tea for him. Tianheng asked Shenlang the purpose of his visit, and Shenlang casually mentioned returning 1,000 gold coins. Tianheng laughed, produced a written debt acknowledgement from Shenlang, and burned it in the fire, claiming he had forgotten about any such debt. Shenlang, with a mischievous look, retorted that it was Tianheng who owed him 1,000 gold coins and questioned why he burned the acknowledgement. Tianheng was stunned by Shenlang's audacity, having never encountered someone so shamelessly bold in his years of experience. Under the circumstances, Tianheng had to play along, putting on a smile and ordering the 1,000 gold coins to be brought to Shenlang. After briefly examining the coins, Shenlang ambiguously suggested that since they were acquaintances, the interest on the debt could be waived. Tianheng, understanding Shenlang's implication, grudgingly produced an additional 100 gold coins as interest. Shenlang casually sipped his tea, appearing as if the suggestion hadn't come from him. Seeing Shenlang's indifferent attitude, Tianheng asked if there was anything else he needed. Shenlang then inquired about 13's whereabouts, revealing his simple but intense motive. Since 13 had attempted to capture his parents, Shenlang intended to break 13's legs as retribution. Tianheng was visibly shocked and angered by Shenlang's audacity, but he managed to suppress his fury, stating through gritted teeth 13 was not present and would be away for 2 months. Shenlang, not fully trusting Tianheng's words, but deciding not to search for 13, left. As soon as Shenlang departed, Tianheng could no longer contain his rage. He smashed the teacups on the table and ordered his men to burn the chair Shenlang had used. 13 then emerged, trying to calm his foster father by suggesting that Shenlang's arrogant behavior would surely lead to punishment by the Count of Mythical Turtle. Tianheng was furious at how quickly Shenlang had transformed from a nobody to a haughty figure and instructed 13 to stay out of sight until the situation calmed down. However, to their astonishment, Shenlang suddenly returned, confronting 13 directly and warning him not to think of hiding. Shenlang argued that breaking 13's legs was a justified punishment for nearly causing the ruin of his family. He then turned his gaze to Tianheng, clearly indicating that it was time for him to take action. Tianheng, his eyes red with anger, was in a dilemma. 13 was his foster son, and physically harming him would be akin to disgracing himself. Tianheng, who had invested 2/10 of his family's wealth in aligning with the Zhang family, was at his limit of tolerance. In a burst of anger, he smashed his fist onto the solid mahogany table, shattering it into pieces. At this violent gesture, the 2 soldiers from the Count's mansion drew their swords to protect Shenlang. Tianheng roared at Shenlang, accusing him of going too far. Shenlang, unfazed, retorted about the time when his family was threatened, questioning if Tianheng had considered his actions excessive then. Tianheng, with a hollow laugh, cited the Count's mansion's principle of loving the people like one's own children and warned Shenlang against his tyranny and the possibility of being condemned by his own righteousness. Shenlang, not interested in prolonging the conversation and seeing that Tianheng wasn't going to act, looked towards the soldiers. However, they were only responsible for his protection and not meant to intervene in such conflicts. Tianheng, with a cold laugh, advised Shenlang to be forgiving and not to hold grudges. Understanding that he was unprepared to force Tianheng's hand at the the moment. Shenlang vowed that the next day he would make Tianheng break 13's legs and apologize to him in person. After leaving Tianheng's place, Shenlang returned home and distributed the gifts from Jin Mulan's parents to his own family, giving his father some gold coins to build a new house. He promised his brother, once recovered from his injury, a better future and opportunity to prove himself. His brother, excited by the prospect, expressed his desire to marry Lu widow. After spending time with his family and bidding a formal farewell to his parents, Shenlang prepared to return to the Count's mansion. However, just as he was about to leave, his mother urged him to check on Big Fool, whose situation seemed dire. Big Fool, Shenlang's only friend from the past, was a kind-hearted, simple, and honest person with limited intelligence. He had always protected Shenlang with his own body whenever Shenlang was bullied as a child. Despite his mental challenges, Big Fool's strong build made him useful for labor, which was the only reason he hadn't been driven out of his home by his stepmother, who mistreated him. Concerned, Shenlang decided to visit Big Fool to understand and possibly help with his troubling situation. Arriving at Big Fool's house, Shenlang found only Big Fool's stepmother and younger brother. The stepmother said Big Fool was out working, which puzzled Shenlang since his mother had told him Big Fool was in trouble. Preparing to look for Big Fool, Shenlang handed a bag of silver coins to the stepmother for Big Fool's meals, to which she greedily agreed, promising Big Fool would be well fed. However, Big Fool's brother sneered, hinting that Big Fool might not get to eat. Alarmed by this comment, Shenlang hurriedly left the house. Soon, Shenlang found Big Fool in a critical state, covered in blood, emaciated, and with severe chest injuries. Upon checking, he found Big Fool still alive. Big Fool, regaining consciousness, expressed his happiness to see Shenlang. Big Fool's condition was due to his younger brother's mischief, which led to an encounter with a tiger. Big Fool had suffered broken bones while saving him, and their father, unable to afford treatment, left Big Fool to fend for himself. Furious upon hearing this, Shenlang was appalled by the brother's continuous mistreatment of Big Fool, who had always protected him despite such cruelty. Learning that Big Fool had been left in this state for over 6 days without food or water, Shenlang was deeply moved when Big Fool, with his dying breath, expressed relief that Shenlang had become strong and no longer needed his protection. Trying to instill hope in Big Fool, Shenlang said he still faced bullying, prompting Big Fool to reflexively protect him, showing his unwavering loyalty. After reassuring Big Fool that he was safe, Big Fool weakened again. Shenlang, filled with determination, vowed to make Big Fool's father regret his neglect and see Big Fool's worth. Big Fool nodded and thought, he's still useful. His father is getting old and needs him to provide for his old age. Shenlang, speechless at the situation, instructed his guards to carry Big Fool to the carriage. Fueled by indignation, Shenlang first returned to Big Fool's home, confronting his stepmother and brother with a cold demeanor, questioning their conscience. The stepmother, indifferent, argued about the lack of money for treatment, while Big Fool's brother callously remarked that it didn't matter if a fool like Big Fool died. Shenlang, without uttering a word, flipped their table in anger. He kicked his brother over with a foot, causing him to roll on the ground in agony, demonstrating how insignificant their pain was compared to Big Fool's suffering. The stepmother, enraged, questioned Shenlang's audacity and insulted him, calling him a worthless son-in-law of the Su family, fit only to die alongside Big Fool. Pushing her away, Shenlang made it clear he wouldn't harm a woman. The stepmother fell, hitting a water basin. Despite her threats, Shenlang calmly told her he was no longer associated with the Su family and dared her to complain to the Count's mansion if she had the courage. Leaving the house with his guards, Shenlang hurriedly returned to the Count's mansion. Upon arrival, he was stopped by Jin Cheng, the chief of the internal guards at the Count's mansion and a former candidate for son-in-law like Shenlang. When Jin Cheng saw Big Fool in a critical state, he angrily questioned Shenlang's authority to bring a stranger into the mansion and ordered Big Fool to be thrown out. Shenlang fiercely objected and insisted on bringing Big Fool in for treatment. The guards hesitated, unsure whom to obey. Shenlang's expression darkened as Jin Cheng continued to assert his authority and ordered Big Fool's removal. Realizing his limited influence within the Count's mansion, Shenlang sighed, acknowledging his solitary position. He then decided to take Big Fool to the city for treatment himself. Climbing onto the carriage, Jin Cheng, smugly satisfied, watched Shenlang leave, his envy over Shenlang's marriage to Jin Mulan evident. As Shenlang prepared to leave with Big Fool, Count Jin and Jin Mulan came out to inquire about the commotion. Jin Cheng reported the situation, and upon hearing Shenlang's explanation about his friend's critical condition, Count Jin immediately ordered a doctor to attend to Big Fool, prioritizing his life-saving treatment. Jin Mulan, taking personal control of the carriage, apologized to Shenlang for the inconvenience he suffered, showing her support. Shenlang felt genuinely touched by her gesture, realizing he was not alone in the Count's mansion. Despite Jin Cheng's attempt to intervene, fueled by jealousy, Jin Mulan, with a cold face and without a word, took out a whip. In a cold voice, she ordered Jin Cheng to turn his back. Jin Cheng wanted to say something, but after seeing Jin Mulan's expression, he turned around on his own accord. Seeing this, Jin Mulan whipped fiercely, tearing open open Jin Cheng's leather armor and leaving a bloody mark. She warned Jin Cheng that Shenlang was her husband, Jin Mulan's, and thus his master. He should correct his attitude in the future. Jin Cheng bowed respectfully, indicating that he understood. After the doctor, renowned for his expertise, tended to Big Fool, it was clear that Big Fool's life was no longer in danger. Jin Mulan expressed her happiness to Shenlang, playfully addressing Big Fool as his big brother. Shenlang, slightly embarrassed, tried to clarify. Jin Mulan smiled and retorted, "Aren't the titles Big Fool and Second Fool just ways of referring to brothers?" Shenlang felt helpless inside and thought, "You're 36E. Whatever you say is right." However, the moment was interrupted when Count Jin summoned Shenlang to his study. Expecting a discussion about Big Fool, Shenlang was prepared to defend his actions, emphasizing the importance of his friendship with Big Fool. To his surprise, Count Jin was furious about Shenlang's earlier actions involving Tianheng, accusing him of abusing his position and extorting gold coins, as well as his intent to harm Tianheng's foster son. Shenlang responded by expressing gratitude to Count Jin for saving his family's lives. Confusing Count Jin, Shenlang explained the entire situation to Father Jin, who became furiously indignant upon hearing the details. He vowed to seek justice for Shenlang, affirming that no one could bully his son-in-law. Father Jin also revealed that the complaint against Shenlang was initiated by Zhang Ji. Despite Father Jin's offer to handle the situation with Tianheng, Shenlang insisted on dealing with it personally, stating that not showing up would not only damage his reputation but also that of the Count's mansion. He assured Father Jin that he would handle the matter without leaving any room for criticism. Father Jin, testing Shenlang's commitment, presented him with the hefty Jin family code. He proposed that Shenlang could leave to confront Tianheng only after memorizing the entire book. Knowing the book contained about 50 to 60,000 words over several hundred pages, Shenlang confidently accepted the challenge, relying on his mental computer to memorize it quickly. Meanwhile, Father Jin and Mother Jin discussed Shenlang's task. Father Jin believed it would take Shenlang a couple of months to memorize the book, viewing it as a good opportunity for him to calm down and reflect. However, Mother Jin wagered that Shenlang would complete the task in just a month. In a playful bet, she cheekily proposed that if she won, in the future, when making love, she requested to be on top. Father Jin, slightly embarrassed but amused, agreed. That night, Mother Jin, concerned about Shenlang staying up late to study, prepared a nourishing walnut and lotus seed soup for him, only to find out that he had already gone to sleep. Frustrated, she lamented that Shenlang was even lazier than her own son. Early the next morning, Father Jin approached Shenlang, seemingly ready to reprimand him. Shenlang, aware of the reason, indicated that he had indeed memorized the entire family code overnight. Father Jin, skeptical of such a feat, prepared to have Shenlang punished according to family discipline for his perceived deceit. Mother Jin intervened, urging Shenlang to apologize and calm the situation. However, Shenlang stood firm, asserting his claim and inviting Father Jin to test him. Father Jin, fueled by frustration, began to quiz Shenlang on various chapters of the family code. To everyone's astonishment, Shenlang recited each section flawlessly. Father Jin was left utterly stunned and impressed by Shenlang's extraordinary memory and intellect, which he displayed by accurately recalling the family teachings. As Mother Jin joyfully reminded Father Jin of their wager, he resignedly accepted the outcome. Before leaving Shenlang alone with Father Jin, she mischievously took the whip with her, intending to teach her son a lesson, highlighting the difference in diligence between him and Shenlang. Father Jin, intrigued, asked Shenlang how he achieved such a remarkable feat. Shenlang casually mentioned that since recovering from a serious illness, his mind had become exceptionally sharp, allowing him to remember everything he read. Father Jin believed him, recalling a historical figure from their family who had a similar transformation, achieving great feats after a near-death experience. Acknowledging Shenlang's accomplishment, Father Jin lifted the confinement order. As Shenlang prepared to confront Tianheng, Father Jin advised him to let go of the matter, citing a new rule established by the Yu Kingdom that nobility should not interfere with official government positions. Over the past 3 years, 3 noble families had been stripped of their lands and titles, illustrating the serious consequences of breaching the Yu Kingdom's new rules. However, Shenlang refused Father Jin's offer to seek justice on his behalf within half a year. He insisted on personally avenging his grievances, believing that handling his own battles was a prerequisite to being worthy of Jin Mulan. Father Jin appreciated Shenlang's resolve but cautioned him about the difficulties of confronting Tianheng, who had the backing of both the city lord's office and the Zhang family. Undeterred, Shenlang assured Father Jin that he would take revenge within the bounds of the law, ensuring not to leave any loopholes that could be exploited against him. Shenlang's plan was to target Tianheng's gambling houses, which held a monopoly in mythical Turtle City. His strategy was simple yet aggressive: to keep winning gold coins until it exceeded Tianheng's limits and the tolerance of his backers. This would not only hurt Tianheng financially, but also potentially destabilize his standing with his supporters. Upon arriving at one of Tianheng's gambling houses, Shenlang was greeted by Tian 19, the manager, manager, who was initially surprised but soon overjoyed, believing Shenlang's visit would spell disaster for him. Tian19's elation only grew when Shenlang, without any gold coins, requested a loan to gamble. Shenlang started by borrowing 1,000 gold coins, converting them into chips. He opted for a simple dice game, betting on the roll being either low, below 9 points, or high, 9 points or above. Shenlang confidently placed all his chips on high for his first bet, drawing excitement from the crowd and the beautiful dealer. When the dice revealed 13 points, Shenlang won, doubling his chips to 2,000. To Tian19, Shenlang's initial win seemed inconsequential, perhaps even a bait to lure him deeper into the game. However, Shenlang, unhesitatingly betting all his winnings again on high, continued his winning streak. As the dealer revealed the dice, Shenlang's prediction proved correct once more, earning him a total of 4,000 gold coins. Unbeknownst to Tian19, this was just the beginning of Shenlang's calculated assault on Tianheng's financial stronghold. Tian19 was dumbfounded by Shenlang's unconventional and bold strategy of betting all in on every round. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he stepped in to personally handle the dice, confident in his skill to manipulate the outcome. Tian19, a master of dice manipulation and a trusted confidant of Tianheng, could control the dice to roll high or low as desired and even change the numbers after the dice had landed. However, Shenlang, with his exceptional ability to see through such tricks, grew tired of the dice game. He proposed playing Pai Gao, a card game similar to dice in terms of betting on high or low outcomes, but with numerous opportunities for cheating, such as marking cards. Tian19, initially pleased with the change, believed this would be his chance to defeat Shenlang. However, Shenlang insisted on using a new deck of cards, threatening to leave if his request was not met. Reluctantly, Tian19 had to comply and fetch a new deck, confident in his abilities regardless. Once the new deck was inspected by Shenlang and found to be unmarked, the game began. Using his extraordinary perception, Shenlang effortlessly identified Tian19's cards. Tian19 drew a strong hand, but Shenlang, undeterred and without even glancing at his cards, confidently bet 1,000 gold coins, displaying a gambler's bravado that left the onlookers in awe. Tian19, not willing to be outdone, matched Shenlang's bet. However, when the cards were revealed, it was Shenlang who won. The shock on Tian19's face was evident. This was just the beginning of an unprecedented nightmare for him. Round after round, Shenlang continued his strategy of not looking at his cards and betting 1,000 gold coins each time, winning continuously. The crowd around the gambling house erupted in cheers, hailing Shenlang as the god of gamblers. Tian19, on the other hand, was completely flustered, having lost a staggering 13,000 gold coins to Shenlang. This loss left him trembling and sweating, bewildered by the turn of events. Knowing the consequences he would face from Tianheng, Tian19 excused himself from Shenlang, citing dizziness. Meanwhile, at the Su family mansion, Tianheng and the Su family head were gleefully anticipating Shenlang's downfall, expecting him to accumulate massive debts at the gambling house. However, their mirth was short-lived. A panicked Tian19 rushed in, his entrance immediately changing the atmosphere. Tianheng, irritated by Tian19's demeanor, scolded him harshly. Expecting to hear about Shenlang's defeat, Tianheng demanded to know how much Shenlang had lost, believing that a debt of 10,000 gold coins would be beyond the Count's mansion's tolerance and lead to Shenlang's expulsion or worse. Tian19, overwhelmed by fear, stammered out the truth. Instead of losing, Shenlang had won 16,000 gold coins. This revelation stunned Tianheng, whose laughter froze on his face. In disbelief, he questioned Tian19 again, only to receive the same answer. The room fell into silence as the reality sank in. Grabbing Tian19 by the collar, an incredulous Tianheng demanded an explanation for how Shenlang managed to win such a significant sum, equivalent to Tianheng's annual income. Tianheng desperately sought to understand how Shenlang had achieved this feat, wondering whether he had cheated or employed some underhanded tactics. Tian19, crying, said there was none. Tianheng threw Tian19 aside, then turned to ask the Su family head, "Wasn't it said that Shenlang is a useless good-for-nothing? How come he's so powerful now?" The questioned Su family head also felt somewhat overwhelmed. He didn't know what was going on. At this moment, Su Chanshan stepped forward, suggesting that getting angry now was pointless, and it would be better to go to the scene and see for themselves. Upon hearing this, Tianheng immediately stood up and left. Su Chanshan, watching Tianheng, reminded him not to forget the city lord's mansion and the prefect's mansion were his support. Tianheng nodded slightly upon hearing this, then hurried non-stop towards the Fortune Casino. A quarter hour later, Tianheng arrived in haste, but for some reason, his Fortune Casino was already packed with people. Numerous gamblers, upon seeing Tianheng, loudly clamored, "The person in charge is here. Pay up, pay up." At this moment, Shenlang also stepped forward. Smiling at Tianheng, he said, "I have won 19,000 gold coins at your Fortune Casino, and these hundreds of people bet with me, winning a total of 7,000 gold coins. That makes a total of 26,000 gold coins. Please help us cash these in." 26,000 gold coins, to be honest, was already a large part of Tianheng's savings. Although he was making a fortune every day, he also had hundreds of people under him to support. Losing these 26,000 gold coins would almost bankrupt Tianheng. Faced with Shenlang presenting the chips, Tianheng, who harbored intense hatred for Shenlang, could only manage a smile. Master Shen, shall we go inside and talk about it? Shenlang agreed, but the gamblers were not pleased. You can't leave. You can't leave. Cash in the gold coins before leaving. They were worried that Shenlang and Tianheng would strike a deal behind closed doors and betray them. Shenlang loudly assured them, please rest assured, everyone, I, Shenlang, will definitely not betray your interests. I will give you a satisfactory explanation. Faced with the Count's son-in-law, everyone chose to believe. Soon, they arrived at the second floor of Fortune Casino. Tianheng's smile immediately vanished, his face turning cold. He looked at Shenlang. Master Shen, your tactics are truly ruthless. Doing all this, is it just to make me break 13's legs? But coming to the casino, aren't you afraid of tarnishing the Count's mansion's reputation? Shenlang stated, the reputation of the Count's mansion is indeed important, but my, Shenlang's, reputation can be disregarded. A person can do countless good deeds, but ruining just one can lead to complete ruin. However, if one's reputation is already bad, doing one good deed can have a completely different effect. These words instantly choked Tianheng. He stopped making pointless arguments, not to mention 19,000 gold coins. He wouldn't even give 1,900. Thus, Tianheng firmly told Shenlang, I will not break 13's legs. If I really did that, I would lose all my dignity. Shenlang laughed. I think you're misunderstanding something. I want not only the 19,000 gold coins, but also to break 13's legs. Upon hearing this, Tianheng's eyes instantly turned red with rage, clearly showing how angry he was. Guards hurriedly stepped forward to protect Shenlang. The next moment, Tianheng laughed out of sheer anger, clearly telling Shenlang, I won't give you even a single hair, let alone break 13's legs. His confidence stemmed from the belief that the Count's mansion would not stoop to demanding the gold coins from him. Then, Tianheng walked to the window, opened it, and told the gamblers, the gold coins you won will be fully redeemed. The gamblers immediately cheered for Tianheng. This broke Shenlang's method of using the gamblers' power against him, and in the end, those gamblers would still lose the gold coins back. Tianheng had not lost anything. He knew the gamblers' money was never won for long. Tianheng looked at Shenlang smugly. Shenlang clapped hard. What a move. Then he questioned Tianheng, did you forget you have other casinos? As long as they are open, I can keep winning, and I'll bring all the gamblers with me to win. Saying so, Shenlang turned and shouted to the gamblers outside, don't leave. I'll continue to lead you to win money. In an instant, the gamblers cheered again. Back in the casino, Shenlang continued his winning streak, and the gamblers went completely wild. It was easier than picking up money. As long as they followed Shenlang, they were sure to win. In contrast, the entire casino staff looked ashen, doubting their life choices. Before long, Tianheng lost another 7,000 gold coins. The kicker was that Shenlang bet only one gold coin each time. The rest were won by the gamblers. Tianheng was so angry he could crush his teeth. Seeing this, his adopted son, Tian 14, immediately rushed downstairs and approached Shenlang, intending to drive him out. Shenlang immediately pretended to be frail. What are you going to do? Do you want to hit me? My health is not good. You know, I'll fall down with just a touch. Who dares to strike the Count's son-in-law? My wife will kill his entire family. This shameless act completely infuriated Tian 14, who pointed at Shenlang's head and roared, so what if I do take action? Someone, get Shenlang out of here. However, the next second, guards surrounded and protected Shenlang, and countless gamblers also rushed over, forming a protective circle around him, shouting, whoever dares to touch Shenlang will have to step over our dead bodies. Tian 14 was dumbfounded, unsure of what to do next. At that moment, Tianheng appeared, directly announcing, we're closing for today. Come back tomorrow to cash in your gold coins. Unexpectedly, Shenlang wanted to take the gamblers to Tianheng's other casinos to continue. Tianheng could only announce, all other casinos are also temporarily closed. Who knew how much pain Tianheng felt when he made this decision? These 5 casinos accounted for more than 60% of his daily income. Now that they are all closed, the daily losses are known only to the heavens. Tianheng regretted not having dealt with Shenlang permanently before. Even so, he did not plan to compromise with Shenlang and break 13's legs. However, Tianheng's troubles were just beginning because these casinos were not solely his. Previously, in search of protection, he agreed to give 20% of the income to the Zhang family, and the Su family, acting as agents for the Zhangs, demanded Tianheng agree to Shenlang's terms. Tianheng roared with a fierce expression. 13 is one of my most outstanding adopted sons. Breaking his legs would dishearten my men and ruin my reputation. However, a voice came from next door. Agree to it. This voice was from Zhang Ji. Don't delay. Every day you delay, you're losing money. Better to agree sooner than later. I promise you, one day, we will kill Shenlang, and then you can take your revenge. Shenlang is just a small fry. Our real target is the Count's mansion. Once we take down the Count's mansion, reclaim its lands and military power, the position of deputy lord will be yours. Tianheng's fists bled from the force of his grip. His teeth clenched so tightly that his gums bled. Shaking all over, he pondered for a long time, and eventually agreed. Soon after, Tianheng returned to Fortune Casino. I agree to publicly break Tian 13's legs. Now disperse. Stop causing trouble. Unexpectedly, Shenlang stated, the conditions have changed. Your other adopted son, Tian 14, yelled at me wanting to hit me, pointing at my head with his finger. So, his arms and legs need to be broken too. Hearing Shenlang's words, Tianheng felt a surge of blood rush to his brain. Seeing Tianheng not speaking, Shenlang stated, if you don't agree, I'll change the conditions again. Then, it will be to break the legs of everyone who has ever visited my house. Tianheng could no longer restrain himself and charged at Shenlang, instantly grabbing Shenlang forcefully, one hand on his head and the other on his waist, directly tearing Shenlang in half. Tianheng laughed maniacally in his frenzy. However, all this was just Tianheng's imagination. He didn't want to compromise, but he had no choice. Tianheng looked at Shenlang for a long time before agreeing. Fine, I will break Tian 13's legs and Tian 14's arms and legs in public. But Tianheng still underestimated Shenlang's ruthlessness. Not only that, but you must also completely expel them from the Black Clothes Gang, and they are not to be visited. Left to fend for themselves. If they are not miserable enough by then, I will come to trouble you again. Tianheng, collapsing, held his head in his hands. I agree to to all your conditions, all of them. Moments later, at the entrance of Fortune Casino, Tian 13 and Tian 14 were tied up for public viewing. Tianheng spoke with righteous indignation. Tian 13, Tian 14, you are my adopted sons. How much have I valued you? But because you harbored personal grudges against Master Shenlang and acted behind my back for revenge, you nearly caused a great disaster. Master Shenlang is not only the son-in-law of the mythical turtle count's mansion, but also a close friend of mine, Tianheng. How could you two traitors afford to offend him? If I do not punish severely, how can I uphold family discipline? A thick and hard stick was handed to him. Tianheng whispered to 13, do not blame your father. 13 did not respond, turning his head away, which angered Tianheng. Are you trying to turn against me? The next moment, Tianheng raised the stick and fiercely smashed it down on his legs. With a crack, 13's legs were broken from start to finish. 13 just let out a low grunt without screaming in agony. The onlookers were stunned. Tianheng then turned his gaze to Tian 14. He picked up the stick and ruthlessly smashed it down on Tian 14's legs. Then, with another fierce strike, Tian 14's arms were brutally broken, resulting in compound fractures. Tian 14 let out an incredibly piercing scream, chilling to the bone, and then he fainted. The faces of everyone around twitched, especially the warriors of the Black Clothes gang. Tianheng's other adopted sons felt a chill run down their spines. It was a case of one's misfortune affecting others. How loyal 13 and Tian 14 had been, and yet, at the first sign of trouble, they were the first to be sacrificed. They all couldn't help but wonder if they would be next. From then on, Tianheng's prestige greatly diminished, losing the hearts of the Black Clothes gang. After breaking the legs of his two adopted sons, Tianheng asked Shenlang, are you satisfied now? Shenlang gave a wicked smile. I am satisfied, but there's still some loose ends to tie up. Tianheng's face drastically changed. I've publicly broken the legs of two adopted sons, and you tell me it's not over yet? Shenlang pointed with his finger and retorted to Tianheng, you still owe me 19,000 gold coins. Tianheng was furious. I've already lost tens of thousands of gold coins. Where am I supposed to find so much more for Shenlang? Tianheng was furious with no word to vent. Shenlang continued with an irritating expression. How about this? You first give me 2,000 gold coins, and for the remaining 17,000, write an IOU. How about that? These words instantly made Tianheng's anger surge. 2,000 gold coins were already the last of Fortune Casino's cash flow. Shenlang kept urging him to pay up quickly. Leader Tian, let's settle this matter quickly. Otherwise, I really fear one day I won't be able to control my legs and will find myself unintentionally walking into your casino again. It's getting late. My wife is really getting anxious. The food will not taste good once it's cold. These words completely broke Tianheng's last nerve. He picked up a stick, unable to bear it any longer, and swung it fiercely at Shenlang, aiming to crush his head. However, in reality, this was all just in Tianheng's imagination. Then, one of his adopted sons handed him a note. Tianheng saw that. The note's content was, agree to what Shenlang said. Give him the money. The mythical turtle count's family is strict. They will not tolerate the dirty money won from the casino. The count will deal with him in time. Tianheng looked towards the second floor, understanding it was an order from Zhang Ji. Furious, Tianheng snapped the stick in his hand. Gritting his teeth, he agreed to Shenlang's demand and ordered his adopted son to bring out the gold coins. Moments later, 2 boxes of gold coins and an IOU were placed before Shenlang, but everyone knew that the IOU was unlikely to be repaid. Shenlang took the IOU, glanced at it, then opened the boxes filled with gold coins. The dazzling golden light almost blinded everyone around. Seeing this, Tianheng sneered in his heart. As long as Shenlang takes this money, the more triumphant he is now, the worse it will be when he returns to the Count's mansion. This will irreversibly damage the Count's mansion's reputation. Unexpectedly, Shenlang's expression suddenly turned righteous. He accused Tianheng with moral high ground. Since you opened this casino, how many people have been ruined, their families torn apart? I, Shenlang, regard money as dirt. I didn't come to the casino to win money, but to seek justice for everyone. My father-in-law, the Count, has always said to love the people as one's children. Saying this, Shenlang grabbed a handful of gold coins and scattered them towards the surrounding crowd. I, Shenlang, will not take a single gold coin. All will be given back to the people. Immediately, the crowd went absolutely wild, scrambling for the gold coin Shenlang had thrown. Tianheng watched the scene, his eyes nearly popping out. The man was truly about to explode. Not only did he force me to break my adopted son's legs, but he also used my money to win over the hearts of the people. This is not only an insult to my character, but also an insult to my intelligence. Tianheng was already holding back frustration, and at this point, he could no longer bear it, directly vomiting blood from anger. Inside Fortune Casino, Zhang Ji, witnessing this scene, was somewhat surprised by Shenlang's tactics, but the next moment, he curled his lips into a smile. He cryptically said to Mayor Lu, with the situation now so chaotic, isn't it especially easy for Shenlang to suffer a sudden misfortune? Mayor Lu clearly understood Zhang Ji's implication. With the crowd fighting over the gold coins below, if a stampede occurred, it wouldn't be traced back to them, and if Shenlang accidentally got trampled, it would seem like an accident. It would be blamed on Shenlang being too ostentatious. Mayor Lu, with a smile, stated, if it's a stampede, it's normal for many people to die, dozens or even hundreds. By then, Shenlang and the Count's mansion would both be hard-pressed to escape blame. Zhang Ji was shocked by Mayor Lu's ruthlessness. But what's a few deaths? As long as we achieve our goals? Outside, thousands of people were still cheering, shouting long live Shenlang. However, in the chaos, people arranged by Zhang Ji silently merged into the crowd. Once they got close to Shenlang, they planned to first push away the 4 guards around him, then knock Shenlang to the ground and cause a major disturbance, initiating a stampede. Shenlang sensed the danger immediately. With his keen mind, he could clearly remember many faces, and those he focused on had appeared at his wedding. Obviously not Tianheng's men. Shenlang quickly guessed their intentions, so he clapped his hands forcefully and shouted, quiet. Everyone stop moving. Faced with Shenlang distributing gold coins, his influence was at its peak, immediately silencing the crowd as they looked toward Shenlang. Shenlang, holding an empty box, announced, all my gold coins have been distributed. However, those few people arranged by Zhang Ji were still shouting to grab the gold coins, which seemed particularly conspicuous. innocuous. Shenlang smiled inwardly, just as I suspected. The next moment, Shenlang took out the IOU from Tianheng, declaring, I also do not want the 17,000 gold coins. This is all your hard-earned money. So, I will hand over this IOU to the mayor, letting the mayor recover the debt for you, to be used entirely for aiding the poor families of mythical Turtle City. Instantly, the crowd erupted in cheers, seeing those few men, still pretending to be part of the crowd and pushing towards him. Shenlang immediately ran towards the second floor of Fortune Casino. He had used his X-ray vision earlier to see Mayor Lu was upstairs. At the same time, Mayor Lu upstairs was shocked. Shenlang was actually dragging him into this. Just as he thought of escaping through the back door, Shenlang had already reached the second floor. He grabbed Mayor Lu and brought him to the window, calling the countless people outside to look their way. In that instant, the few men outside ceased their actions, daring not to cause any more disturbances. Then, under the gaze of countless people, Shenlang handed the IOU to Mayor Lu. With a tone full of righteousness, he stated, I may be of humble status, but you, Mayor, as the leader of this city, if you stand up to recover the debt for the countless poor, surely Tianheng would not dare to default. Upon hearing this, Mayor Lu was completely stunned. The IOU was originally just a piece of waste paper, and now he was actually expected to repay the debt. At this moment, Mayor Lu felt that Shenlang was a venomous snake that devoured men without owing anything. If he refused to take the IOU, his reputation would be completely ruined. With a convulsion in his heart, he put on a smile, insincerely assuring Shenlang, I will certainly not fail his trust. Shenlang also announced this result to the crowd. It's getting late. I shall take my leave now. Countless people shouted Shenlang's name. From this day forward, the entire mythical Turtle City would be filled with legends about him. Meanwhile, at the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, Father Jean paced back and forth, repeatedly asking his servants, has Shenlang returned yet? He was worried about Shenlang's safety. After all, Tianheng had the cunning Mayor Lu and the ruthless Zhang Ji behind him. Mother Jean signaled Father Jean not to worry too much. Shenlang has us, the Count's mansion, backing him. Tianheng wouldn't dare to go too far. At that moment, a servant returned with news. Father Jean, anxious, asked, how did it go? How much did Shenlang lose? Did Tianheng lay a hand on him? Jean Hui, a skilled servant, reported loudly, no, he bankrupted Tianheng instead. In front of everyone, he broke the legs of Tian 13 and Tian 14, making Tianheng vomit blood from anger. Upon hearing this, everyone present was utterly astounded. Shenlang is just one person, yet he managed to deal with Tianheng, a local snake, and his backing forces. Afterwards, the skilled individual reported in detail to Father Jean about the entire situation, including Shenlang's tactical wit and ability to turn situations around. Father Jean was amazed by Shenlang's actions and relieved that he maintained the reputation of their Count's mansion. However, Father Jean also felt apprehensive. Today's situation, although this young rascal won, it was too risky. Father Jean decided to discipline Shenlang a bit, fearing he would become even more reckless in the future. So, when Shenlang returned sneakily, Father Jean had been waiting for a long time. Oh, the gambling god is back. Shenlang was instantly taken aback. Father-in-law, you, a dignified count, actually hid behind the door to ambush me? Regardless, Shenlang quickly admitted his fault, and Father Jean began to loudly scold him. However, before he could say much, Shenlang bowed again in apology, mainly acting obedient. Clearly, Father Jean did not want to let Shenlang off so easily, but Shenlang kept admitting his mistakes promptly, leaving Father Jean speechless. At that moment, Mother Jean came out to mediate. Shenlang's intentions were good. Stop scolding him. Then, pretending to be angry, she said, Shenlang, you must not go to casinos anymore, or I will have to punish you. After saying this, she showed concern for Shenlang. Are you hungry? Do you want to go eat? Father Jean was speechless. Is that it? You're usually quite strict with your own son, quick to discipline. Why do you soften up with your son-in-law? Annoyed and unable to let it go, Father Jean grabbed Shenlang's hand, telling him, starting today, you are grounded again. You can move around inside the mansion, but you are not to step outside the Count's mansion. Shenlang was taken aback, timidly asking, what conditions do I need to meet to be allowed out? Father Jean said flatly, none. When you've learned to behave and improve yourself, then you'll be released. Shenlang was stunned again. I didn't expect that just one day out, though it was a spectacular day. I wouldn't want to be confined. Father Jean was actually doing it for Shenlang's own good. In case Tianheng and his group really took drastic actions, it would be too late to protect him. So, deciding to be thorough, Father Jean ordered everyone, keep an eye on Shenlang. He must not go out. Everyone responded in unison. Shenlang really felt like crying now. Today, I was on a roll, dominating, only to come home and be put in solitary. Seeing Shenlang dispirited, Father Jean was satisfied. My goal has been achieved, but Father Jean still felt something was missing. Not long after, screams could be heard from a room in the Count's mansion. It turned out that Jean Mulan's brother once again suffered a loving mixed doubles punishment, because Shenlang's clever and outstanding performance made their own son seem even more foolish by comparison. On the other hand, when Shenlang returned to the courtyard, he found Jean Mulan wearing a suit of armor. Curious, Shenlang asked Jean Mulan, why are you wearing armor at home? The answer he got was that Jean Mulan was afraid something would happen to Shenlang, ready to lead troops into the city to rescue him. Shenlang was surprised at this, and also felt warmed by it. He decided to help Jean Mulan remove the armor before they went to eat together. Jean Mulan did not refuse, opening her arms to let Shenlang help her. After removing Jean Mulan's armor, Shenlang's breathing became somewhat rapid. Seeing Jean Mulan's snake-like waist, her powerful long legs, and her explosive figure, Shenlang was utterly fascinated. He quickly calmed himself down and thanked Jean Mulan. Jean Mulan shook her head with a smile, indicating it was nothing. I am proud of your performance today, Shenlang, but in the future, you must think carefully before acting. Moved by the moment, Shenlang wrapped his arms tightly around Jean Mulan from behind. Jean Mulan was slightly startled. Feeling Shenlang so close to her, her cheeks began to blush, but she did not resist, touched by Shenlang's tender gesture. However, in less than 3 seconds, Jean Mulan felt Shenlang's hands sliding down. Jean Mulan instantly turned around, grabbing Shenlang's hands. Husband, where are you putting your hands? Shenlang immediately responded, I can't be blamed for this. Blame your skin for being too smooth. Making my hands slide down down on their own. It was completely unintentional. Next time, I'll chop off my hands. Hearing Shenlang's feeble excuse, Jean Mulan simply said, don't let it happen again. But soon after, Shenlang's hands began to wander again. Jean Mulan directly grabbed Shenlang's hand and pressed it on the table. Looking at Shenlang, she said, maybe it's better if you didn't have this hand. Shenlang, with all seriousness, claimed, how can you take a man's word seriously? I was just speaking off the cuff. Jean Mulan, feeling helpless at his words, did not really intend to pursue it further. She sat aside, letting Shenlang eat. After finishing the meal, Jean Mulan put her armor back on. Seeing this, Shenlang asked, where are you going? Jean Mulan explained, I'm leading the cavalry to patrol the night. Patrolling the coastline. She waved her hand, bidding goodbye to Shenlang, telling him to stay at home and not cause trouble. Meanwhile, Jean Muzong, who had received the loving mixed doubles punishment, was taking arithmetic lessons. Although the imperial examinations in the Great Yu Kingdom did not include arithmetic, noble families placed great importance on it. This was because arithmetic was very practical and could also train the practitioner's thinking. The tutor was Su Wenjiao, the most famous arithmetic master in mythical Turtle City, who also served as the chief steward within the count's mansion, responsible for settling all financial and material accounts. At this moment, Jean Muzong was very uncomfortable. His parents had beaten him without explanation, leading him to wonder if he was even their biological child. Su Wenjiao said, the reason you were beaten is because of Shenlang. Jean Muzong was surprised. Su Wenjiao reiterated Shenlang's previous image. Because you are underperforming, your sister Jean Mulan had to marry that useless man. And today's beating is because Shenlang went to the casino. Unable to vent their frustration on Shenlang, they took it out on you. Hearing this, Jean Muzong's face darkened. At that moment, Su Wenjiao subtly signaled to a servant nearby. The servant immediately told Jean Muzong, today, I saw Binger crying secretly. When asked, she wouldn't say why. The implication was that Shenlang had harassed Binger, instantly enraging Jean Muzong, who always regarded Binger as a sister, and he immediately prepared to teach Shenlang a lesson. Made Binger took the initiative to come to Shenlang's room, informing Shenlang that Jean Muzong was looking to beat him up. Shenlang was surprised. As Jean Muzong lost his mind, Binger suggested that Shenlang should go out and hide, and she would immediately inform the Lady Countess. However, Shenlang took Binger's hand in his, causing her to blush. It's okay, I have my ways. Binger naturally didn't believe him. Her face flushed as she tried to push Shenlang away, worried that Shenlang would really get beaten up. However, Shenlang just brushed Binger off. Okay, I got it. This left Binger infuriated as she walked out the door, still deciding to inform the lady of the house. Moments later, Jean Muzong arrived at Shenlang's door with people, fiercely demanding Shenlang to come out and take his beating. But despite Jean Muzong's loud calls, he received no response from Shenlang. Annoyed, Jean Muzong pushed the door open, only to see Shenlang writing something on the wall. After questioning, he learned Shenlang was writing down names. Jean Muzong, puzzled, asked Shenlang, what are you doing writing these names? Shenlang ominously stated, these are my enemies. I'm afraid I might forget them, so I'm writing their names on the wall to remind myself to seek revenge. He drew a large cross over the names of 13 and Tian 14. Seeing this, Jean Muzong asked what that meant. As Shenlang descended the stairs, he explained, I've already taken care of these two. Then, seeming to have red in his eyes, he told Jean Muzong sinisterly, to ensure I don't forget my revenge, I recite these names 3 times every morning and 3 times every night before I sleep. Jean Muzong shuddered uncontrollably. What kind of grudge is this? Shenlang, with a chilling air, stated, Tian 13 once threatened me, so I had Tianheng break his legs. Those legs of his were broken into 5 or 6 pieces. As for Tian 14, the grudge is even deeper. Not only did he threaten me, but he also pointed at my head. I hate nothing more than someone pointing at my head in this life. So, both his arms and legs were broken, completely shattered. Jean Muzong was instantly petrified. Just for that bit of grudge, you had someone's arms and legs broken? Are you a devil? At that moment, Jean Muzong felt a chill run down his scalp. If I hit Shenlang, wouldn't I be torn to pieces by him? Seeing the sinister Shenlang, Jean Muzong was genuinely scared. Shenlang inquired, so, what did you want with me? Jean Muzong hastily said, nothing, I was just full and wandering around. Shenlang, stroking his chin, countered, why did I seem to hear someone saying they wanted to beat me just now? Jean Muzong was immediately scared stiff. No, who said that? Who dares to hit the Count's mansion's son-in-law, looking for death? Then, he hurriedly fled. Shenlang couldn't help but laugh inwardly, such a coward. However, the moment Jean Muzong ran out, he bumped into his most feared entity, his mother. Mother Jean immediately grabbed Jean Muzong by the ear. This rebellious child actually dared to come to hit Shenlang. Jean Muzong knew he was doomed. This time he would definitely be beaten to the point of lying in bed for half a month. At this moment, Shenlang came out. Mother Jean, fuming, assured Shenlang, I will definitely take revenge for you. Unexpectedly, Shenlang said, Jean Muzong was just coming to chat with me, not to fight. Mother Jean was surprised. Really? Shenlang nodded affirmatively. Seeing this, Mother Jean swung her hand and slapped the back of Jean Muzong's head, scolding Jean Muzong, look how good your brother-in-law is to you, even pleading on your behalf. Then, turning to Shenlang, you don't have to plead for my foolish son. She then turned around, pulled out a whip, and was about to strike Jean Muzong. Shenlang quickly stepped forward to stop her. Mother-in-law, please, don't harm your health over this. The crown prince is straightforward and honest. How about I talk to him? Mother Jean, upon hearing this, refrained from hitting. Shenlang is indeed filial. Teach my son a good lesson for me. If he doesn't listen, feel free to hit him. Later, inside Shenlang's room, Jean Muzong was immensely grateful to Shenlang. If there's anything you need, just ask me. Shenlang glanced at him, then tell me, who encouraged you to come? Jean Muzong shrunk his head and vigorously shook it, saying, no way, I'm a man of loyalty. I can't betray. Shenlang figured out why his mother-in-law always hit him, being sold out and still helping the seller count the money without knowing. Though foolish, the loyalty he showed was something Shenlang appreciated. He didn't inquire further and decided to investigate on his own. After sending Jean Muzong away, Shenlang closed all the doors, then took out a bag of moldy wheat, scraping off the ergot fungus from it bit by bit. Anyone knowledgeable would be shivering, not knowing what Shenlang planned to do with this dangerous substance. The next morning, Jean Mulan still hadn't returned returned. Binger assisted Shenlang with his washing. During this, Shenlang noticed Binger's attitude towards him had improved significantly. He couldn't help but start thinking, Binger, do you know why white tigers are rare and precious? Binger thought for a moment, because most tigers are yellow, but at that moment, Shenlang had hidden behind the door, explaining to Binger, no, it's because time is precious, and gold cannot buy time. Binger was utterly confused after hearing Shenlang, clearly not understanding what he was talking about. Seeing that his attempt at humor had no effect, Shenlang felt helpless. She's too innocent. I was even afraid of getting hit by Binger, had even prepared to run away. Binger decided, I'll ask the missus what it means tonight. Shenlang felt a tingling in his scalp, but Jean Mulan is so innocent, she probably won't understand either. So, I probably won't get beaten. After breakfast, Shenlang received another task from his father-in-law, which was to study. Shenlang was speechless. I'm already well learned. What more is there to study? But father-in-law is still angry. Shenlang decided to go through the motions. The Count's mansion had its own school, with over 100 students. When Shenlang entered, the classroom became lively instantly, with undisguised hostility and jealousy in their eyes. The reason was simple. Shenlang had married Jean Mulan, the dream girl of all the boys. A few of them exchanged glances, and then surrounded Shenlang, planning to beat him up. At this moment, Jean Mutsong came to Shenlang's side, putting an arm around Shenlang's shoulder, defending him. This is my brother-in-law. Show some respect, or beware I might start hitting people. The group dispersed, but the looks they gave Shenlang were still full of challenge. So, when the class officially started, facing the old master's pop quiz on I Ching, Shenlang could easily recite and explain its meanings. The old master, unconvinced, asked a few more questions, which Shenlang all explained with ease. The old master was slightly surprised. Wasn't Shenlang said to be a good-for-nothing? However, Shenlang's explanations were affirmed by the old master, astonishing everyone else. Then, the old master asked several more questions, and Shenlang answered fluently. His interpretations and references perfectly addressed the old master's queries, some answers even exceeding the old master's knowledge, which he hadn't considered could be explained that way. This made Shenlang increasingly appreciated by the old master. Shenlang is a genius. I must report this to the Count. We cannot allow Shenlang's talents to be buried. Upon entering the arithmetic class, Su Wenjiao immediately noticed Shenlang. Shenlang, with his keen senses, detected a deep hostility from Su Wenjiao towards him. This puzzled Shenlang. I've never even interacted with this person. Could it be jealousy like those others? But he's over 50. It's not likely he harbors fantasies about Jean Mulan. Shenlang decided to observe quietly. As Su Wenjiao began his lecture, Shenlang found it incredibly dull. The content was too elementary, practically at a primary school level. Naturally, Shenlang fell asleep, which immediately caught Su Wenjiao's attention. He approached Shenlang and shouted, Shenlang, stand up. He even prepared to punish Shenlang by hitting his palms. Shenlang frowned. Aren't others asleep as well? This confirmed Shenlang's suspicion. Such targeting. I must be blocking his path. Could it be possible that Su Wenjiao is a relative of one of the 5 suitors Jean Mulan initially had? Seeing Shenlang remain unmoved, Su Wenjiao grabbed Shenlang's wrist, ready to discipline him. Shenlang calmly stated, I already know what you are teaching. This response infuriated Su Wenjiao, daring to talk back. Not only will I hit your palms, but you will also kneel for 3 hours in front of Confucius. Shenlang looked coldly at Su Wenjiao. I respectfully decline. Upon hearing Shenlang's words, the audience was impressed by Shenlang's boldness, while also watching him with a sense of schadenfreude. Su Wenjiao, flushed with anger and his blood boiling, exclaimed, Shenlang, you're ignorant and yet you dare to defy your teacher. I'm going to report this to the Count's mansion. With that, he slammed his ruler onto the desk, breaking it in half, and left the classroom, obviously to seek the Count. Jean Mutsong turned pale and told Shenlang, if your father finds out, you'll be beaten severely. Expect to lie in bed for half a month. Shenlang, hearing this, asked back, was it Su Wenjiao who instigated you yesterday? Jean Mutsong shook his head, feigning ignorance. No, I can't say. To say would be disloyal. Alright, with that expression on Jean Mutsong's face, Shenlang already knew. So, Shenlang asked Jean Mutsong, is he related to any of the 5 suitors Jean Mulan originally had? After thinking, Jean Mutsong said, yes, he's the uncle of Wang Lian's cousin, also a distant relative of his mother. The truth is now clear. He is the uncle of Chief Clerk Wang Lian from the mythical Turtle City Mansion. Had Wang Lian become Jean Mulan's husband, he could have advanced further. My sudden appearance and marriage to Jean Mulan blocked Su Wenjiao's path. No wonder he sees me as a thorn in his side. Soon after, urgent footsteps were heard outside. As expected, Su Wenjiao had brought the Count. He accused Shenlang of disrespecting his elders and tarnishing the Count's mansion's reputation, urging Father Jean to severely punish Shenlang. However, Shenlang wasn't afraid, though Jean Mutsong was already cowering in fear, used to being beaten. Facing his father-in-law's gaze, Shenlang first expressed his respect for teachers, then said, the content taught by Su Wenjiao was basic, and I had already mastered it. I was not lying. Su Wenjiao became furious. To say that what I taught was simple. Someone who spent 10 years in school barely recognizes a few characters, claims to have learned it all. Ridiculous and laughable. Su Wenjiao then challenged Shenlang. I'll give you 10 problems. You only need to solve 3. If you can't, you'll receive 30 strokes. Do you dare? At this moment, Su Wenjiao was incredibly smug, already anticipating Shenlang's miserable state. After all, arithmetic wasn't taught in other schools, and he didn't believe Shenlang could do it. Naturally, Shenlang accepted the challenge, adding, what if I solve all 10 questions? Su Wenjiao outright said it was impossible. If you manage to answer all of them, I will publicly apologize to Shenlang. Shenlang immediately asked his father-in-law to bear witness. Then Su Wenjiao began preparing the questions, planning to come up with the most difficult ones, hoping Shenlang wouldn't be able to solve any, which would give him a reason to severely punish Shenlang. An hour later, Su Wenjiao, having exhausted his knowledge and effort, presented the completed questions to Shenlang. With only 1 hour to answer, Shenlang glanced at them, his lips curling into a smile. Is this it? Asking a person with a master's degree to solve these 10 arithmetic problems is like using a cleaver to kill a chicken. Look at this first question, asking how many grains of rice are held by 100 people. Isn't this a primary school question? Shenlang easily solved it without much thought. Moving on to the second question, interesting, using equations now, but for Shenlang, it was still very simple. The third question looks like poetry, but it's just a math problem, also too easy. Then, the fourth, fifth, sixth, not a single question was challenging enough for him. When Shenlang looked at the last question, he found it a bit more interesting, even very challenging. A world-class math problem from his previous life, unexpectedly encountered here. A regular person definitely couldn't arrange 16 rows, but Shenlang easily could draw up to 23 rows, which would probably scare Su Wenjiao out of his wits. Shenlang quickly wrote down his answers. None of the questions could stump him. However, others didn't know this, like Su Wenjiao, who was waiting to see Shenlang punished. Father Jean, fearing Shenlang was just scribbling nonsense, which would make it difficult to plead for him later, had a servant call Mother Jean. But within the next hour of the exam, not even 10 minutes had passed before Shenlang handed in his paper, shocking Father Jean and the others. Su Wenjiao took it for review and began marking, and his expression changed the moment he saw it. He found that Shenlang had correctly answered the first question, and from the second to the ninth question, Shenlang's answers were still perfectly correct. Su Wenjiao's face turned hideously twisted, unable to accept that after all his hard thinking, Shenlang had easily solved them. Shenlang, with a light laugh, looked at Su Wenjiao. Did I get them all right? Su Wenjiao immediately looked at Shenlang's answer to the 10th question, convinced that Shenlang couldn't possibly have solved it. But Shenlang's answer nearly made his eyes pop out of their sockets. The question asked how many rows can be formed if 20 trees are planted 4 per row, and Shenlang's answer was an astonishing 23 rows. Considering Su Wenjiao had spent over a decade and had only managed to figure out 14 rows, he wondered, is Shenlang human or a ghost? Doubting his own intelligence and his pride crumbling, Su Wenjiao couldn't admit defeat without losing face. So, he tore Shenlang's paper to shreds, threw it on the ground, and stomped on it, shamelessly berating Shenlang. What a mess you've made. It's utterly unbearable to look at. Seeing this, Shenlang remained unfazed, for he had written 2 copies of his answers. He then handed the answers to the nearby old master for review. Seeing this, Su Wenjiao panicked, while Father Jean stepped in front of him to stop any further actions. Su Wenjiao knew he was finished, internally cursing Shenlang's cunning. The old master, skilled in arithmetic, was stunned after reviewing from start to finish. The most astonishing was the last question. He looked at Shenlang in utter shock, then knelt to Father Jean, saying, "Congratulations, my lord, for having an arithmetic genius. I have never seen nor heard of such talent. The son-in-law's answers are all correct, and his mathematical skills far exceed the limits of these 10 questions. I am humbled by his prowess." He couldn't help but ask Shenlang, "Who did you learn from?" Shenlang, with a slight smirk, boasted in a very Versailles manner, "I taught myself. Isn't arithmetic quite simple?" This boastful statement made even Father Jean want to punch someone. The next moment, Shenlang's gaze turned to Su Wenjiao, trying to sneak away. "Where are you going? You just made a bet to apologize to me." Su Wenjiao instantly felt a wave of heat over his body, unable to swallow his pride and wanting to leave. At this moment, Father Jean spoke. "A teacher must set an example." Mother Jean also entered. "One must take responsibility for their actions. A promise made must be kept." Seeing this, Shenlang secretly smiled. Su Wenjiao is a distant relative of my mother-in-law, essentially his backer. Now that she has spoken, it's like publicly slapping Su Wenjiao's face. Grinding his teeth and with a flushed face, Su Wenjiao apologized to Shenlang, prompting everyone to watch gleefully. Su Wenjiao, red-faced and as if his hair was on fire from the embarrassment, felt like his heart was about to explode with rage. Unable to stay a moment longer, he turned and left, harboring resentment against Shenlang. The students, witnessing this, looked at Shenlang with admiration. However, Father Jean, with a stern face, approached Shenlang. "Extend your hand." Reluctantly, Shenlang stretched out his palm, and a smack resounded. Father Jin's intention was to keep Shenlang from becoming arrogant, to prevent him from getting too carried away. Later that night, in a secluded courtyard, Su Wenjiao, cloaked in a black robe and holding a box, knocked on a door. Upon seeing the door open, he presented the box, saying, "This is my humble tribute to young Master Zhang Ji over the past 6 months." He also took out a scroll from his robe, which contained the financial information of the Count's mansion. Su Wenjiao had betrayed the Count's mansion to secure his son's success in the martial examinations. Not long after Su Wenjiao returned home, he found Tianheng appearing in his house. Tianheng cut straight to the point. "Do you want to get rid of Shenlang?" Su Wenjiao naturally did, but the Count is very satisfied with Shenlang. "It's not easy to take action, is it?" Tianheng offered Su Wenjiao a strategy. Use public opinion. Spread rumors that Shenlang is pretending to be weak but has huge ambitions, portraying Shenlang as aiming for power and Jin Mutsong as incompetent by creating the illusion that Shenlang wants to seize power. Once everyone believes it, Shenlang can be taken down without bloodshed. Upon hearing this, Su Wenjiao agreed to collaborate with Tianheng. Meanwhile, outside the Count and Countess's chamber, Shenlang came to knock on the door. Father Jean came out, furious, looking at Shenlang. "Can't this wait until tomorrow?" Mother Jean pinched Father Jean, then asked Shenlang, "What's the matter?" Clearly, Shenlang realized he had interrupted Father Jin's leisure, apologized, and then went straight to the point. "I suspect Su Wenjiao of embezzlement and wish to examine his accounts. His annual salary is only 200 gold coins, yet his sons are decked in gold and silver, and he owns many properties in mythical Turtle City, far exceeding what his salary could afford." Father Jean slammed the table, not wanting Shenlang to continue causing a rift, and told him, "Too clear water harbors no fish." Shenlang responded, "What if the embezzled money far exceeds your expectation and tolerance?" Mother Jean asked Shenlang, "Do you have evidence?" Shenlang presented 2 account books, indicating they recorded Su Wenjiao's severe corruption, and these were just 2 of them. Father Jean was curious about where Shenlang got the account books. Shenlang coughed lightly, saying he had Jin Mutsong fetch them. The Count and Countess couldn't help but cover their faces, imagining how Shenlang had directed their naive son. Mother Jean then looked at Father Jean. "It's good to check. His status should not be a concern." Hearing his wife say so, Father Jean agreed, but there are 3 conditions. First, you must investigate with the old master. Second, the findings must first be brought to me for handling. Third, Su Wenjiao is not at home now. You must stop once he returns and and cannot confront him directly. Father Jean truly didn't want to be the villain. After all, Su Wenjiao had served him for decades. Upon hearing this, Shenlang internally sighed. My father-in-law is too kind-hearted. Well, I'll be the villain then. Watching Shenlang leave, Mother Jean embraced Father Jean. Stop worrying. Let's go back to our room and continue what we were doing. Shenlang then headed to the accounting office, stunned by the mountainous piles of account books before him. The old master explained, these are the account books of over 20 years. How could there not be many? It would take several months to go through them all, needing at least a dozen people. But you only have one night. The attendant who opened the door for us just now is Su Wenjiao's trusted apprentice. By dawn, the news could reach Su Wenjiao's ears. Once Su Wenjiao returns, he will take back control of the accounts. The count is lenient and will not refuse. Shenlang was unfazed. Old master, just find me an assistant to help pick out the key account books. They could never have predicted Shenlang's advantage with his intelligence. The accounting work, which would typically require dozens of people several months to complete, was quickly sorted and summarized in Shenlang's mind. The amount of Su Wenjiao's embezzlement shocked Shenlang. While Shenlang was auditing, Su Wenjiao also received a message from a servant. Rushing back to the count's mansion in panic, he couldn't believe Shenlang dared to audit his accounts. If I don't teach Shenlang a lesson, my name isn't Su Wenjiao. So, when Su Wenjiao returned to the count's mansion, he knelt before Father Jean. Lord Count, do you not trust me anymore? I've worked diligently for the count's mansion for over 20 years. Now, Lord Shen is auditing my accounts. Such actions are a huge insult to me. He then threatened to crash into a wall to prove his innocence. The steward Jean stopped Su Wenjiao, who then collapsed on the ground, sobbing. I have been so loyal. There's no one in the count's mansion more loyal than me. If you still don't believe me, you can take out my heart and see. Father Jean sighed, instructing steward Jean to call Shenlang back and to stop the audit. At this moment, Su Wenjiao, seemingly crying on the surface, felt triumph inside, unaware that his nightmare was about to begin. Next, Su Wenjiao began to bite back, claiming Shenlang harbored great ambitions, a rumor spreading outside mythical Turtle City. Hearing this, Father Jean became displeased. He was very fond of Shenlang. Despite Shenlang's propensity for trouble, Father Jean could tell whether he had ambitions. As Su Wenjiao continued to speak ill of Shenlang, Shenlang was brought in. Seeing this, Su Wenjiao immediately started to accuse Shenlang. Shenlang, with a light laugh, approached Su Wenjiao and said something that made Su Wenjiao's scalp tingle. Su Wenjiao, I never thought you could embezzle so much. Su Wenjiao was shocked internally, but remained defiant, demanding Shenlang to reveal the exact amount. Doubting Shenlang could audit over 20 years of accounts in one night, Shenlang stated deliberately, 30,000 gold coins. This amount made Su Wenjiao's eyes nearly pop out. Shenlang loudly questioned Su Wenjiao, have you no conscience? Can you justify the trust my in-laws placed in you? 30,000 gold coins could cover the count's mansion's military salaries for a year. In this world, a normal family laboring for a year could not save up 2 gold coins, illustrating the enormity of the embezzlement. Father Jean was also utterly shocked. He knew Su Wenjiao was corrupt, but never imagined it to this extent. Su Wenjiao, forcing himself to remain calm, knelt before Father Jean, alleging that Shenlang was slandering him, as if pushing him towards death. Shenlang told him it was useless to shout, then angrily rebuked Su Wenjiao. You've got some nerve, even daring to meddle with the military. The number of soldiers hasn't increased, yet the expenses keep rising. Su Wenjiao retorted, that's because of the rise in prices. Shenlang then asked him, then where do the annually depreciated horses, armor, and weapons go? Su Wenjiao trembled and said, they were melted down and remade. Shenlang snorted coldly, then why haven't I seen an increase in iron production? Instead, it's decreasing, and even the salt from the count's mansion is diminishing. On the contrary, the production of sacks and bamboo frames has greatly increased. Why is that? Faced with Su Wenjiao, who couldn't answer, Shenlang answered for him. It's because Su Wenjiao used sacks and bamboo baskets to carry away the iron and salt. Su Wenjiao, sweating coldly from being questioned, still refused to admit it. He loudly argued that Shenlang had no evidence. Shenlang directly threw out an account book. This was what he had made overnight. The account book organized by Shenlang allowed Father Jean to clearly understand the expenditures and income. Then he was shocked again. Like buying wine and taking kickbacks, among other things, there were plenty. The more Father Jean read, the angrier he became. He asked the steward to bring the old master to see if Shenlang's account book was correct. After a moment, the old master looked at Shenlang's account book and was also immensely surprised. He didn't expect Shenlang to have made it in one night, and then confirmed to Father Jean that Shenlang's account was entirely accurate. Su Wenjiao's face turned pale. He knew he couldn't confess his guilt. He had to wait for those big figures behind him to save him. The gold coins he had hidden away were his lifeline. He gritted his teeth and denied everything, accusing Shenlang and others of merely trying to slander him. Then he cried out miserably, Shenlang wants to eliminate those who are different, to lay hands on us old folks of the count's mansion. The accounts are all fabricated by Shenlang. Without solid proof, I would rather die than submit. This ugly scene made Father Jean tremble with anger. Shenlang pulled over a chair and sat in front of Su Wenjiao. I know where the solid evidence is. It's the gold coins that Su Wenjiao embezzled and hid away. Su Wenjiao naturally did not believe. Shenlang was indifferent and asked his father-in-law to take some men with him. The father-in-law then ordered the steward to dispatch 100 cavalry, all to follow Shenlang's arrangements. An hour later, the group arrived at a stone outpost, which was already in a state of semi-abandonment. Seeing this, Su Wenjiao was so scared that he could no longer walk. He couldn't figure out why Shenlang knew about this place. Just as Shenlang was about to take Su Wenjiao inside, an arrow suddenly shot toward Shenlang. The steward instantly stepped in front of Shenlang, breaking the arrow. While cautioning Shenlang to be careful, he quickly ordered his men to clear the area. After a while, they only caught one person inside the outpost. Seeing the face under the black clothes, the steward recognized him. It was Su Wenjiao's son, Su Tian. The steward grabbed his hair and asked what he was doing here. Su Tian said with a light laugh, coming here to play. Is that not allowed? Shenlang glanced at him, then activated his X-ray vision, scanning the surroundings inside and out, quickly locating the place. Shenlang pointed to the cellar, ordering it to be dug up. Soon the cellar was revealed, but it was locked, and not even the soldier's sword swords could break the lock. Shenlang immediately scanned Su Wenjiao with his X-ray vision and found the key hidden in his hair. With a reach and a pull, Shenlang took out the key. Su Wenjiao instantly went mad, cursing Shenlang. "Are you human or a ghost? How could you know this?" Shenlang ignored him, and after unlocking it, he walked straight into the cellar. Soon, the items hidden in the cellar were uncovered. Su Wenjiao's corruption exceeded everyone's expectations. All the boxes in the secret room were filled with gold coins, as well as various jewels, antiques, and paintings. This enraged the steward greatly, and Shenlang also found an account book among them, which was essentially Su Wenjiao's diary of corruption, clearly recording when and how much he embezzled. Now the evidence was irrefutable, solid as a rock. At this moment, a soldier asked, "What about Su Wenjiao's son?" Shenlang stated flatly, "Kill him, burn the body to ashes, and throw it into the sea." Su Tian panicked, pulling out the new policies of the Yu Kingdom, stating that local nobles have no right to kill or threaten. Shenlang just gave him a cold look, drew a soldier's sword, and placed it beside Su Tian's neck. The next moment, blood splattered on Shenlang's indifferent face. As Su Tian convulsed and fell to the ground, the steward was extremely surprised. "Son-in-law, the way you cut down a man feels even more skilled than me." Soon after, the entire convoy returned fully loaded. Shenlang sat in the carriage, looking at his palm. "In this strange world, I finally stained my hands with blood. To live a comfortable life. It's really not easy, but no one can threaten my family. That's my bottom line." After retrieving the gold coins embezzled by Su Wenjiao, it caused a great uproar in the count's mansion. A total of 11,000 gold coins were found in the cellar, along with 52 famous paintings and calligraphies, and 5 boxes of jade and jewels. Just as Su Wenjiao was about to plead for mercy, the always kind Father Jin kicked Su Wenjiao away. "Stop acting." Su Wenjiao then turned to Shenlang to beg for mercy, asking to be spared his life and willing to be a servant. Shenlang looked at him coldly, then turned to Father Jin and said, "Su Wenjiao must die." The old master then said, "Because it's an employment relationship. Under the new policies of the Yu Kingdom, nobles do not have the right to kill him. He must be sent to the Lord's mansion." Shenlang refused. Su Wenjiao embezzled 30,000 gold coins, but only 11,000 were found in the cellar, and his properties are worth about 5,000 gold coins. The rest, needless to say, have already been given to the Lord's mansion and the prefect's mansion in exchange for his son's place in the next martial examination. All these details are recorded in his account book. Father Jin took the account book, looking at it with a face full of rage. "Have I ever wronged you in all these years?" Upon hearing this, Su Wenjiao burst into insane laughter. It turns out Su Wenjiao once wanted to place his son in the Count's mansion's army as a captain in charge of 100 men, but Father Jin refused. However, that was also an opportunity given by Father Jin. Su Wenjiao's son was neither good at literature nor martial arts. How could he make his subordinates convinced? Simply put, he was too useless. Su Wenjiao disdainfully said, "I have been loyal for over 20 years, not even offering my son a future. What's wrong with seeking another path?" This infuriated Father Jin so much that he grabbed a sword, wanting to kill Su Wenjiao. The old master quickly stepped forward to stop him. "If you really strike, you'll give yourself a huge problem." Seeing this, Su Wenjiao started to taunt arrogantly, making Father Jin's eyes turn red with rage. Pushing the old master away, Shenlang quickly stepped forward, saying, "I have a way." Su Wenjiao was no longer afraid, insulting Shenlang like a mad dog. Shenlang looked at him and asked lightly, "Are you afraid of the Su family's family law?" The next moment, the steward came in with several people. Among them was the old patriarch of the Su family. After apologizing to the count, he immediately ordered Su Wenjiao to be taken back and beaten to death. Su Wenjiao struggled and screamed desperately, "Why? I just embezzled. I didn't break any family rules. The family ancestral hall has no right to kill me." Shenlang walked over, smiling softly. "Su Wenjiao, the charge for killing you is not embezzlement, but for seducing your aunt, committing the crime of adultery." Upon hearing this, Su Wenjiao was completely stunned. Shenlang didn't want to say anything more and let the Su family members take Su Wenjiao away. Su Wenjiao became truly frightened, desperately shouting to Shenlang, "I have a big secret. Someone wants to harm you." Shenlang responded with a slight smile, "If someone wants to harm me, I naturally know who it is." A few hours later, Su Wenjiao was stripped clean and, in front of hundreds of people, was beaten to death. At the same time, Father Jin, regarding the great merit Shenlang had established this time, asked Shenlang, "Do you have any rewards you want?" Shenlang immediately said, "To issue an order for Jin Mulan to obediently listen to me. I want to share a bed with Jin Mulan." Of course, this was all Shenlang's fantasy. He then said, "I don't want anything." Upon hearing this, Father Jin stated, "That won't do. You will be in charge of the Count's mansion's accounts from now on." Shenlang hurriedly refused. "I want to go home to visit my parents. Just lift my house arrest." Facing Shenlang, the master of stirring up trouble, Father Jin was genuinely a bit afraid, still not wanting to let Shenlang go out, but he also thought of what to reward Shenlang with, which was 300 mu of good farmland. Just as Shenlang was about to say he didn't want it and only wanted his house arrest lifted, Father Jin, using tiredness as an excuse, walked out saying he was going to sleep. Meanwhile, on the other side, in the courtyard where Jin Mulan was, Binger was attending to Jin Mulan as she bathed. "Miss, the young master is really incredible, defeating and killing a big figure like Su Wenjiao overnight. He even recovered more than 10,000 gold coins for the Count's mansion." Jin Mulan listened with satisfaction, and also reminded Binger, from now on, no one in the mansion is allowed to talk about the young master killing Su Wenjiao and the like. The reason Su Wenjiao died is because he deserved to die. Binger zipped her mouth to indicate she understood. Then Binger remembered something and excitedly asked Jin Mulan, "The young master told me yesterday that the white tiger is the most precious. Miss, do you know why?" Jin Mulan was somewhat curious. "How did you answer?" Binger explained, "I said it was because of the color of the tiger, but the young master said the white tiger is rare because time is precious, and no amount of gold can buy a moment's time. He's just talking nonsense. What does the white tiger have to do with time? Miss, what do you think?" However, at this moment, Jin Mulan was taken aback. It seemed she realized something, instantly blushing from ear to ear. "How did my secret Shenlang know? Could it be that Shenlang spied on me bathing?" But then Jin Mulan thought again. "That's impossible. Shenlang has no martial arts skills. I would have noticed if you were spying on me. Then she asked Binger, where is Shenlang? When Binger saw her mistress, she already understood what Shenlang meant and said with a flushed face, the young master is coming back. Jean Mulan asked Binger to help her dress, assertively stating, I'm going to punish the wicked and promote the good. Remember, Binger, a man must be kept in check. If not managed for 3 days, he'll climb onto the roof to remove tiles. Binger asked in confusion, are you going to hit the young master? Jean Mulan turned around and huffed lightly. Women of the Jean family never hit their husbands. A moment later, Jean Mulan saw Shenlang returning. Jean Mulan pretended to smile and said, my lord, you're back. I was just looking for you for something. Upon hearing Jean Mulan's tender voice, Shenlang immediately sensed a plot and quickly said to Jean Mulan, thank you for your hard work. I won't disturb your rest then. He turned to leave, but Jean Mulan immediately blocked Shenlang's path. My husband, don't go yet. I have a game I want to play with you. Shenlang glanced at Jean Mulan's perfect figure, his face quickly turning red. Clearly, Shenlang's thoughts wandered to things like being tied up with ropes or dripping wax. He asked Jean Mulan eagerly what game it was. Jean Mulan smirked mischievously. It's like Primitive Animals, a game involving intense physical collisions. Shenlang's breathing quickened, but a strong desire to survive made him think he must leave immediately. However, the next second, Shenlang couldn't move. He saw Jean Mulan's fiery figure making a backward movement in front of him, enough to make any normal man's heart explode just by looking. Thus, Shenlang agreed, tempted into playing the game, only to be dominated by Jean Mulan with a full split. His legs forcibly spread to 180 degrees. The agonized Shenlang asked Jean Mulan, weren't we supposed to play a game involving primitive animal collisions? Jean Mulan smiled slightly and said exactly. This game is called the 6 Animal Plays. It's about imitating primitive animals. Your body is still too weak. You need to exercise more. After saying this, Jean Mulan released her hold on Shenlang. Take a rest. We'll do it 10 more times later. Hearing this number, Shenlang wailed in his heart. Is this an attempt on my life? Although he didn't know why, Shenlang decisively admitted his mistake to Jean Mulan. Jean Mulan smiled and indicated to Shenlang, there's no mistake. I was just helping to train your body. Shenlang stated, no matter what happened, it's all my fault. The wife is always right. Hearing this, Jean Mulan looked at Shenlang and asked him, do you really know what you did wrong? Seeing Shenlang nod, Jean Mulan then asked Shenlang, how did you find out my secret? And to use it to tease Binger? Shenlang felt puzzled, but then he remembered the words he teased Binger with yesterday. He instantly understood, and then blood suddenly gushed from his nose. Seeing her husband's expression, Jean Mulan's face turned beet red, wishing she could find a crack to crawl into. She also understood that Shenlang had no idea about her secret. It was completely by accident when he teased Binger. Shenlang gave Jean Mulan a thumbs up. Rest assured, my lady, I will definitely not discriminate against you because of this. After saying this, Shenlang immediately covered his mouth, got too carried away, drifted off. Sure enough, Jean Mulan clenched her fist and said sternly, let's do it 20 more times then. The next moment, the sound of Shenlang screaming like a pig being slaughtered echoed through the courtyard. When night fell, the exhausted Shenlang quickly fell asleep. Jean Mulan walked in at some point. Looking at Shenlang's sleeping posture, she couldn't help but feel a surge of maternal affection. After watching for a while, she gently bent down and kissed Shenlang's face. Then she floated away. However, in his sleep, Shenlang suddenly opened his eyes. It turns out Shenlang wasn't sleeping at all. The sleeping posture was also deliberate. Jean Mulan training me like that today. It would be strange if she didn't feel sorry. Following that, Shenlang not only put on a mask, but also wore gloves. He had a small black bottle in his hand, a hallucinogenic potion extracted from hundreds of pounds of moldy rye. To kill Tianheng, Shenlang needed to retrieve an item from Jean Mulan's room. Meanwhile, in a secret room within the mythical Turtle City, they had already learned of Su Wenjiao's death. They must act quickly to kill Shenlang. At that moment, a confidant came in to report, the governor's envoy is already on the way and will arrive at mythical Turtle City tomorrow. Hearing this, Tianheng and another knew the opportunity to kill Shenlang had come. The city lord instructed Tianheng to prepare everything. They could make their move tomorrow night. However, they were actually targeting the count's mansion, but since Shenlang was causing too much trouble, they decided to kill him first. The next morning at the count's mansion, Jean Mulan got up early to practice martial arts. After half an hour, Jean Mulan prepared to bathe, but when she arrived at the dressing room and looked around, she asked Binger, have you seen a set of blue cloth skirts? Binger said no, just as she was about to help Jean Mulan look for it. Jean Mulan's beautiful face suddenly flushed, obviously thinking of something, and told Binger not to look for it anymore. It must have been left at the barracks and not brought back. Soon after, Jean Mulan and Shenlang finished breakfast. Jean Mulan's face was slightly red, hesitating whether or not to tell Shenlang not to get her skirt too dirty or something like that, but Jean Mulan found she couldn't say a word. At this time, Shenlang showed concern for Jean Mulan. My lady, you've been running around outside for 2 days and nights. You must be exhausted. Would you like me to help loosen your muscles? Jean Mulan straightened up her delicate body and lifted her hair, agreeing to Shenlang's massage. Seeing her smooth and fair neck, Shenlang internally exclaimed at her beauty. Shenlang quickly calmed himself, placed his hands on Jean Mulan's shoulders, and gently applied pressure. Jean Mulan immediately let out a very comfortable moan. She didn't expect Shenlang to actually know how, and to do it so comfortably. There was no helping it. Shenlang's technique was indeed the most professional. After all, he had been a doctor for decades. My lady, you are so tense. Jean Mulan felt as if Shenlang was being lecherous. My lord, even though I don't understand, I know you're being lecherous. If you continue, I will have to ask you to exercise again. Shenlang immediately continued to serve with dedication, showing immense care for Jean Mulan. My lady, could you please not work so hard in the future? It really pains my heart. But Jean Mulan was not swayed. If you're trying to get your confinement lifted, it's impossible. I won't go against my father's words. As soon as Jean Mulan finished speaking, Shenlang's hands had already left Jean Mulan's shoulders, and he ran towards the door, saying he had matters to attend to, and took his leave. This realistic act made Jean Mulan puff up her cheeks. My husband is too pragmatic. If one doesn't do things for you, you immediately change your attitude. It's really annoying, leaving one hanging and then just running off. off. Not long after, Shenlang appeared behind his mother-in-law. His massage techniques had become even more skilled. Not only that, Mother Jin's face was covered with a facial mask made by Shenlang. Mother-in-law, this mask needs to be applied daily, each time for a quarter of an hour. The most important thing for a woman's skin is hydration and sun protection. I only made 10 masks in total, 6 of which I gave to you. What about the remaining 4? Did you give them to Jean Mulan? No, I kept them for myself. Now, you look like you could be Jean Mulan's sister, but that might not be the case in 10 years. Oh, does that mean I will age faster in 10 years? Not necessarily. By then, you might look like her younger sister. There's a term called reverse aging, and it might just happen to you. This amused Mother Jean, who laughed heartily. Women do like to hear such things, but she also understood that Shenlang had something to ask of her. Shenlang then spoke about the confinement order. Immediately, Mother Jean stood up. Alright, I will talk to your father-in-law right now. A quarter of an hour later, Shenlang learned from Manager Jean that his confinement order had been lifted. This established a new order within the Count's mansion. Shenlang listened to Jean Mulan. Jean Mulan listened to Father Jean. Father Jean listened to his wife, and the wife listened to Shenlang. Only Jean Muzong was left out. After leaving the Count's mansion, Shenlang went to a secret forest. Here, he was about to embark on his new world. Big Fool's father, Song Yi, was brought here. Since Big Fool's brother was crippled by Shenlang and could never be healed, fearing retaliation against the Count's mansion, he found Tianheng. The two hit it off immediately, but what happened next was completely unexpected to Song Yi. He didn't expect Tianheng's ruthlessness. Merely accusing Shenlang of causing injury isn't enough. We must claim a life to make Shenlang pay with his own. Unbeknownst to him, his son had already been beaten to death by Tianheng. Tianheng, looking at the grieving Song Yi, countered, which is a greater crime, injuring an innocent youth or causing his death? Murderers must pay with their lives. Prince and commoner alike should be punished equally under the law. Meanwhile, at the location of Big Fool's stepmother, she was so distressed she couldn't eat or drink. My son has been castrated. The Song family will have no descendants. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became, cursing Shenlang until she was parched and took a sip of water. For some reason, the water tasted odd. Then she collapsed onto the table. When she woke up again, the sight before her made her scream. Everything around her had suddenly become terrifying, with ghostly fires burning everywhere. The next moment, a beautiful female ghost emerged, her hair drifting with ghostly flames, frightening stepmother Song to the core. Who are you? The ghostly woman said menacingly. Wicked woman, you actually harmed my Big Fool. You shall die. As she spoke, a ghostly fire appeared in the palm of the ghostly woman and was thrown towards stepmother Song. She instinctively raised her hand to block it, but the ghostly fire ignited on her hand and could not be extinguished no matter what. In a panic, she picked up a cup of water, hoping to douse the ghostly fire, but terrifyingly, the fire did not go out and continued burning, causing her unbearable pain. In fear, stepmother Song desperately pleaded with the ghostly woman. It was his father who abandoned Big Fool, not me. At this point, she realized the ghostly woman was Big Fool's mother before her death. The ghostly woman approached. Her cold hand gently touched the ghostly fire, and it immediately went out. Seeing this, stepmother Song immediately kowtowed and thanked the ghostly woman, repeating her thanks 10 times. The ghostly woman looked at stepmother Song and said, "By heaven's grace, my son did not die. He was saved by a lucky star, but your son has died." Stepmother Song was confused. "My son hasn't died. He was just injured." The ghostly woman laughed. "News of his death will arrive soon, and it will be said that Shenlang killed him. Then you will be asked to go to the Count's mansion to identify Shenlang as the murderer. But it wasn't Shenlang who killed your son. It was your husband and Tianheng." Hearing this, stepmother Song desperately shook her head and shouted, "That's impossible." But with a gesture from the ghostly woman, she found herself unable to move. "Stop moving, or I will kill you. Listen to what I say, and I will spare your life." Stepmother Song hastily agreed. "Shenlang is my son's lucky star, and when Tianheng asks you to identify Shenlang as the murderer, agree to his demands at first. But once you are at the Count's mansion, in front of all the important figures, recant and point the finger at Tianheng. Claim that Tianheng forced you to falsely accuse Shenlang, saying it was he who killed your son." Stepmother Song wanted to refuse. After all, she couldn't afford to offend Tianheng. Suddenly, ghostly fire surged around the ghostly woman. "If you harm Shenlang, I will drag you to the 18th level of hell and have you chopped into pieces and fried alive. Do you want to die?" This frightened stepmother Song so much that she lost control of her expression. But the next second, the ghostly fire disappeared. "You can survive, as long as you do as I say. The Count's mansion will protect you. After Tianheng is dead, you can go home, and I will reward you with 300 gold coins. With this money, you can remarry and live a life 100 times better than now." Then, the ghostly woman threw her ghostly fire underneath stepmother Song's bed. "There's a down payment of 30 gold coins under there. After you identify Tianheng, the remaining 300 gold coins will naturally appear again. Whether you live or die, whether you enjoy wealth and honor, or suffer in the 18th level of hell, is all up to you." With that, she disappeared. When stepmother Song woke up again, her head was splitting with pain, but she noticed burn marks on her arm, proving that what happened was not a dream. She immediately looked under the bed, grabbed a small shovel, and dug underneath, and she was stunned. Not only were there gold coins under the bed, but they were also encased in ice. Considering it was summer, where did the ice come from? Moreover, there were words carved on the ice, which made stepmother Song even more convinced. She continuously kowtowed to the ghostly woman, promising to do as told. Then she found the ice melting, which made her extremely happy, believing it to be the ghostly woman's response. Meanwhile, in a corner, Shenlang took off the blue dress. It turns out the ghostly woman was him in disguise. Using a hallucinogenic potion he made to give to Big Fool's stepmother, then using white phosphorus for the ghostly fire, saltpeter for the icebox, and a silver needle to simulate the feeling of a ghost pressing down on her. Dressing in women's clothes was indeed a unique experience, especially when he looked more beautiful than a woman in drag. Next, Shenlang reluctantly burned the dress, destroying the evidence. As for whether Jean Mulan would notice a dress missing, Shenlang thought not, but if she did find out, Shenlang couldn't help but brainstorm. The next moment, Shenlang decided not to care. If it comes down to it, I'll just deny everything. Meanwhile, Inside the Black Clothes gang, one of the subordinates told Tianheng the governor will be arriving soon. Jin Mulan has already led the cavalry to welcome him. Tianheng then asked, is the prefect accompanying him personally? The subordinate nodded. Tianheng excitedly slapped the chair. Everything is ready, and the east wind has also arrived. Shenlang is as good as dead, but crushing this stray dog is just by the way. Toppling the count's mansion is the main goal. He then looked towards Big Fool's father. Hurry up and bring your wife over to the count's mansion to identify Shenlang. Don't forget to wear mourning clothes. Make it look more pitiful. Seeing the utterly heartbroken Song Yi, Tianheng sneered. It's just a son. You can have more. After killing Shenlang, you'll be the head of the Coldwater town. With these words, Song Yi let go of his son and stood up to thank Tianheng. And as Shenlang predicted, after returning, Big Fool's father informed his wife that their son was dead. Big Fool's stepmother burst into tears, realizing that the ghostly woman Shenlang had impersonated had not lied to her. She glared at Song Yi with a face full of vengeance and hatred. However, Big Fool's father mistook her hatred as directed only towards Shenlang. After coordinating their stories with Tianheng, they headed to the Count's mansion with their son's coffin. Meanwhile, the Count's mansion of Mythical Turtle welcomed two dignitaries. One was the envoy from the governor's office of the province of the Southern Journey, Zhurong staff member Yan Wujin, and the other was the prefect of New River County from the province of the Southern Journey, Zhang Chong. Father Jin and Jin Mulan personally came to welcome them. Given that both parties were no ordinary people, especially Zhang Chong, who had single-handedly brought down the East River County's local tyrant, the Count's mansion, and was now assigned to New River County to implement new policies, aiming at the local tyrant of New River County, the Mythical Turtle's Count's mansion. Soon after, at the banquet hall of the Count's mansion, everyone took their seats, and Shenlang, unconcerned with anything else, just stared at Jin Mulan. At this moment, Yan Wujin put down his chopsticks. 20 years have passed. The governor sent me here this time to inquire about your plans regarding the dispute over the Isle of Gold Mountain. Do you wish for the governor's office to mediate peacefully? As soon as this was mentioned, everyone put down their chopsticks. Shenlang was slightly taken aback, as he was aware of the situation. The dispute over the Isle of Gold Mountain originated over 100 years ago, with both the Northern Jin High Count and the Mythical Turtle Count claiming the Isle of Gold Mountain as their own. The two families almost came to blows over it, and finally, the previous monarch decreed that every 20 years, there would be a competition of martial and scholarly tests between the two, with the winner gaining the rights to the land for that period. Unfortunately, 20 years ago, the former Count of Mythical Turtle lost, resulting in a significant loss of wealth. Father Jin asked, what does the governor intend? Yan Wujin suggested, divide the Isle of Gold Mountain in two, the north to Jin High Count's mansion, and the south to the Mythical Turtle Count's mansion. How about that? Shenlang was stunned upon hearing this. Everyone knows that the main mineral resources of the Isle of Gold Mountain are in the northern half, while the southern half consists mainly of saline alkali soil and beaches. As expected, Father Jin was very angry, but he restrained himself and did not burst out, simply saying, let's drink. Yan Wujin did not care. His purpose was merely to mediate on behalf of the governor. However, at this moment, a commotion was heard from outside, with the sound of countless people shouting, hand over Shenlang. Murder must be paid for with life. Shenlang was not only unafraid, he was actually invigorated, anticipating the drama he had long awaited. Yet, everyone acted as if they hadn't heard anything, making Shenlang comment, truly like dignitaries. He also became a bit anxious. If no one picks up on this, the show can't start. If it comes to it, I'll have to take the lead myself. However, at this moment, Jin Muzong spoke up. Shenlang, it seems like there are people outside calling for you. The city lord then sent someone to inquire. Not long after, Jin Qing came to report there are thousands of people besieging the Count's mansion. Father Jin was not yet alarmed, but the city lord was, shouting angrily, how dare they? Are they seeking rebellion? His subordinate immediately responded, they claim Shenlang has killed someone and are here to seek justice. Father Jin was somewhat stunned. He was aware of the incident and had even sent money to Big Fool's father to treat his son. Now the boy was reportedly dead. Father Jin deeply sensed the malice of the accusers. Mother Jin then pinched Father Jin, her gaze clearly indicating that if Father Jin dared to abandon Shenlang, she would never forgive him. Father Jin signaled he wouldn't and ordered his men to let the people in. Shortly after, Tianheng and Song Yi, carrying a coffin, walked in. During this, Song Yi, looking at Shenlang, cried out miserably, scoundrel, return my son's life. Then, he knelt before the city lord. Lord Mayor, Lord Count, please seek justice for your humble citizen. Following this was a tearful complaint about how Shenlang bullied his son and beat him to death, with Song Yi's ferocious expression making him a worthy candidate for an acting award. He then revealed his son's body, showing many shocking wounds. Please, my lords, seek justice for me. At this point, Jin Mulan suddenly asked, when did your son die? Song Yi responded, he died the night after being beaten by Shenlang. Jin Mulan coldly asked, why didn't you come on the same day, waiting until now to come forward? Song Yi claimed, I was afraid. Someone claiming to be a confidant of the Count came to me, gave me a sum of gold, and threatened me to keep quiet, or they would kill my whole family. Father Jin's face turned ashen upon hearing this. As my years of caution led people to believe that the Count's mansion of Shuangwu no longer commands fear, the city lord asked if he had any evidence. Song Yi shouted, there are witnesses. The city lord immediately ordered the witnesses to be brought in. Soon, several witnesses were let in, all pointing fingers at Shenlang. The city lord looked at Shenlang. Do you confess to the crime? Shenlang stated, I did enter Song Yi's home, but I did not assault anyone. I was there to deliver silver. Big Fool was my good friend. I made sure Songshur fed him well every day. Song Yi vehemently accused, you're lying. It was clearly you who kicked my son to death. My wife can testify to that. Then, in full view of everyone, Songshur was summoned. The city lord asked her if she was sure of what she saw. Songshur nodded, saying she witnessed it herself. Tianheng's lips curved into a smirk upon seeing this, while Song Yi knelt down, desperately kowtowing, begging the city lord for justice. Tianheng helped Song Yi up and then loudly cited the laws of Yu Kingdom. Murder is repaid with life. Even princes are subject to the same laws as commoners. Shenlang must be punished accordingly. At this moment, the Black Clothes gang, dressed in mourning, unanimously cried out, out. Murder must be repaid with life. The city lord then looked towards the count, indicating that to investigate thoroughly, Shenlang would have to be taken back to the city lord's residence. Father Jean was furious. If he's taken away, wouldn't they just frame Shenlang however they want? Tianheng also showed a smug smile, ready to watch Shenlang meet his demise, but his dreams were shattered the next moment. Songshi pointed towards Tianheng and shouted, "It was Tianheng who killed my son. Originally, Song Yi had kicked my son, injuring him, but when taken for treatment, he died at the hands of Tianheng." Her words struck like thunder, stunning everyone into silence. Song Yi was especially shocked, staring dumbfounded at his wife. The quickest to react was Tianheng, though he was initially confused as to why Song Yi's wife suddenly changed her story. Seeing her angry glare, Tianheng sensed great danger, realizing a grand conspiracy was looming over him, and he must leave immediately. However, seeing Shenlang smile, he knew escape was not an option. Once the prey is caught, no one lets go. Cough. Songshi, are you perhaps so grief-stricken that you're speaking nonsense? Right, my lady. Could it be that your grief has muddled your senses? You were the one who saw Shenlang, that scoundrel, kick our son to death. Why change your story now? Songshi glared with fury. It was you. I saw with my own eyes how you kicked my son in the groin. Shenlang came to our house to deliver silver because he was worried Big Fool wasn't getting enough to eat at our place. This statement made Song Yi hastily retreat. What madness has gotten into you? What benefits has Shenlang offered you? Has he threatened you? At this point, the city lord reacted, his tone threatening, warning Songshi not to bear false witness and to consider the consequences carefully. Tianheng became frantic, accusing Songshi of lying and asking if she had received any benefits from Shenlang. Unexpectedly, Songshi bit her lip and declared, "My son was growing up and becoming curious about women, attempting to peep, and just happened to be caught by Song Yi, who, in anger, kicked him." This revelation dumbfounded both Tianheng and Song Yi, while Jin Mulan felt ashamed. Tianheng, truly desperate now, began to coax Songshi gently. "If someone has threatened you, speak up. The envoy from the governor and the prefect are here. Someone will stand up for you." But this statement only made the city lord and Zhang Ji internally curse Tianheng for his foolishness. "My father and envoy Yan Wujin are distinguished figures, not ones you can use to pressure others." Tianheng's words only served to frighten Songshi into crawling before them, begging them for justice. Zhang Chong waved his hand, having Songshi helped up. "Speak quickly if you have any grievances." Regardless of sincerity, appearances had to be maintained for the sake of the common people. Songshi then burst into tears, revealing how her son was killed by Tianheng and how her husband wanted her to falsely accuse Shenlang of the murder, promising him the position of head of Coldwater Town in return. Tianheng's face darkened, a mix of truth and lies being the most difficult to discern. Left with no choice, he knelt down and loudly lamented, "This is Shenlang's conspiracy." Shenlang, like an innocent rabbit, helplessly spread his hands. He hadn't said a word all evening. How could he be slandered like this? The prefect, Zhang, then simply stated, "Have the city lord arrest them." In the next moment, both were bound. Shenlang sighed to himself. Impressive. On the surface, Zhang Chong orders the city lord to make the arrest, but in reality, he's cutting losses promptly and firmly seizing the initiative. Otherwise, if it came down to me holding Tianheng accountable, he would be in trouble. As for Songshi, who was also to be taken away, she was frightened. Having betrayed them, she was sure to be doomed if taken away. But at this moment, there was no need for Shenlang to say anything. Mother Jean approached her, wiped away her tears, and, citing their shared understanding as mothers of the pain of losing a child, decisively decided to keep Songshi at the count's mansion. Prefect Zhang Chong, seeing this, nodded slightly in agreement with Mother Jin's request. He then prepared to leave, ordering the city lord to thoroughly investigate the truth and give everyone an explanation. Before leaving, Zhang Chong did not forget to praise Shenlang. "Lord Count, your son-in-law is indeed remarkable." Shenlang simply bowed slightly. Following this, Father Jean personally escorted Yan Wujin and Zhang Chong out of the mansion, with Shenlang and Tianheng following behind. Tianheng's gaze was fixed on Shenlang, as if ready to devour him. Shenlang pretended to be scared, provocatively saying, "Why are you looking at me with that weird gaze?" Tianheng, furious to the point of laughter, said, "Shenlang, are you pleased with yourself?" Shenlang spread his hands. "Not at all. You're not dead yet. What's there to be pleased about?" Hearing this, Tianheng laughed loudly. "Keep dreaming your grand dreams. Who would kill me? Being thrown into jail is just for show. I'll be out in 3 days." Due to Tianheng's uprising, and out of concern for Shenlang's safety, the guards of the count's mansion subdued Tianheng. Yet, despite this, Tianheng still looked at Shenlang with a triumphant gaze. "Once I get out, I will use every means to kill you, Shenlang." Shenlang glanced at Tianheng, his gaze as if looking at a dead man, then revealed a charming smile and said, "Tianheng, you are about to die." Tianheng was taken aback, laughing again. "You must be dreaming." Lu Wuyan, the city lord, also glanced at Shenlang, his look as if seeing a fool. Tianheng dying? What a joke. After they left the count's mansion, the act was dropped, and Tianheng was unbound immediately. The city lord asked Zhang Chong, "How should this case be judged?" Prefect Zhang did not respond, but continued walking. The city lord asked again, and Zhang Chong stopped, questioning why Tianheng appeared tonight. Tianheng knelt down to admit his fault. "There's enmity between me and Shenlang. I shouldn't have appeared tonight, but I couldn't help myself. I wanted to see Shenlang's misfortune." An indignant Tianheng then turned his attention to Songshi, hoping Zhang Chong would take her to the city lord's mansion for judgment. Yan Wujin, unable to listen any longer, boarded his carriage. Zhang Chong turned to Tianheng and counter-asked, "Do you think you can turn the tables? Others plan 3 steps ahead while you're stuck in the moment. Do you think Shenlang just wanted to win this round? He wants you dead." Tianheng, confused, said, "Even if Songshi turns against me, I can easily escape." Until Zhang Chong stated, "Go kill Tian-13. Hopefully, you're still in time." This statement made both Tianheng and the city lord realize the gravity of the situation. Tian-13 was Tianheng's most trusted confidant. What secret did Tianheng have that he didn't know? Tianheng's face changed instantly as he shouted, "Quick, send someone to kill Tian-13. Meanwhile, inside the count's mansion, Shenlang asked Jin Mulan, "Wife, are you very skilled in martial arts?" Jin Mulan simply hummed in affirmation. Shenlang then inquired, "Can you defeat the 3 waves of experts sent by Lu Wuyan, Zhang Ji, and Tianheng?" Jin Mulan stated, "It's a piece of cake. Shenlang was a bit skeptical, but there was no time to doubt. He immediately asked Jean Mulan to take people to Tian 13's house to rescue him. After getting ready, Shenlang expressed his wish to accompany her. Without a word, Jean Mulan hoisted Shenlang by the waist, threw him onto a horseback, then leaped up herself, and they swiftly rode out of the Count's mansion towards Tian 13's home. On the way, manager Jean couldn't help but ask, "We could have saved Tian 13 earlier. Why go now? And in such a hurry?" Shenlang glanced at manager Jean. "Among us, you have the lowest IQ." Jean Cheng explained from the side, "If Tianheng doesn't kill Tian 13, our rescue would be meaningless. We wouldn't be able to turn Tian 13 against him, nor could we put Tianheng in a desperate situation." Shenlang narrowed his eyes. "Jean Cheng, you love to show off, don't you? Among the 5 of us here, your IQ is the second lowest." Just as Shenlang was heading to Tian 13's house, Tian 13, lying in bed, had not slept for 3 days and nights. His world had crumbled. The man he idolized as a father figure, his master, had personally broken his legs. In his childhood, when Tian 13 struggled with hunger and cold, Tianheng had helped him, leading Tian 13 to follow him loyally ever since, even rejecting offers from Zhang Ji and the city lord. Yet, for the sake of gambling interests, Tianheng had indeed struck him. Although Tianheng did not follow Shenlang's demands and had immediately arranged for his bones to be set and given his parents 100 gold coins, promising revenge on Shenlang, this somewhat healed 13's heart. He believed his adoptive father was forced into it and would never betray him. He already anticipated that Shenlang would try to bribe him with money and status to turn him against his adoptive father. He imagined spitting in Shenlang's face, calling his dreams foolish, excited at the thought. But the next moment, his face turned pale as he saw several figures in black appear before him. Among them were experts from the city lord's mansion and his sworn brothers from the Black Clothes Gang. Tian 13 instantly understood. "Big brother, 7th brother, did our adoptive father send you to kill me?" No one responded, only nodding slightly. Tian 13's gums bled as he bit down. "Big brother, 7th brother, go ahead, but please spare my parents. They know nothing." However, they refused. "Sorry, we must eradicate the roots." Tian 13 exploded in rage, his mouth spraying blood mist. Why? Disaster should not extend to family members. But he was kicked back, and his parents were brought forward, trembling with fear yet begging for their son's life over theirs. Tian 13, bloodshot eyes, demanded again, "Why? You know too much. Alive, you're a threat to Tianheng's safety." At that moment, Tian 13's entire perception of the underworld collapsed. "So, it turns out I was the only one who valued loyalty. I thought I was cool, but I was just a fool." In an instant, Tian 13 burst into action, using a bedsheet as cover and grabbing a small knife, ready to fight for his life. But the next second, a sword pinned him to the ground. His legs, already injured, became a burden to him. 13 despaired, realizing he had dragged his parents into this. As the elderly couple begged for their son's life, Tian 13, at that moment, understood the feeling Shenlang had when trying to save his parents. But it was futile. Just as the blade was about to slash the elders' throats, a fragrant breeze passed by, followed by a flash of swordlight. A stunning figure suddenly appeared, and the black-clothed assailants screamed in unison. Then they saw who it was, the princess of mythical Turtle City, the foremost beauty, Jean Mulan. Shenlang, watching quietly, was also amazed by Jean Mulan's martial prowess, even wishing she would demonstrate again. This made the surviving black-clothed assailants retract their left hands. Seeing this, Shenlang smirked proudly, then curiously asked Jean Mulan why she brought others despite her own strength. Jean Mulan merely glanced at him, and Shenlang noticed manager Jean and the others forming a triangle, keeping him protected in the middle. Alright, Shenlang understood. Yet, being his usual self, he started asking Jean Mulan all sorts of questions, completely ignoring the atmosphere around them. Jean Mulan felt helpless towards her husband. Shenlang then began to show off, gesturing towards the black-clothed men's necks. "Go back and tell Tianheng to wash his neck and wait." Upon hearing Shenlang's words, Tian 1 broke into a cold sweat. 13 knows too many secrets. Once they come out, my adoptive father is done for. Faced with Shenlang's decision to take Tian 13 with them, they were powerless to stop it and had no choice but to leave and report back. Only upon exiting did they discover that all their lookouts outside had been killed. After they had all departed, Shenlang quietly looked at Tian 13, offering no words of recruitment, bribery, not a single gold coin, position, or promise, not even a single strand of hair. Tian 13 crawled before Shenlang, kneeling with his forehead touching the ground, declaring henceforth, "I am Shenlang's dog now." Wise men don't speak in riddles. Shenlang, looking at Tian 13, stated, "From now on, you'll be called Shen 13. Tian 13 wiped away his tears and respectfully called out, "Master." The next moment, Shenlang requested his parents move into the Count's mansion. Jean Mulan was speechless, taking their parents as hostages and making it sound so justified. Tian 13 pressed his forehead against Shenlang's shoe and agreed. Shenlang immediately smiled brilliantly, warmly helping Tian 13 up. Inside the city lord's mansion, the city lord also received news of their failure, his face turning ashen. Upon hearing that Tianheng couldn't be saved, he slammed his fist on the table in anger. Tianheng annually contributed a significant portion of his profits to him, and as Tianheng was his man, killing him would mean a loss of face. The city lord inquired, "What about Zhang Ji?" After learning of the situation, Zhang Ji had hastily set off to catch up with his father. However, upon catching up, Zhang Ji heard something he didn't want to accept, that Tianheng must be killed. Zhang Ji was reluctant, to which his father asked, "What is most important for a commander?" "The perspective must be broad, to oversee the whole situation and not fret over the loss of one city or one place." Yet Zhang Ji was unwilling. Killing Tianheng would just be playing into Shenlang's hands. Frustrated, he lashed his whip against the ground. This scene, so similar to the humiliation Tian 13 felt when his legs were broken by Tianheng, was like voluntarily letting Shenlang slap his face. Inside the Black Clothes Gang, Tianheng also received news about 13. He dismissed his servants and silently stepped outside. He knew once 13 revealed his secrets, no one could save him. Looking up at the rooftop, Tianheng wondered if he was at his end. He truly regretted not having Shenlang torn to pieces. With a furious roar, Tianheng punched the the wall, muttering apologies to Second Fool with tears in his eyes. Then he moved a bookshelf to enter a secret chamber. Meanwhile, at the Su family residence, Zhang Ji questioned Su Chanqian. Why didn't you kill Shenlang initially? Su Chanqian couldn't rebut, also somewhat disbelieving Shenlang's transformation. She could only stiffly ask Zhang Ji, what did your father say? Zhang Ji relayed his father's exact words. He told me to kill Tianheng. Just then, voices came from outside. Turning their heads, they saw the city lord arriving. He disagreed with killing Tianheng. If Tianheng were killed, how could they face the world? How much gold would be lost annually? How pleased would Shenlang be? Did Zhang Ji not understand? But if their deeds were exposed. However, at that moment, a subordinate suddenly reported that Tianheng sought a secret meeting. The very next day, outside the city lord's mansion's main hall, a crowd gathered densely. Tianheng was seen kneeling in the hall, covered in wounds, facing accusations. Tianheng laughed loudly and shouted, I, Tianheng, even in death, will go out with a bang. I won't die a dog's death. Clearly, you can't defeat Shenlang, yet you want me to die. In front of hundreds of onlookers, Tianheng charged headfirst into a nearby pillar. Everyone was initially shocked. The underworld boss of mythical Turtle City, the powerful Tianheng who could summon the wind and call the rain, had just died like that, and his death was so violent and sudden. Shenlang immediately learned of the news. While writing Tianheng's list of crimes, 13 was told by Shenlang that it was no longer necessary. Instead, he asked 13, being the closest person to Tianheng, do you know if he had a body double? 13 shook his head. I have never seen nor heard of one. It turned out that Shenlang suspected Tianheng had not died. He shared his suspicions with Jean Mulan. Jean Mulan was taken aback. The people who gather information for our family are very cautious. There couldn't have been a mistake. Shenlang explained his reasoning. Tianheng shouldn't have died in public, but should have been secretly executed. After all, with 13 defecting to us, Tianheng's dirty secrets also implicated many others. If exposed, no one could bear the consequences. But with Tianheng's death, everything would be settled. Therefore, it's impossible that his execution was public. Hearing this, Jean Mulan quickly understood the intricacies. Because the city lord's mansion has the right to execute prisoners, but it must be verified by the governor's mansion. Back and forth, it takes at least half a month. So, the best way is to make Tianheng commit suicide in prison. This was exactly what Shenlang meant. It's clear Tianheng should have died in prison, but now he died in full view of the public, as if his death was meant to be witnessed by us. Shenlang then asked Jean Mulan, is Tianheng's body still here? Jean Mulan personally took Shenlang to see. Moments later, at Tianheng's body storage, Shenlang was one step too late. Tianheng's body had been burned, turned into charred remains, unrecognizable, but it didn't matter. Shenlang used his X-ray vision to scan Tianheng's entire body. Soon, Shenlang detected something unusual on the body, which made him burst into laughter. This is even better. It's more interesting to kill him with my own hands. Jean Mulan was stunned for a moment. Obviously, Shenlang's meaning was that Tianheng wasn't dead. Then Shenlang turned to Jean Mulan and suggested, join me tonight to watch a good show. Faced with the incredibly narcissistic Shenlang, Jean Mulan could no longer bear it and turned to leave. Shenlang hurriedly followed her. Meanwhile, in a secret room within mythical Turtle City, it was clear that Tianheng was not dead. In Su Chanqian's hands was a wooden mask, the concave side coated with sulfuric acid. She handed it to Tianheng to use for disfiguring himself. Tianheng looked at the mask, and it seemed to reflect a face just like his own. Indeed, the owner of his face was Tianheng's brother. A day before, the secret passage Tianheng entered led to his brother's room. It turned out his brother had some intellectual challenges. Tianheng just needed to bring him some tasty food to make him exceedingly happy, unaware that it was his last meal. Then, Tianheng asked his brother to show him some martial arts. Tianheng's brother stood up, posed, and began to practice punches indoors, with a force so strong it could make one unable to open their eyes. Suddenly, he threw a punch at the wall next to him, instantly creating a deep hole. Tianheng praised him for being impressive. Though his brother was simple-minded, he was a martial arts prodigy. Afterward, Tianheng asked his brother to undress with him, revealing that their body shapes were exactly the same. Even the scars on their bodies matched. Knowing his simple-minded brother liked to imitate him, Tianheng said he wanted to see how well he could mimic him. Tianheng's brother immediately dropped the smile on his face, transforming from a fool into a sinister figure of the underworld, even more like Tianheng than Tianheng himself. Thus, Tianheng taught his brother a few phrases, the very phrases Tianheng said when he supposedly died by crashing his head. So, the one who died was just Tianheng's brother mimicking him. The real Tianheng was preparing to change his appearance, to later take his revenge on Shenlang fiercely. As Tianheng pressed the sulfuric acid-coated mask against his face immediately sizzled. However, Tianheng merely twitched slightly, without screaming in agony, not even a grunt. Su Chanqian, seeing this, couldn't help but admire his ruthlessness. Then, Tianheng stood up and walked outside. Lord Lu understood something. Tianheng, are you going to take your revenge now? Tianheng gritted his teeth and said, Shenlang seeks revenge from morning till night without delay in a single day. Why should I wait? Let his beloved parents disappear from this world. What will his reaction be? Lord Lu didn't say much, telling Tianheng to go ahead without worry, as a scapegoat had already been prepared for him. Then, with the mask already disfiguring his face, Tianheng headed towards the home of Shenlang's parents. Upon arriving outside the house, he had already changed his hair to resemble Song Yi. At this moment, he heard the breathing of 3 people. After confirming, with a gentle slice, the door latch silently broke. After entering Shenlang's home, Tianheng saw 3 people on the bed. He wanted Shenlang to regret being his enemy for life. Saying this, he drew a sharp blade and fiercely chopped down towards Shenlang's mother on the bed, then slashed at Shenlang's father with another stroke. Finally, he glanced at Shenlang's brother, seemingly thinking of Tian 13. He picked up a stick nearby and broke Shenlang's brother's legs, ultimately piercing Shenlang's brother with a knife. The satisfaction of this great revenge made Tianheng burst into laughter. Unexpectedly, at this moment, the door suddenly brightened, and a handsome face appeared before him. The person was the very Shenlang he deeply resented. Without saying a word, Tianheng picked up the knife, wanting to dismember Shenlang into 1,000 pieces. However, Shenlang revealed his identity humanity with a single sentence. Tianheng, stop pretending. Tianheng was stunned, not understanding how Shenlang knew he wasn't dead. Shenlang also revealed that Tianheng has a twin brother. You really are a beast, living for yourself, sacrificing your brother's life. And the method Shenlang used to find out was simple. The needle inside Tianheng's body was bent, but the one in the corpse was straight. Tianheng was immensely shocked inside. Unexpectedly, Shenlang said, "Bring him up." A person was pushed in. It was Song Yi, whose face had also been disfigured by sulfuric acid. Shenlang questioned Tianheng. "How about it? Your scapegoat is gone." Tianheng knew he could no longer hide. He burst into laughter. "It doesn't matter anymore. After all, Shenlang, all your loved ones are dead, and you were powerless to stop it. Are you in agony?" Unexpectedly, Shenlang threw a torch into the room to let him see whom he had actually killed. Tianheng picked up the torch and looked, a chill rushing to his head, as if his skull was about to be lifted open. The people dead on the bed were not Shenlang's loved ones, but his own wife, butler, and his son. Tianheng immediately let out an incredibly mournful howl. Shenlang chuckled lightly, because those people deserved to die. In their lives, relying on Tianheng, they did all kinds of evil. Tianheng was about to fight Shenlang to the death, but the next moment, his eyes widened. He saw a gentle woman, holding a child walking next to Shenlang. It turned out Tianheng's wife was married to him for profit, and he didn't care about that wastrel son. What Tianheng truly cared about was this overly gentle and kind woman, and his most beloved illegitimate child. Shenlang naturally wouldn't use the miserable to threaten, but told Tianheng he had no chance of winning. Knowing he had no chance, Tianheng tore off his face corroded by sulfuric acid. "I've heard Miss Jean is an extraordinary martial artist. Tianheng would like to learn a thing or two." Jean Mulan was naturally unafraid. Tianheng raised his long sword, his whole body surging with energy. Jean Mulan, upon seeing this, simply looked calmly at Tianheng. After the two exchanged glances, Tianheng suddenly roared and charged at Jean Mulan like lightning. Jean Mulan stepped lightly, charging towards Tianheng as well. When Tianheng's ferocious slash came down, he only hit Jean Mulan's afterimage. The real Jean Mulan had already sidestepped Tianheng, and at the same time, Tianheng's chest was suddenly torn open by a sword mark, just like the sword in his hand. Shenlang was stunned to see. A single sword strike had completely defeated Tianheng. Perhaps it was a final burst of clarity. Tianheng couldn't help but reminisce about his youth, the days when he and his brother were adopted by the old escort head, being punished in the cold winter for making a mistake in martial arts training. In their later growth, if it weren't for their greed for a box of treasures during an escort, killing their escort brothers, they might not have become fugitives, and everything that followed would not have happened. But Tianheng did not regret, just felt a bit melancholic. Just as Tianheng was about to lose consciousness, Shenlang appeared in front of him. Shenlang slapped Tianheng awake with 2 slaps, saying, "I've gone to great lengths to kill you. You should give me something before you die, right?" Upon hearing this, Tianheng, who was on the brink of death, was almost angered back to life. Shenlang shamelessly continued, "I didn't go through the trouble of finding your son just to watch you have a last-minute change of heart. You have to give me something." Tianheng cursed at Shenlang. "You, Shenlang, are actually threatening me with my son's life?" Shenlang, "Damn you. No, I'm not like you. I still have humanity, but as long as you agree to my terms, I will take care of him in the future." After hearing Shenlang's condition, Tianheng slowly said, "In the cellar of the left courtyard of Snow White Villa, there lies Lord Lu's secret treasure." Shenlang, somewhat dissatisfied, slapped Tianheng again. "Is that all? What about Lord Lu's crimes?" Tianheng, infuriated, cursed, "Those officials are cleverer than monkeys. How could any incriminating evidence fall into my hands?" Shenlang thought it made sense and patted Tianheng's head, saying, "Since you have nothing else to give me, you may die in peace now." Tianheng suddenly stood up in a rage and cursed. However, out of sheer anger and due to his injuries, he died with his eyes wide open. Shenlang sneered inwardly, ordering someone to decapitate Tianheng and put his head in a box to be sent to the city lord. Then he turned to Jean Mulan and suggested they go to Snow White Villa to seek their fortune together. Moments later, at Snow White Villa, they indeed found chests full of gold coins. Shenlang exclaimed, "Lord Lu really is something, being a city lord for 3 years and only embezzled over 10,000 gold coins." Jean Mulan was not surprised, because the majority was given as tribute. These gold coins are all that's left of Lord Lu's entire fortune. Shenlang understood. "So, we've basically taken Lord Lu's pension." However, during the conversation, he unexpectedly learned that the Count's mansion was in dire need of money. Even Jean Mulan mentioned, "With the addition of the gold coins we obtained this time, the financial crisis of the Count's mansion has been greatly alleviated. The mythical turtle Count's mansion, having lost the Isle of Gold Mountain, has been running at a loss every year. For 40 years, it has accumulated astronomical losses, and also because the previous mythical turtle Count was too generous, he left behind a huge debt. These years, Father Jean has been paying off the debt." At this moment, Shenlang wanted to leave something for Lord Lu. Jean Mulan, resigned, knew her husband was up to mischief again. Meanwhile, at the city lord's mansion, Lord Lu was waiting for good news from Tianheng when a servant's voice sounded outside, saying a box from Tianheng had arrived. Curious, Lord Lu had someone open it. Upon opening the box, it scared Lord Lu out of his wits. Then, a hurried voice reported outside to Lord Lu, "It's terrible news. All the gold coins at Snow White Villa have been robbed." Instantly, Lord Lu's body was struck as if by lightning, his face turning deathly pale. "How many years did it take for me to save those gold coins?" And then, a trusted guard handed him a note, with a few words written on it. The robber of the gold coins was not Shenlang. Lord Lu's body started to convulse. In the next moment, he cursed at Shenlang loudly, then his eyes rolled back, and he fainted from anger, collapsing to the ground. On the other side, Shenlang, with a bright red brush, crossed out Tianheng's name and said with a smirk, "One less enemy. That's really nice, and I didn't even have to use a fraction of my strength. Life is as lonely as snow." Jean Mulan was speechless at the sight. Then Shenlang added Lord Lu's name to the list. After all, who made him oppose Shenlang? Jean Mulan didn't want to deal with it anymore. She turned around and left, letting Shenlang amuse himself. However, Shenlang started to act up again, shouting at Jean Mulan, "I'm going to jump. Catch me quickly." Saying this, Shenlang jumped down from the ladder, clearly intending to jump into Jean Mulan's arms. Jean Mulan glanced in understood Shenlang's intention, then stretched out a hand and easily steadied Shenlang. Shenlang was dumbfounded, as the scene he imagined of being held in Jean Mulan's arms didn't happen. Afterward, for the safety of his parents, Shenlang wanted to persuade them to move house, to live near the Count's mansion, but his parents, who usually listened to Shenlang, refused. Fortunately, Shenlang had Jean Mulan's help. Under Jean Mulan's sincere words, Shenlang's mother couldn't resist Jean Mulan's gentle persuasion, and was confusedly convinced to move. Shenlang's affection for Jean Mulan was growing stronger. After Shenlang burned the clothes following his cross-dressing in Jean Mulan's outfit, Jean Mulan eventually noticed the missing clothes. So, Jean Mulan asked Shenlang, "Have you seen my clothes?" An alarm went off in Shenlang's mind, feeling that a wrong answer could mean life-threatening danger. Now he had two options. One was to say he hadn't seen them, and the other was to admit he had taken the clothes. But how could he, as a good man, lie about such a small matter? So, Shenlang honestly confessed to Jean Mulan, "I took the clothes away." Jean Mulan was actually very calm, as she had already known it was Shenlang who took them. Now, she was satisfied with Shenlang's honesty. Jean Mulan didn't ask Shenlang what he did with the clothes, but instead asked him to return them. "I still need to wear that outfit to pick mulberry leaves." The alarm in Shenlang's mind went off again. Now he had two answers. One was that he burned it, and the other was that he wore it. But regardless of the answer, both would seem quite problematic, likely to be seen as sick or perverted. Shenlang didn't want to be seen as a pervert, so he chose the burning option. "My dear, I'm sorry. One night I was so restless, and all I could think about was you, so I couldn't help but take your dress to do something unspeakable. Afterwards, I regretted it and worried so much that I burned your dress with fire." Jean Mulan, the deed is done, and whether you want to kill or slash me, it's up to you. If I frown, I don't deserve to be your husband. Come on, Jean Mulan, use whatever means you have to torment me. Just go ahead. Jean Mulan was speechless, doing such a thing and still so righteous. However, she still reminded Shenlang, "Don't destroy clothes in the future. Just wash them. The Count's mansion hates waste the most." In the end, Jean Mulan left a bottle of medicine for Shenlang, reminding him to moderate his actions and not ruin his health. Shenlang was split when he saw the name of the medicine, greatly misunderstanding him in Jean Mulan's eyes. Following Shenlang's defeat of Tianheng, the Count's mansion enjoyed a brief period of peace, and several interesting incidents occurred. One was Jean Mulan's mulberry leaf picking work, outperforming 100 people, picking several thousand pounds by herself. And Shenlang, he was grounded by his father-in-law, who was truly afraid of Shenlang's troublemaking capabilities. Seeing Shenlang wanted to say more, Father Jean took out a whip, and Shenlang didn't dare to act up again, quickly running away. With nothing to do, he lay outside watching the sunset, thinking of Big Fool, whose injuries had fully healed, but he just couldn't wake up, leaving Shenlang at a loss for what to do. Now truly bored, Binger came over. "There's an invitation for you in the miss." Shenlang took it and saw it was Su Qianqian's engagement party. Without a word, Shenlang returned to his room, looking at the wall filled with names of enemies. "I've been too lax these days, forgetting my deep-seated hatred." Shenlang felt imbalanced in his heart when he thought about how hastily he and Jean Mulan got married while Su Qianqian was holding a grand engagement party. He wanted revenge. He considered what Su Qianqian valued most. Firstly, her family's silk business, and secondly, her reputation, which her father had spent a great deal to cultivate her into a socialite. Shenlang's target was set to ruin Su Qianqian's reputation first. At this moment, Jean Mutsong sneakily approached Shenlang, handing him a Spring Palace painting album he had just acquired. Seeing this, Shenlang's eyes lit up, immediately coming up with a plan against Su Qianqian. However, Jean Mutsong got scared by Shenlang's look. Before he could ask anything, Shenlang stepped forward to inquire, "Jean Mutsong, do you have any beautiful girls who like you?" Upon hearing this, Jean Mutsong cried, "Where would I get beautiful girls who like me?" Just as Jean Mutsong, heart stung by Shenlang, was about to leave, he heard Shenlang say, "Want to know why no beautiful girls like you? First, because you're not handsome." These words stabbed Jean Mutsong with countless knives. Shenlang suggested he had a way to make beautiful girls like him, and this method is through talent, which can be borrowed. Jean Mutsong earnestly asked Shenlang, "Really?" Shenlang affirmed, "As long as we collaborate on writing a book and make it popular across the country, being one of the authors, what do you think will happen?" Jean Mutsong's eyes suddenly sparkled. "Then I'll become famous, a celebrated genius known all over, and definitely have countless fans falling for me." Faced with Jean Mutsong's eagerness, Shenlang began teaching Jean Mutsong how to write the book. There was once a wealthy merchant who dealt in silk fabrics. People called him Merchant Shiman. He had a daughter named Shiman Qianqian. This Merchant Shiman was despicable, shameless, and debauched, harassing countless virtuous women, and as the saying goes, like father, like daughter. The daughter was infamous for her scandalous behaviors, and so on, smearing Su Qianqian with fabricated tales. Jean Mutsong was not foolish. He had realized that Shenlang was using him to smear Su Qianqian, but for the sake of beautiful girls, Jean Mutsong didn't mind. Soon after, Jean Mutsong exhaled deeply. Thanks to his habit of copying books, he had transcribed everything Shenlang said verbatim. Shenlang was very satisfied with his speed, but that was not enough. Shenlang personally took up the task of drawing illustrations, which were quite provocative. For the men of that era, it was an overwhelming assault. Jean Mutsong only took one look and had a nosebleed. Faced with Jean Mutsong's praise, Shenlang was extremely pleased with himself. However, Jean Mutsong became more and more uneasy, noting that the female protagonist resembled Su Qianqian too closely. Shenlang explained this. Coincidence, all coincidence. Next, the two collaborated closely, Shenlang drawing and Jean Mutsong writing. With only 25 days left until Su Qianqian's engagement ceremony, they completed the writing and illustrations, naming the novel Boundless Romantic Affairs. The pen name was decided as Rogue Scholar with a wry smile. Jean Mutsong was quite satisfied with this name and promised to arrange for printing immediately. However, at this moment, Jean Mutsong was somewhat shy, rubbing his hands and asking Shenlang, "So, we're taking the manuscript for typesetting and printing tomorrow, right?" Shenlang, puzzled, asked, "What do you want to do?" Jean Mutsong said, "This book is so good, can I borrow it to read tonight?" Shenlang took out the illustrations and handed the manuscript to Jean Mutsong. "Don't get it dirty. I'm thinking of of you. Staying up late to read intensely shouldn't harm your health. As the self-proclaimed fat otaku hastily fled, Shenlang watched Jin Mutsong leave with a smirk. Su Qianqian, just you wait. While Shenlang was eagerly anticipating, an urgent knocking sounded outside. Jin Mutsong, with a head full of bumps, rushed in, yelling for Shenlang to run. My dad's coming to kill us. It turned out Jin Mutsong was so engrossed in the book, he didn't notice his father, Father Jin, coming in. So naturally, Father Jin saw the manuscript. Then enraged Father Jin, Shenlang panicked. He questioned Jin Mutsong. You didn't get so absorbed in something while reading the manuscript that you failed to notice your dad coming in, did you? Guessed correctly. Jin Mutsong, mortified, covered his face with his left hand, then ran off without another word. Shenlang was dumbfounded, unable to imagine just how awkward the scene must have been. Now, how was he to deal with his murderous father-in-law? However, an hour passed, and Father Jin hadn't shown up. Unable to wait, Shenlang fell asleep. Suddenly, Shenlang opened his eyes to see his father-in-law very close, staring at him with deep eyes. Shenlang immediately sat up obediently. Father Jin placed the manuscript on the table and asked Shenlang, did you write this? Shenlang nodded in affirmation. Father Jin then took out a ruler. Stretch out your hand. The next second, 3 distinct slaps resonated across Shenlang's palm, causing him a bit of pain, but Shenlang didn't dare act rashly, waiting for the real storm to arrive. However, after a while, Shenlang was puzzled, as nothing happened. Instead, he heard his father-in-law praising him. The book, it's well written. No, it's written exceptionally well, Father Jin emphasized again, which completely confused Shenlang. Although Shenlang had included his own agenda, the original content of the book in his previous life was a masterpiece. After Father Jin read it, he couldn't stop, and even shared it with Mother Jin, which inadvertently led to them becoming thoroughly engrossed. Thus, Father Jin's dark circles and fatigue were explained. Actually, Father Jin wasn't a rigid person. He believed the so-called erotic scenes were merely literary tools. What bothered Father Jin was Shenlang's personal vendetta, wondering why he had to involve the Su family's scandal in an otherwise fine work, suggesting Shenlang to revise it. Of course, Shenlang refused. How could immortalizing his work compare to getting revenge on Su Qianqian? Father Jin felt the urge to hit someone again, but he still had to ask, why involve Jin Mutsong in writing it? Shenlang candidly explained, I didn't want my revenge on Su Qianqian to be too direct. It would make me seem petty, and there's another purpose. The dispute over the Isle of Gold Mountain. The Count was astonished, disbelievingly looking at Shenlang. He immediately saw the connection, and was amazed at Shenlang's near-demonic intelligence, thinking 3 steps ahead. Having such a son-in-law sent by the heavens, perhaps it's really fate. Then Shenlang inquired of his father-in-law, will the book be a hit? Father Jin affirmed with confidence, it will even shock the literary world. Shenlang instantly cackled, eagerly awaiting Su Qianqian's fall from grace. Father Jin was speechless. The heavens really are unfair, bestowing talent on such a person. He really didn't know what to say. Next, under Father Jin's pressure, Shenlang finally made some changes to the protagonist's name in the book, wondering if readers would still be able to associate it with Su Qianqian. The next day, Shenlang and Jin Mutsong took a carriage to Orchid Mountain City, as it was a cultural hub that had published many famous works. To cause a significant impact, publishing in Orchid Mountain City was the best choice. This city also housed an old noble family, the Orchid Mountain Viscount Zhu family, which was the first to surrender military power during new reforms, becoming a favorite of the emperor and naturally causing dissatisfaction among other nobles. After a 2-hour drive, they finally arrived in Orchid Mountain City, a true cultural hub with bookstores and stalls everywhere. Shenlang went to the Jade-like Pavilion, which had chain stores in a dozen cities nearby, to discuss publishing and printing. Upon entering, he was immediately recommended a recently popular book, Mandarin Duck Dreams, by a server. Shenlang laughed upon receiving it, seeing it as melodramatic literature that only this era's young girls might be fooled by. His laughter drew hostile glances. The person questioned Shenlang, do you find it amusing? This person was Zhu Manhwa, the author of Mandarin Duck Dreams, and the second son of the Orchid Mountain Viscount family. Shenlang recognized him. He was essentially the male version of Su Qianqian. Being the second son, he couldn't inherit the title, so he sought his own path, attempting the imperial examinations while building his reputation. At 16, he became a successful candidate in the imperial examinations, and then became an idol to young women by writing the best-selling Mandarin Duck Dreams. Leveraging his fame, he sought to marry into the Zhang family, aiming to become the husband of Zhang Chanhua, the most talented woman of mythical Turtle City. Upon seeing him, Shenlang felt a surge of rivalry. Looks like I've encountered a fellow professional. And now, your Orchid Mountain Viscount family has become the Emperor's lapdog, clearly targeting the mythical Turtle Count. Shenlang's dislike for Zhu Wenhua grew, so looking at Zhu Wenhua's book title, he couldn't hide his disdain. I don't know why, but just seeing this dumbass title makes me want to laugh. Zhu Wenhua, struggling to contain his anger, asked, who are you? Before Shenlang could speak, Jin Mutsong loudly declared their identities. Hearing these 2 names, Zhu Wenhua's expression changed. He had been worrying about how to curry favor with Miss Zhang Chanhua, and now an opportunity had seemingly presented itself. So, he didn't hesitate to mock Shenlang. So it's the 2 disgraces of their noble families. One born noble yet as stupid as a pig, forcing Miss Jean Mulan unable to marry out, only to settle for another vain and uneducated Shenlang as a last resort. Shenlang openly admitted, yes, I'm the uneducated pretty boy living off a woman. Then, Shenlang handed his book to the shopkeeper. Shopkeeper, take a look at what this pretty boy has written, and give me your opinion. The shopkeeper, smiling broadly, accepted it. He couldn't afford to offend the Count's mansion, intending to deal with it casually, not believing these 2 dandies could produce anything of value. But the more he read, the more astonished he became, almost unable to believe his eyes. The text's description, the profound analysis of human nature and societal norms, and the sophisticated use of words and references were something even renowned authors couldn't produce. However, the shopkeeper ended up rejecting it, solely because Shenlang had mocked Zhu Wenhua, the author of Mandarin Duck Dreams. In addition to mocking back, called Shenlang's book trash. Zhu Wenhua had pressured the shopkeeper, if you publish Shenlang's book, I will no longer publish with Jade-like Pavilion. Although the shopkeeper was was shocked by the masterpiece Shen Lang had written. The fanbase for Mandarin Duck Dreams was too vast, and offending Zhu Wenhua would result in too great a loss. Regretfully, he suggested Shen Lang look for other bookstores. This enraged Jin Muzong, but Shen Lang remained indifferent, having a complete plan on how to quickly popularize his boundless romantic affairs. His strategy was to rise to fame by stepping over the current celebrated talents, and more than that, Shen Lang aimed to ruin him. However, due to Zhu Wenhua's pressure, all bookstores in Orchid Mountain City refused Shen Lang. Yet Shen Lang was not worried and took Jin Muzong to a small bookstore. The bookstore's owner, Deng Xian, eagerly read the book upon learning Shen Lang wanted to publish, and his reaction was identical to others, shock followed by acclaim. The writing was too captivating, especially with the illustrations included. Jin Muzong asked Deng Xian, "Are you willing to publish our book?" Deng Xian readily agreed. Curious, Jin Muzong asked, "You think it's a masterpiece just by skimming a few sections?" Deng Xian confidently replied, "I've read countless books, but after reading certain sections of this one, it stirred great emotions within me. Naturally, it's a masterpiece. Aren't you afraid of being boycotted by Zhu Wenhua?" Should someone who sells Spring Palace albums be afraid of a boycott? At this, Jin Muzong exclaimed in surprise, "You sell Spring Palace albums?" Shen Lang explained, "Don't underestimate Deng Xian for selling Spring Palace albums. His distribution channels are even beyond those of big bookstores like Jade Like Pavilion. Moreover, his business is substantial, capable of distributing to about 20 cities across 4 or 5 counties." Deng Xian also assured them he could sell over 3,000 copies. Shen Lang was dissatisfied. "I only have one request, to launch it alongside the next volume of Mandarin Duck Dreams, and then crush it into dust." Deng Xian felt troubled. Due to Zhu Wenhua's fan effect, Mandarin Duck Dreams' first volume sold 4,600 copies, a real bestseller in Orchid Mountain City. And the Spring Palace albums I sell have maxed out at 2,700 copies. Plus, with your book's high quality, I'm not sure my customers will appreciate it. Shen Lang countered Deng Xian's question. "How many copies do you think the next volume of Mandarin Duck Dreams will sell?" 5,000, maybe even 6,000. Shen Lang scoffed. "Is that all? My goal is to break all records." Thus, the most critical promotion was taken on by Shen Lang himself, urging Deng Xian to print 3,000 copies vigorously. If it didn't sell 3,000 copies, he would pay out of his own pocket, but if sales exceeded 3,000, Deng Xian agreed to give Shen Lang a 20% profit share. Next, Shen Lang planned to add more chapters and illustrations to his book. The new character would be named Zhu Wenjian, whose background was not much different from Zhu Wenhua's, and Shen Lang's illustrations were exceptionally sensational, causing Jin Muzong to silently mourn Zhu Wenhua for a second. If this book became popular, then Zhu Wenhua's reputation would be utterly ruined. Shen Lang asked Deng Xian, "Is this okay? Won't it cause you any trouble?" Deng Xian indicated it was a piece of cake. Shen Lang nodded slightly in farewell, recognizing that Deng Xian must have a significant backing to disregard Zhu Wenhua. Later, Shen Lang returned home to prepare a massive poster for promotion. Wouldn't this shock the entire Orchid Mountain City? Jin Muzong accidentally stumbled in and saw it, instantly getting fired up. A few days later, Jin Muzong had visibly lost weight, while Shen Lang finally finished all the posters. The last poster left Jin Muzong completely deflated, as uncomfortable as if he had a mouthful of excrement. Annoyed, Shen Lang grabbed Jin Muzong's head. "Fatso, can't you talk properly?" At that moment, Jin Mulan walked in. "Husband, what are you and my brother doing?" But the next second, she caught sight of Shen Lang's poster, immediately darkening her expression. "So, husband likes these kinds of things." Shen Lang hurried to explain. While Shen Lang was diligently preparing the posters, Deng Xian utilized all resources and the latest tin printing method, finishing just before the launch. 15 days later, Shen Lang and Jin Muzong's boundless romantic affairs and Zhu Wenhua's next volume of Mandarin Duck Dreams were released on the same day. Almost all the young ladies in the city came out to queue at various bookstores to buy Mandarin Duck Dreams, lavishly praising Zhu Wenhua, which made him extremely proud. Seeing countless women going crazy for him thrilled him. While internally gloating, he disdainfully thought, "Do these commoners even deserve to think of me? They're just there to bolster my fame, mere backdrops to my brilliance. Only someone like Shang Chanhua, with both beauty and noble birth, is worthy of me." Just then, a girl shouted in surprise towards a distance. A bookstore displayed a huge, unprecedentedly colorful poster, visually explosive for this world's men. Even Zhu Wenhua was stunned, wondering since when did someone selling Spring Palace albums put on such a grand display. The bookstore clerk loudly promoted, "The true masterpiece written by nobility, boundless romantic affairs. Come take a look. No charge if you don't find it interesting." Scholars and merchants alike picked up the book to browse, not intending to buy it first. They soon found themselves purchasing copies. The enticing illustrations were unlike anything they had seen before, so Shen Lang's book completely sold out, eclipsing Zhu Wenhua's fame. That night, in a tavern, Deng Xian's excited voice could be heard because Shen Lang's book sold 3,000 copies in one day, a situation beyond his wildest dreams. He couldn't even estimate the final sales anymore. While Shen Lang's book was selling like hotcakes, an oblivious Zhu Wenhua was celebrating his own book's success. The next moment, he was dumbfounded upon learning from the Jade Like Pavilion shopkeeper that his Mandarin Duck Dreams sold only over 500 copies, while Shen Lang's boundless romantic affairs sold over 3,000. Unwilling to accept this, Zhu Wenhua demanded to see Shen Lang's book. The shopkeeper reminded him, "Read this book with an open mind." Zhu Wenhua didn't listen, still reading with a disdainful mindset, but as he went through the pages, his attitude no longer remained the same. After reading for 2 hours, Zhu Wenhua was completely captivated by Shen Lang's book. However, upon realizing this and facing others' gazes, Zhu Wenhua threw the book to the ground and cursed against his will. Trash. He would never admit that Shen Lang's writing was better than his. Yet, the illustrations in the book drew everyone's attention because the character drawn resembled him too closely. Zhu Wenhua's face changed completely. He hurriedly looked through the book's content and illustrations. "This is bad. This Zhu Wenshan character is clearly referencing me, and it even says I like men." This instantly enraged Zhu Wenhua, who tore Shen Lang's book into pieces. "Shen Lang wants to ruin me." Unwilling to accept this, Zhu Wenhua Manhwa immediately gathered his friends and acquaintances to seek justice from the city lord's mansion. The shopkeeper, realizing what was happening, understood they aimed to pressure the city lord into banning Shenlang's book. Meanwhile, inside the Orchid Mountain city lord's mansion, the city lord was reading Shenlang's book, continuously praising, "Such a good book." Glancing at Mandarin Duck Dreams beside him, "That's truly garbage." As he became more engrossed, a knocking sounded from outside. His subordinate rushed in to report that hundreds of scholars were besieging the city lord's mansion. The city lord frowned deeply. What officials fear most is mass incidents. Especially troublesome are scholars protesting. Hearing that Zhu Wenhua was leading the protest, the city lord darkly allowed him in. After greeting the city lord, Zhu Wenhua got straight to the point. "Please, lordly, ban this book. Arrest those who printed it, burn all copies, and seize the printing workshop. This book is vulgar and offensive, a disgrace to the teachings of the sages, poisoning the public mind, and corrupting social morals." The Orchid Mountain city lord was not swayed. "Oh, it seems to me just a regular storytelling book. Where does it deny the teachings of the sages? Why should it be banned?" Zhu Wenhua, grinding his teeth in anger, could only say, "Not only is the book vulgar and indecent, but it also alludes to me personally, completely tarnishing and trampling on my reputation. Does this not violate the law?" The city lord responded, "There are many with the same name. How could it possibly be referring to you? Scholars you, I advise you to be more open-minded and not to be jealous or resentful of others' talents, seeking to ban their work simply because it surpasses yours." Fuming, Zhu Wenhua stormed off. "If the city lord does not care, then I will seek justice on my own." Seeing his subordinate worried about Zhu Wenhua escalating the situation, the city lord said, "No need to worry. If Shenlang can produce such a divine work, let's see how he handles a bit of turbulence." Meanwhile, Zhu Wenhua spent 30 gold coins to gather 200 scholars to surround Deng Xian's bookstore. Claiming boundless romantic affairs poison readers' minds, they demanded Deng Xian hand over all copies for destruction in their presence. Deng Xian, despising their actions internally, said, "Shameless. At least a third of the 3,000 copies sold today were bought by scholars like you." But not wanting to offend the scholars, he could only claim, "The books have already been sold out." They didn't believe him. The lead henchman, Wang Shiming, called out, "Let's smash the bookstore and burn all copies of Shenlang's book." Deng Xian panicked. "Don't. You'll bring disaster upon yourselves." Zhu Wenhua, hiding among the crowd and hearing Deng Xian's words, scoffed, "This isn't mythical Turtle City. Shenlang's book must be burned today." They quickly found bundles of boundless romantic affairs wrapped in oil paper. After tearing the wrapping and confirming the contents, they moved bundles of books outside. Zhu Wenhua nodded in satisfaction, although he had to pay Wang Shiming 2 silver coins for every 100 books burned. The next moment, Wang Shiming threw a torch into the pile of books, igniting a fierce fire. Zhu Wenhua watched with immense satisfaction. "So what if Shenlang's book sold well? It's still reduced to ashes by me. With just a little trick, I, Zhu Wenhua, control the clouds and the rain." Deng Xian and a few helpers desperately tried to douse the flames. "You can't burn these," but they were kicked aside by Zhu Wenhua's lackeys. "Do you dare to stop us from burning poison? Do you want to be the sinners of Orchid Mountain City?" Deng Xian rushed forward again, shouting, "It's not poison. It's the new policy edict issued by the emperor. You call it poison and even burned it all. This is a crime of deceiving the emperor." At this revelation, everyone was stunned. Wang Shiming, sweating profusely, cursed Deng Xian. "Don't spout nonsense." When they didn't believe him, Deng Xian grabbed a book that was still readable, showing the cover with the new policy edict written on it. This completely broke Zhu Wenhua, and Wang Shiming sat on the ground in fright. Deng Xian cried out loudly, "Your Majesty, someone is deceiving you. Come quickly, someone is rebelling." A deathly silence filled the air, leaving the 100 or so scholars present utterly dumbfounded. Wang Shiming tried to struggle, since they had just confirmed the books were boundless romantic affairs, but Deng Xian showed that not a single one was boundless romantic affairs. All were the new policy edict. Shenlang, having arrived unnoticed, said from behind them, "Burning the emperor's the new policy edict. Is this harboring discontent and plotting rebellion?" Wang Shiming trembled, and Shenlang continued loudly, "Publicly opposing the emperor's new policies is a grave crime. You shall be stripped of all ranks and titles, receive 30 strokes of the cane, and be exiled to Southern Heaven Island." Upon hearing this, the many scholars causing trouble were nearly scared out of their wits. What they cared about most was their reputation and titles. Receiving 30 strokes of the cane was something their tender skins couldn't bear, and the thought of being exiled to Southern Heaven Island was even more terrifying. That desolate place, isolated from civilized society, was filled with miasma and wild beasts. Seeing them deflate, Shenlang smiled to himself. Some things are invisible until they're exposed by fire. This is a technique beyond your comprehension. Wang Shiming, furious and embarrassed, lashed out at Shenlang, but a stick hit his hand hard, eliciting a scream like that of a slaughtered pig. But it wasn't over yet. Shenlang stated, "Exile is the official punishment for you. I have other punishments personally. No one has ever crossed me and gotten away with it." Knowing he was outmatched, Zhu Wenhua attempted to leave, but Shenlang wouldn't let him go. To the scholars incited by Zhu Wenhua, he said, "Point out who urged you to oppose the new policies, and you may redeem yourselves." All eyes turned to Zhu Wenhua, leaving him nowhere to hide, fully aware Shenlang was out for his downfall. At that moment, the Lord of Orchid Mountain City arrived. What's causing this commotion? But in fact, he had arrived earlier and was internally astounded by Shenlang's maneuvering. Shenlang immediately pinned the blame for burning the new policy edict entirely on Zhu Wenhua. This caused Zhu Wenhua's face to darken with rage. "Shenlang, you're slandering me." Shenlang turned to question the scholars. "Tell us, was it Zhu Wenhua who summoned you here?" Upon hearing this, the scholars, recalling what Shenlang had previously stated, began to betray and accuse Zhu Wenhua en masse. Even Zhu Wenhua's lackeys claimed that he had been dissatisfied with the new policy edict, which is why he came to burn the books. As Zhu Wenhua furiously cursed his lackeys, Shenlang told the city lord, with both testimonial and physical evidence present, a verdict can be reached. The Orchid Mountain city lord was stunned. "I wanted to see what Shenlang was made of, sure, but I didn't expect him to be this formidable, cutting off a man's future with a single move." Feeling somewhat helpless, he first complimented Shenlang's writing, then asked if they could speak privately. Following Shenlang's Shenlang's agreement, he was invited to the city lord's residence. The city lord was straightforward. I know you want to drag the Zhou family down, but they were the first nobles to surrender their fiefs and military power, commended by the emperor as a model for nobility. If we make a fuss about Zhou Wenhua opposing the new policies, it's like slapping the emperor's face. So, it's impossible to truly punish him. For this reason, the Orchid Mountain city lord personally bowed in apology to Shenlang. Shenlang helped the city lord up. Of course, I understand. You just need to watch the show from the sidelines. Anyone who could become a city lord was intelligent. He blurted out, starting with a high asking price to settle for a lower payment. Shenlang displayed an impeccable, handsome smile, offering no response. Meanwhile, Zhou Wenhua had calmed down, regaining his arrogant demeanor, convinced he wouldn't bear any blame. Shenlang, observing Zhou Wenhua, felt no desire to respond, ordering a lounge chair to be brought out to wait for Zhou Wenhua's father. Zhou Wenhua scoffed in disdain. The thought of my father coming here is laughable. However, before he could finish, the announcement, Orchid Mountain Viscount has arrived, hit him like a slap. The Orchid Mountain Viscount didn't even glance at his son, but bowed to the city lord, then turned to Shenlang with a warm smile. Shenlang, my nephew, I was in such a rush at the time of your grand wedding, I couldn't attend. As neighbors for 100 years, that was truly rude of me. He gave Shenlang full respect, but Shenlang retorted, Orchid Mountain Viscount, I'm not familiar with you. Silence fell. Both father and son showed anger. Zhou Wenhua angrily shouted at Shenlang, do you know who you're speaking to? Ignoring Zhou Wenhua, Shenlang held up 2 fingers. I have 2 conditions. First, you must slap Zhou Wenhua hard enough to swell his face like a pig's. Second, all copies of Zhou Wenhua's Mandarin Duck Dreams will be burned by me. He likes burning books, right? Let him have a taste of his own medicine. Upon hearing this, Zhou Wenhua exploded in anger. Had his father not restrained him, he might have charged at Shenlang directly. The Orchid Mountain Viscount countered Shenlang. On what grounds? Shenlang chuckled. The Orchid Mountain Viscount has lost his fief and military power, so you must pursue a career in the bureaucracy. Both your sons need to hold office, relying on their reputations, and unfortunately, what I excel at is writing bestsellers. It would be a shame if I inadvertently included some stories about the Viscount's family. This was a clear threat, yet the Orchid Mountain Viscount seemed unconcerned. False accusations remain false. My son Zhou Wenhua's marriage alliance with the Zhangchong family does not care about reputation. Shenlang countered. Zhangchong may not care, but what about the general pacifying the West? His eldest son is aiming for a military career. What if in my next book, I write about both your families in a selection of tales? Public opinion is powerful, hard to counter. At this, the Orchid Mountain Viscount's complexion changed instantly, the mere thought making him tremble with anger. If it comes to it, I'll take the matter to the governor's office, even to the emperor himself. Zhou Wenhua did indeed burn the new policy edict. Though they may not punish you severely, a light reprimand is inevitable. It might even ruin the bureaucratic careers of your sons. After finishing, seeing no response from them, Shenlang prepared to leave. I'm off then. I'll go back to writing and drafting my complaint. Within 3 seconds, the Orchid Mountain Viscount called for Shenlang to wait. Seeing Shenlang turn around, the Viscount said, I agree. He then turned to his son and, raising his hand high, furiously slapped Zhou Wenhua across the face. The sounds of slaps echoed continuously, much to Shenlang's satisfaction, until Zhou Wenhua's face was swollen. The Orchid Mountain Viscount then asked Shenlang, Young Master Shen, are you satisfied now? Shenlang replied, there's still the second condition. Burn all copies of Mandarin Duck Dreams. Immediately, the Orchid Mountain Viscount ordered the collection of Mandarin Duck Dreams. Soon, all copies of Zhou Wenhua's Mandarin Duck Dreams were brought over, totaling over 6,000 printed copies, with 500 sold and the rest present. Shenlang, holding a torch, said to Zhou Wenhua, your marriage to Miss Zhang Chanhua is basically settled. You don't need these nonsensical writings anymore. You can burn them yourself, instructing Deng Xian to pour oil to intensify the flames. Deng Xian was thrilled. A large barrel of oil was poured over the 5,000 plus books, and with Shenlang lighting it, a huge fire blazed. The shopkeeper of Jade-like Pavilion watched, heartbroken, not to mention the loss. If only we had published Boundless Romantic Affairs. Think of the profit. Zhou Wenhua trembled, losing countless readers, his status as a youth leader in Orchid Mountain City, and his dignity. Everyone would remember him as the pitiful figure trampled by Shenlang. Shenlang then leisurely went home. After Shenlang effortlessly manipulated a Viscount, his actions were reflected in his book sales, boosted by the heat and controversy, selling even more explosively. This frenzy swept the surrounding areas and finally reached Shenlang's stronghold, mythical Turtle City. In just 2 hours, 3,000 copies were sold out. Meanwhile, at the Su family, Su Chanqian was preparing for her engagement ceremony, discussing how to help their future in-laws, the Zhangchong family, take down the mythical Turtle Count and Jin Hai Count. Securing these 2 counts' mansions would propel Zhangchong to soaring heights, potentially becoming the governor of Glamorous Province. With Yu Kingdom divided into 3 provinces and a special administrative region, Glamorous Province, though smaller, holds significant prestige, ranked just below a full province. The Su family would also benefit from this rise. As for Shenlang, what's he but a minor character? As the butler hurriedly entered, reporting the success of Shenlang's book sales to the Su family head, the Su family head dismissed it. What does it matter to us if his book sells well? The butler presented a copy of Boundless Romantic Affairs, saying, Master, Miss, you should see it for yourselves. Upon seeing the cover, the Su family head was momentarily stunned, admiring Shenlang's artistry, but as he delved into the content and saw the illustrations, recognition dawned on him. Curious, Su Chanqian approached and, upon seeing the indecent illustrations and character likenesses, tears sprang to her eyes. Recognizing the characters as herself, she felt a chill. Such a malicious Shenlang, to become recognized as a great beauty and talent. I've spent 8 years cultivating my image, spending countless sums. Shenlang wants to destroy it all. Just then, they heard a commotion outside. As Shenlang's book circulated, it became clear to the public that the character was Su Chanqian. After seeing her beautiful face, many men cheered. It's her. That face. Shimen Xianxian is Su Chanqian. Even clothed, I'd recognize her. The disrespectful looks and harsh words overwhelmed Su Chanqian, causing her to faint. Hearing the relentless crowd below. The distress worsened her condition, leading to her vomiting blood upon regaining consciousness. She picked up boundless romantic affairs to meticulously search for flaws to prove her innocence. But after reading, she felt powerless. The book's depiction of Viscount Zhu Wenhua, who always attended their literary meetings, was undeniable. The key issue wasn't Zhu Wenhua, it was that the book was written too well, destined to be a hit. Suddenly, the door burst open, and Zhang Ji rushed in, his face twisted in rage. Approaching Su Qianqian, he slapped her hard across the face, leaving her dazed. Zhang Ji yelled at her, "Why didn't you kill Shenlang when you had the chance?" Su Qianqian regained her composure, her demeanor becoming exceptionally calm and detached as she countered Zhang Ji. "When your fiancé is harmed, is all you can do to vent your anger on her, incapable of anything else?" Her words enraged Zhang Ji, his eyes turning bloodshot before he punched a hole in the wall next to him, regretting not having killed Shenlang when he had the chance. Su Qianqian gently patted Zhang Ji, signaling him to cool down and think of other solutions. Zhang Ji, no longer raging, left saying, "I will speak to my father." Meanwhile, at the prefect's mansion, Zhang Ji's father, Zhang Chong, was reading Shenlang's book. After finishing, he couldn't help but praise Shenlang's writing. Just as Zhang Ji was about to speak, Zhang Chong asked his son, "Do you want me to ban Shenlang's book? Haven't you heard that banned books only become more popular? To utterly destroy this book, Shenlang must die, and to achieve that, the mythical turtle count's mansion must be eradicated." Zhang Ji panicked. Should we just allow Shenlang to tarnish Su Qianqian's reputation? Or our Zhang family become a laughingstock? However, Zhang Chong was indifferent. "I am merely a tool in the emperor's hands. Reputation means nothing to me. Think bigger. Our only goal is to eradicate this century-old noble house." Zhang Ji, chastened, indicated he understood. Suddenly, Zhang Chong asked his son, "Did you hit Su Qianqian?" Startled, Zhang Ji hadn't expected his father to guess this. Facing the prospect of punishment, Zhang Chong simply instructed him to behave better and not to be looked down upon again. Leaving, Zhang Ji was acutely aware of his shortcomings. To see his father become the governor of Glamorous Province, they were short of 100,000 gold coins to silence their detractors. The alliance with the Su family was essential. Now, he had to put aside the matter with Shenlang and focus on eliminating the mythical Turtle Count's mansion. Meanwhile, in the mythical Turtle Count's mansion, Shenlang added 2 new names to his list of enemies on the wall, mockingly stating, "I've just dealt with Tianheng, and now there are 2 more enemies. When will this cycle of vengeance end?" Jean Mulan, with a charming smile, said, "My husband's enemies are my enemies." This deepened Shenlang's affection for Jean Mulan. However, tonight is Su Qianqian's engagement banquet. "I'm ready to stir things up. Whoever jumps out then will meet their end." The spirited Shenlang was then informed by Binger that the Count was looking for him. Shenlang hurriedly responded without missing a beat. Contrasting Shenlang's brimming confidence, Father Jean was filled with deep concern. At Su Qianqian's engagement banquet, there was someone Father Jean had not expected. The first was Tang Yun, the heir of the Jin High Count's mansion from the north. The second was Nan Gongping, the second young master of the neutral Jinbei Marquis. The third guest was an envoy from the Hidden Origin Society, whom the Count least wanted to see. The Hidden Origin Society is one of the Great Flame Dynasty's major banks, holding astronomical wealth, business across over a dozen countries. For centuries, the Hidden Origin Society has always been closely linked with the old nobility, but now they were also attending Zhang Ji's engagement ceremony, and most critically, the Hidden Origin Society was the Count's mansion's biggest creditor. Father Jean shared everything with Shenlang. Now they were surrounded on all sides, feeling as if the end was near. "Shenlang, don't go to Zhang Jin and Su Qianqian's engagement ceremony." Shenlang reassured Father Jean, "I've known for a while what Zhang Ji and the others are planning." Shenlang analyzed for his father-in-law. The Orchid Mountain Viscount has already surrendered to the new regime. Jin High Count's mansion is also joining hands with the new regime to finish us off. We could have relied on the Jinbei Marquis mansion, but under Zhang Chong's tactics, the stance of the Jinbei Marquis mansion began to lean towards the new regime. Thus, in the entire province of the Southern Journey, only our Count's mansion remains as the largest old nobility, isolated under the monarch's scrutiny. Father Jean stated, "We still have means to fight back." Shenlang disagreed. "Father-in-law, Zhang Chong's move is just a feint. What he wants is for us to invest our strategic resources into the Jinbei Marquis mansion, to exhaust all our efforts to sway the stance of the Jinbei Marquis mansion. So, the Jinbei Marquis mansion is already irrelevant. What the enemy wants us to do, we will not comply. And Zhang Chong's second step is to cut off our mansion's financial sources. After all, the mansion has accumulated a huge debt. Once we can't turn things around, the consequences are imaginable. The next step is the third, and also the final strike, which is to take over the Isle of Gold Mountain and completely eliminate our Count's mansion." Under the shocked gaze of Father Jean and another, Shenlang explained, "It won't be long before the monarch orders a permanent resolution of the Isle of Gold Mountain's ownership, and Zhang Chong has already been laying out plans on the Isle of Gold Mountain for years. We completely lose the Isle of Gold Mountain as if it was destined. When we are unable to repay the debt and lose the Isle of Gold Mountain, our creditor can claim the collateral due to our inability to repay the debt. It's also the main source of income for the mansion. With this operation, our mansion's financial resources will be completely cut off. Then we can only retreat, sell off land, and without an army, the Count's mansion will be like meat on the chopping board, at the mercy of others. So, the key to victory or defeat lies in the battle for the Isle of Gold Mountain. Lose and lose everything. Win and ascend to the peak." Father Jean was completely stunned after listening to Shenlang's analysis. All the fog seemed to be instantly cleared away. The old master was also in disbelief. With just this information to analyze the ultimate goal, there is such a smart person in this world. The old master asked Shenlang, "Is there a way to break the game? After all, the camp we are facing is truly terrifying." Shenlang held up 2 fingers, indicating, "I still have 2 points not yet broken through. Once broken through, we can win." Father Jean sighed. "Shenlang's talents should be used to assist the king. It's a waste for him to be in our family." Shenlang waved his hand, indicating it was fine. "Jean Mulan is my queen, both in and out of bed. She is." He quickly covered his mouth, realizing it was inappropriate to say such things in front of his father-in-law. Lang immediately changed the subject. Father-in-law, why did grandfather borrow such a large sum of money back then? Father Jean darkly responded, my father hired an army of 3,000 men. The entire fleet was annihilated. Lang was also shocked. Such an army, only small countries could afford. Is it really okay for you, account, to do this? But at this moment, Father Jean still didn't want Lang to attend Su Chanchan's wedding. If you go, you will definitely be surrounded. Lang asked, will they beat me? Father Jean shook his head slightly. No. Lang immediately showed a defiant face. Then I wish for more people to come, so I can slap their faces one by one. He also reminded his father-in-law, before long, people from the Hidden Origin Society will definitely come to visit. Whatever they say, just ignore it. Father Jean was somewhat incredulous. Do you really think you're a god, able to predict everything? But 2 hours later, people from the Hidden Origin Society really did come to visit. During the conversation, the Hidden Origin Society said they hadn't changed their stance and still supported the old nobility. After listening to Lang's advice, Father Jean let these words go in one ear and out the other. Soon, it was evening, and Su Chanchan's wedding was about to take place. The entrance to the engagement banquet was filled with guests. At that moment, all the guests were stunned, simply because Lang's appearance was so dashing. From the carriage drifted a pleasant voice. My lord, you've overshadowed the groom today. Lang immediately turned around, and a delicate hand was placed on his. Then a dainty foot stepped out, turning everyone's eyes into hearts. The one coming down from the carriage was Jean Mulan. Her slender legs, proud figure, and delicate face attracted everyone's attention. Jean Mulan, arm in arm with Lang, slowly walked into the banquet hall, facing the crowd's gaze. Lang sensed hostility among them. At that moment, a woman rushed over and stood in front of Lang with a bashful expression. She said, a few days ago, in Orchid Mountain City, you and I were passionately entwined, experiencing ecstasy together, something I'll never forget in my lifetime. Lang, you said I was much better in bed than your wife, calling her a dead fish who lies still, while only I could make you feel alive. Upon hearing this, Jean Mulan's beautiful eyes flashed with anger. She could tell at a glance that this person was spouting nonsense. Lang was not someone who would stoop so low. Then, the woman took out a longevity lock with the character Lang on it, loudly claiming, this is the love token Lang gave me. The crowd instantly buzzed with excitement, and Lang naturally recognized it was his longevity lock, which had been lost at the Su's place. Lang did not get angry, but called over his subordinate to whisper a few instructions. Facing the woman's increasingly outrageous words and the onlookers' eager gazes, Lang said, lady, how much do I owe you for that night? The woman stretched out 5 fingers, indicating she was owed 5 silver coins. Lang gave her 10 gold coins instead, which means it was enough for her to entertain 390 clients. The woman joyfully accepted the gold coins, not hearing what Lang said afterward. At that moment, the servant Lang had instructed returned with dozens of beggars. Lang said to the beggars, gentlemen, this woman is all yours now. Immediately, the eyes of the beggars turned red. The woman, terrified and wanting to flee, was stopped by the soldiers of the count's mansion. Lang told her, the payment has been made. In business, it's only fair to clear debts with goods. The woman, looking at the beggars, shivered all over. How can this be? How is this possible? She quickly cried out for help to the Su steward. Steward Su, save me. I slandered young Master Lang on your orders. Save me. Steward Su's face changed. Where did this despicable prostitute come from, spouting nonsense? As the dignified steward of the Su household, how could I possibly know someone of your sort? After saying this, Steward Su tried to leave. The woman, terrified, screamed out how Steward Su found her and arranged for her to slander Lang. Lang looked at the woman, indicating, so, I didn't sleep with you, right? The woman immediately nodded, indicating it was all Steward Su's doing. Steward Su panicked, angrily ordered the woman to be driven out, and then he tried to slip away, but Lang called him to stop. Steward Su sneered, you have no evidence it was me. As he turned to leave, still feeling smug, as the son-in-law of the count's mansion, what can you do? You just have to swallow the loss. However, Lang started to act, pretending to be scared and signaling to Jean Mulan, my lady, there are so many villains here. They want to harm me tonight. I'm so scared. Let's go home. But this made Zhang Ji anxious. If Lang left, how could he use his trump card against him and the count's mansion? So, he quickly stepped forward to stop them, smiling apologetically and asking, what's wrong? Aren't you attending the engagement ceremony anymore? Lang pointed at Steward Su, indicating, someone inside wants to harm me. So bad. With a slight smirk, he added, if you break Steward Su's legs, I won't leave. Zhang Ji, without hesitation, ordered his men to seize Steward Su. Even pleas from the Su family head were of no use. They were determined to break Steward Su's legs. However, Lang suddenly called out, wait a minute. Zhang Ji, puzzled, asked Lang, what's the matter? Lang snatched a wooden stick. I want to do it myself. Saying so, Lang raised the stick high and swung it down at Steward Su's legs with all his strength. Unexpectedly, both Steward Su and Lang screamed. The crowd was baffled. What on earth is Lang screaming for? Lang, grimacing, held his back, urging Jean Mulan to come and help him. It turned out Lang had exerted himself too much and strained his back. Hearing this on the ground, Steward Su had a slew of curses ready for Lang. Jean Mulan stepped forward to gently massage Lang's lower back, and soon, his back pain eased as Steward Su was dragged away. In the first round of Lang versus Zhang Ji and his party, Lang emerged as the complete victor with a knockout. Meanwhile, the engagement banquet continued. Su Chanchan and Zhang Ji were greeting distinguished guests at the entrance. Upon seeing Lang and Jean Mulan walk in, Su Chanchan and Jean Mulan started chatting. At this moment, there was no animosity on her face. However, she completely ignored Lang beside her. This displeased Lang, who asked Jean Mulan, my lady, did you bring money? Jean Mulan nodded, indicating she did bring some. Lang then took out a bag of gold coins and placed it in Su Chanchan's hand, expressing sincerely and tenderly, a man can owe any money, but never the overnight fee. This is for the 3 months you spent with me. A night of marriage owes 100 days of grace, so for 3 months as husband and wife, we must have been together 200 times. Lang kept talking non-stop, making Zhang Ji and Su Chanchan's faces grow darker and angrier. Finally, Su Chanshan forced herself to calm down, smiled, and invited Shenlang and his party inside, then went to greet other guests. However, in the seating arrangement, Jean Mulan and her party were ranked 9th, which was completely inconsistent with the status of the mythical Turtle Count's mansion. It was an open suppression of them. Shenlang felt he could no longer tolerate it, not wanting Jean Mulan to be humiliated. Just then, a shout rang out. The heir of Jean High Count's mansion has arrived. The envoy from the governor's office is here. The man in armor was the governor's office envoy Zhu Wubian, also the son of the general who pacifies the south. The handsome man in front of Su Chanshan was the heir of Jean High Count's mansion, Tang Yun, also a scholar in both civil and military studies. Upon seeing him, Shenlang immediately asked Jean Mulan, "My lady, who is more handsome, me or him?" Jean Mulan told Shenlang, "You are more handsome." Shenlang immediately beamed with happiness, confident in Jean Mulan's taste, Tang Yun's noble identity. 1/3 of those present came forward to pay their respects. Another 2/3 didn't approach, not because they didn't want to, but because they weren't qualified, like the lord of mythical Turtle City, Lu Wuyan. Then, a man dressed in green-edged black clothes came forward to greet him. He was also a significant figure, this year's second-ranked graduate and the newly appointed silver clothing inspector, who could inspect hundreds of officials, with power so great it was astonishing, and also the real top scholar of mythical Turtle City. Shenlang had grown up hearing his name. The last to make their entrance were the second young master of the Jinbei Marquis Mansion, Nandong Ping, and the representative of the Hidden Origin Society. Thus, all the forces had arrived, perhaps all targeting the mythical Turtle Count. As the guests took their seats, the engagement banquet officially began. Jean Mulan, lowering her voice, asked Shenlang, "Will there be a second wave of attacks against us?" Shenlang wrote a name on the table, urging Jean Mulan to come and look. On the table was written the name Wang Lian. Jean Mulan was somewhat shocked. The second person to attack us is cousin Wang Lian. Just as Jean Mulan finished speaking, a figure burst in. Jean Mulan opened her mouth in surprise. Shenlang had actually guessed right. Zhang Ji then stood up. "Wang Lian, brother, you're late. You'll have to drink 3 penalty cups later." Wang Lian, as if he heard nothing, rushed directly in front of Jean Mulan. With a voice full of obsession and fervor, he roared, "Jean Mulan, have you forgotten? Forgotten the mid-autumn night 2 years ago under the osmanthus tree, where we pledged ourselves to each other for life? Forgotten the promises made under the moon and flowers, to be husband and wife through all lifetimes? For you, I did not participate in the imperial examinations, giving up a great future. Why betray me to marry Shenlang, this worthless man?" These words stunned Jean Mulan, followed by a surge of raging anger. As Jean Mulan was about to stand up and retort, Shenlang stopped her. "My lady, I will prove your innocence within an hour, and then make Wang Lian wish he were dead." Wang Lian's words also stirred up much discussion among those present. Shenlang, however, took out pen and paper and began to write. Jean Mulan, curious, asked Shenlang, "Husband, why are you writing down their names?" Shenlang responded with a sinister tone, "To record the names of those who dare to tarnish your reputation, making them wish they were never born, to regret living in this world." As for Wang Lian, he was taken away by Zhang Ji. Zhang Ji cast a smug glance at Shenlang. "Shenlang, you may have no shame, but we've splashed the mud on your wife. What will you do about that?" Shenlang continued writing names, and when he got to Li Wenzheng, Jean Mulan turned her gaze to him. This person was the silver clothing inspector. She asked Shenlang, "Is the third wave of attack going to be carried out by this man?" Shenlang nodded slightly. "At that time, he will deliver the fatal blow to me." Jean Mulan became anxious upon hearing this, asking Shenlang, "Do you have a way to deal with this?" Shenlang asked Jean Mulan in return, "Do you remember the 3 visitors last month?" Upon hearing this, Jean Mulan recalled, "But weren't those 3 here to see doctor and for treatment?" Shenlang laughed slyly. "That's the crucial point." Jean Mulan trusted Shenlang completely. "If they dare to make a move, I'll kill them all." The banquet then began, with Zhang Ji delivering a speech of gratitude, followed by toasting. After a while, someone suddenly stood up and loudly asked, "Have you heard about a remarkable book published recently?" Shenlang perked up, listening as these scholars first brought up his book, then praised it lavishly. They mentioned a line from it, "Good is rewarded with good, and evil with evil. The net of heaven is vast, but lets nothing through," describing it as a classic. Then they revealed that Shenlang was the author. This immediately led to people praising Shenlang, who found their acting skills rather cringeworthy. However, at that moment, Wang Lian slammed his hand on the table. "You shameless thief, not only did you steal my woman, but you also stole my poetry." This was Zhang Ji's second attack on Shenlang that evening. The accusation shocked everyone present. Some didn't believe it, while others thought Shenlang was a disgrace to scholars. An elderly man stood up. He was Shenlang's childhood teacher, who couldn't believe Shenlang would plagiarize. He asked Wang Lian for evidence. Wang Lian rummaged through his sleeve. "Of course, I have evidence." He produced an exam paper from 8 years ago, which contained his poetry. Though the county examination was not of the highest level, it was still an official imperial examination. The paper was passed to Tang Yun, Li Wenzheng, and others for inspection. They found the verse attributed to Shenlang on the exam paper, and the handwriting couldn't be faked. It seemed to be a case of plagiarism, prompting them to denounce Shenlang as a disgrace to scholars. The elderly teacher still didn't believe it. "Shenlang and you, Wang Lian, have never had any interaction." Wang Lian explained, "Shenlang was injured before, and I taught him while he was reviewing his lessons. That's when he stole it." The elderly man became tremulously angry and accused Shenlang. "Outrageous. Is this true?" Shenlang ignored him completely. "The acting is still as terrible as ever. Let me see Wang Lian's exam paper." The city lord, Lu, immediately refused. "How can someone with no academic merit touch the imperial examination papers?" He gestured for Shenlang to stand there and look. Shenlang sneered, "Do you think I can't see it from that far?" Shenlang activated his perceptive vision and intelligent brain, verifying the exam paper was authentic, and every character on it was real. But without a doubt, Wang Lian had never written this poem. Shenlang quickly understood. Firstly, these 16 characters are very common. Wang Lian took these 16 characters he had written before, cut them out and arranged them into this poem, then found the most skilled calligrapher and framer to affix these characters onto this exam paper. The most impressive part is that only by doing so can it be filled with the marks of time. Wang Lian pointed at Shenlang, demanding, now with irrefutable evidence. What do you have to say? The elderly teacher also looked utterly disappointed, cursing Shenlang as a beast. Shenlang looked at them calmly. It's not easy, at such an old age, still coming out to frame and entrap. At this moment, a woman, not believing Shenlang would plagiarize, wanted Shenlang to produce superior poetry, to prove himself. The scholars present also echoed this sentiment. Li Wenjing then proposed, with so many scholars here, I'll set a topic. If your poem surpasses theirs, it can also prove you're not entirely a plagiarist. At this moment, Su Chanqian was inwardly very pleased. The stage is filled with Shenlang's enemies. Asking Shenlang to compose a poem is merely mocking the clown. No matter what he does, he's set to lose. Shenlang put down his teacup and with a disdainful smile, said, why should I compose a poem? What right do you have? What makes you think you can compare your poetic talent with mine? Instantly, the scholars became angry. You, Shenlang, without even a title to your name, dare to compare qualifications with us. Shenlang countered, among you, is there anyone who has attained the rank of imperial scholar? Not waiting for their response, he continued, even if someone here has succeeded, what of it? To become a city lord, to eventually reach the position of a prefect, would be your family's ancestral graves exploding with luck. Moreover, even if at the age of 50 or so, one of you becomes a county magistrate, what then? What luxury and honor would you enjoy? What level of life could you marry? What kind of mansion could you live in? How many servants would you have? Could any of you compare to me? I, Shenlang, live in an estate spanning 10,000 miles, with a mansion of 1,000 miles, surrounded by dozens of servants and maids, not to mention my current wealth. My wife is the daughter of a count, the #1 beauty in the entire New River County, with unparalleled physique and martial skills. The end point of your lifelong struggle is merely my starting point. What you dream of obtaining is but a trifle to me. What right do you have to compare with me? Those of you who came to this banquet came only to play the role of dogs. Yet, this evening's banquet is practically held in my honor. With these words, the scholars were moved to tears. Despite their immense anger, they couldn't refute Shenlang's facts. Can't argue with that. So jealous of him. Then Shenlang pointed at Su Chanqian, wanting me to compose a better poem to prove myself. Are you mocking me? The need to prove the silk before was because I was but a commoner, whom the Su family could crush at any moment, necessitating me to prove my innocence with all my might. And now, to write your damn poem. Wang Lian, unable to contain his anger at Shenlang's words, which should have been his triumph, was about to drink his wine when Jean Mulan, with a focused gaze and without making a sound, flit the pill into Wang Lian's wine cup, which he then drank down. This action was observed by Shenlang, who realized the pill Jean Mulan flicked was the hallucinogenic potion he had made earlier. The dose Jean Mulan used was enough to ensure a person couldn't lie, and with Wang Lian bolstering his courage with alcohol, the absorption of the potion was expedited by the large amount of alcohol. Thus, Shenlang did not retaliate against Wang Lian's insults, for in his eyes, Wang Lian was already a dead man. Dare to slander my wife. I will show Wang Lian what cruelty is. While Wang Lian was cursing Shenlang, feeling quite satisfied, the next moment, he felt his head becoming foggy, with his surroundings turning bizarre. Wang Lian entered a peculiar state, and Shenlang suddenly asked him, Wang Lian, you're slandering me, framing me, right? Wang Lian laughed loudly. Ah, yes, Shenlang, I'm framing you. Silence fell over the entire room, with everyone momentarily unable to react. Shenlang then asked Wang Lian again, did I plagiarize your poem? Wang Lian, smiling and waving his hand, said, no, I never wrote that poem. To tell you the truth, though the poem is short, just 16 characters, it's too brilliant, not something I could have written. Shenlang grinned. Wang Lian, who asked you to slander and frame me then? Wang Lian pointed towards the city lord, indicating it was his doing. Zhang Ji, sensing something was amiss, signaled his servants to take Wang Lian away. At this moment, Jean Mulan placed her sword on the table, stepped in front of Wang Lian, and with a cold look commanded, let Wang Lian continue speaking. Wang Lian, in his excitement, continued speaking, even revealing his affair with the city lord's concubine, and mocking the city lord's impotence. The city lord, trembling with rage, ordered the guards to remove Wang Lian. Several guards from the count's mansion stepped forward to stop them. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Shenlang then picked up the exam paper, asking Wang Lian, how did my poem end up on this exam paper? Wang Lian, overly proud, explained how he found his own handwriting, then pieced it together and sought a master framer, boasting to Shenlang, isn't it brilliant? Could you have ever imagined? I never thought it would be so convincingly real. Shenlang asked him, why would you do such a thing? Wang Lian, with eyes red with fury, confessed, Jean Mulan was supposed to be mine. Once I became the son-in-law of the count's mansion, all I needed to do was wait for the count to die. Sidelined Jean Mutsong, that fool, then the entire count's mansion would be mine. That's why I sought revenge. He even blurted out, Shenlang, Zhang Ji has prepared a fatal move against you. You're finished soon. Jean Mulan, after leaving Shenlang, you must marry me. Shenlang smiled slightly, suggesting, this is the truth revealed by alcohol, isn't it? Zhang Ji, naturally unable to let Wang Lian continue, said to Shenlang, who would have thought Wang Lian to be so utterly heartless, resorting to such extremes to get back at you? I will ensure justice for you, the city lord announced. We'll report this to the provincial education commissioner, strip Wang Lian of his titles, and fine him 20 pieces of silver to be paid to the victim. Shenlang. Zhang Ji asked Shenlang, are you satisfied with this punishment? Shenlang verbally expressed his satisfaction, watching as Wang Lian was taken away. Shenlang wasn't going to let him off so easily. He intended to make Wang Lian's death utterly humiliating. Thus, as Wang Lian was being taken down, he was kidnapped by several men in black. After effortlessly resolving the second wave of attacks against him, Shenlang offered, I can compose a poem. After all, I should give Inspector Li Wenjing some face, but the scholars present are not worthy to compete with me. The scholars were once again spitting blood at Shenlang's words. Ignoring them, Shenlang stood up and signaled to Su Chanqian, this poem is for you, and it will be created in 7 steps, titled Honey. No. As he began to stride forward, he recited with a resonant voice, sun and moon pass by, trickles of crimson flow, now shallow, now deep, once more it rises, once more it sinks, your face bears a half smile, your brows hint at tears, adore me tenderly, boundless romantic affairs. The poem left Su Chanqian almost exploding with rage, and Zhang Ji even crushed the cup up in his hand, his eyes bloodshot as he glared at Shenlang, wishing he could kill him on the spot. Seeing no reaction from them, Shenlang said, "Then, let's make it a song instead." He began to sing, "Chan Chan, you're my old love, like a rose, you're the woman, with your crimson lips, you eternally haunt my midnight dreams." The explicit lyrics enraged Su Chan Chan to the point of biting her lip until it bled. Shenlang, not one to avoid escalating the situation, commented, "Chan Chan, your upper lip is bleeding too. What's wrong? Didn't you like my singing? Should I switch to another song?" Seeing Zhang Ji approaching with murderous intent, Shenlang quickly retreated behind Jean Mulan and said to her, "Wife, it seems no one appreciates my lyrics. Let's go home." Jean Mulan nodded. "My lord, I really enjoy your singing. Sing for me at home." At this moment, Li Wenjing spoke up. "Shenlang, you cannot leave." Li Wenjing's intervention confirmed Shenlang's predictions. First, Li Wenjing mocked, "What's most ridiculous? A man facing death unaware, still hopping around like a buffoon." Then he shouted at Shenlang, "Shenlang, your act of treason has been discovered. Guards, see Shenlang, shackle him, and take him to the capital." Upon Li Wenjing's command, several soldiers rushed in, ready to apprehend Shenlang. Shenlang, far from panicking, smiled, sensing the climax was imminent. "This is the trap I've laid, now finally triggered. You, as an inspector, chose to be another's blade. Now, await your end." He challenged Li Wenjing. "When did I ever plot rebellion? Do not falsely accuse me without cause." Li Wenjing had someone bring ink and paper, and he began to write, specifically highlighting Shenlang's poem from Boundless Romantic Affairs. He circled a few characters which, at first glance, seemed innocuous, but when read in reverse, spelled heavenly punishment for noble Lord Jean. Everyone was shocked. A hidden message in the poem, truly a sign of rebellion. Li Wenjing continued to present evidence. The book Shenlang published in Orchid Mountain City used a specific shade of red, while those in Mythical Turtle City did not. It was intentional. The crowd erupted into discussion, practically sealing Shenlang's fate. It turned out noble Lord Jean was originally the crown prince of Southern Ouyang, now a sworn son and son-in-law of the current king of Yu Kingdom. 20 years ago, during a major battle against the Shamo tribes, the king of Southern Ouyang led his elite forces as the vanguard for Yu Kingdom's army, but tragically fell in battle. Grieved, the king of Yu adopted the 9-year-old noble Lord Jean as his sworn son. Noble Lord Jin's push for new policies in Yu Kingdom meant Shenlang's hidden poem was akin to courting death. Li Wenjing, pointing at Shenlang, accused furiously, utterly audacious, cursing noble Lord Jean to die. What vile intentions! Guards, see Shenlang immediately. As soldiers surrounded them, Jean Mulan drew her sword to protect Shenlang. Li Wenjing, with a smirk towards Jean Mulan, said, "Miss Jean, distancing yourself from Shenlang might already be too late, but it's better to show some stance than none at all, don't you think? Otherwise, you might implicate the Count's mansion." However, unknown to others, Li Wenjing himself couldn't resist Jean Mulan's allure. As a member of the royal family, he couldn't become a noble son-in-law, but if he couldn't have her, he wished no one else could either. Jean Mulan coolly responded, "My husband and I are united as one. There's no need for Lord Li to worry." Li Wenjing, enraged, ordered the immediate arrest of Shenlang. Jean Mulan, with a powerful slash, cut through the table in front of her, fiercely challenging, "Who dares to arrest him?" However, Shenlang suddenly asked, "Li Wenjing, are you and noble Lord Jean close?" Confused by Shenlang's question, Li Wenjing boasted anyway, "I've had several days of conversation with noble Lord Jean and gained his appreciation." Shenlang laughed, "Conversing intimately with noble Lord Jean for days. You truly are bold." Li Wenjing, not understanding, retorted, "What intimate conversation? What boldness? What are you implying about noble Lord Jean?" Shenlang didn't answer directly, but admitted the acrostic poem was intentional. Hearing this, Li Wenjing commanded the soldiers to seize Shenlang immediately, openly plotting rebellion. As the soldiers advanced toward Shenlang with swords drawn, Jean Mulan drew her sword, and all their weapons were knocked from their hands. Li Wenjing, furious, accused, "Jean Mulan, you are committing treason." Pulling out his inspector's token, he directed the city lord and General Zhang Ji to deploy troops to capture Shenlang. Zhang Ji and the city lord complied, and more soldiers flooded in, surrounding Shenlang and Jean Mulan. The city lord even handed his command token to Li Wenjing, who was inwardly thrilled, doubting Jean Mulan could defeat hundreds of men. Yet, Shenlang murmured an insult at Li Wenjing. "Li Wenjing, you really are a fool. Didn't you wonder why, with only days between the two editions of Boundless Romantic Affairs, I would bother to change the words? Because noble Lord Jean of Southern Ouyang is the one plotting rebellion." Shenlang's words, though spoken softly, struck like thunder, leaving everyone stunned. Li Wenjing, sweating coldly, urged Shenlang to stop joking. "Ha, have you lost your mind, Shenlang? Noble Lord Jean is not only the king's sworn son, but also Princess Ning Luo's husband. How could he possibly plot rebellion?" Shenlang calmly stated. He attempted to poison Princess Ning Luo, but failed, forcing him to rebel ahead of time. The hidden message in the poem was a trap I laid, which you, foolishly, fell for. Having had secret talks with noble Lord Jean for days, you must have been involved in his schemes, perhaps even a key planner. You've sealed your fate, fool. Li Wenjing, still disbelieving, accused Shenlang of lying. Even if there was a rebellion, why hasn't there been any news? Shenlang explained with a slight smile. The previous ruler of Southern Ouyang died in battle, partly because the Prince of Yu Kingdom stood by idly, while noble Lord Jean was outwardly favored by the ruler and even betrothed to Princess Ning Luo. It was merely to sideline him, to control Southern Ouyang. But noble Lord Jean is formidable, regaining most of his power through public and secret battles over just a few years. His final step to reclaim power was to eliminate the obstacle, Ning Luo. When asked how he knew, Shenlang revealed that among the visitors a month ago was Princess Ning Luo, seeking treatment from Dr. Nzaishur. When it couldn't cure her, Shenlang stepped in. However, lead poisoning, her ailment, couldn't be fully cured in that era, but could be mitigated with milk and some medications to flush it out. Upon her return, Shenlang immediately sent spies to monitor Southern Ouyang's every move, and with accurate information, he then revised the words to create the acrostic poem. Li Wenjing, faced with disbelief, stubbornly claimed Shenlang was spreading rumors. Shenlang, lounging back, told Li Wenjing not to rush. Noble Lord Jean rebelled 4 days ago. By tomorrow or the day after at the latest, news will reach Mythical Turtle Turtle City. No one made a move, quietly waiting for news to arrive, waiting from 8 in the evening until midnight. Bored to the extreme, Shenlang teased Li Wenjing again. Lord Li, you're such a scholar. How could you be so foolish? Zhang Chong hasn't made a move, yet here you are, acting naively. Your father must have gone through so much trouble to raise you. As Li Wenjing was about to explode in anger, the steward of the Count's mansion arrived with news. After a lengthy report, the words Noble Lord Jin's rebellion left Li Wenjing in shock. Despite his fear, he stubbornly said, Shenlang, stop putting on an act. However, as the trusted aides of both the city lord and prefect Zhang confirmed the rebellion of Noble Lord Jin, Li Wenjing was terrified and collapsed on the ground. His face was no longer pale, but had turned a ghastly shade of greenish-black. Li Wenjing, your earlier claim of conspiring with Noble Lord Jin, I've noted it all down. My father-in-law will report this, and you can await your fate. Li Wenjing, terrified, collapsed, foaming at the mouth. Shenlang, with a grand gesture, asked anyone else. Having triumphed over 3 plots against him, he stood unchallenged, rendering the room silent. To Shenlang, invincibility was lonely. Approaching Zhang Ji, he presented a colored, limited edition of Boundless Romantic Affairs as a congratulatory engagement gift, adding insultingly, don't look down on her for being secondhand. Despite her messy private life, she's a good girl. Cherish her. Su Chanqian burst into tears, glaring at Shenlang. Zhang Ji, however, calmed down. Thank you for the gift, Brother Shen. Apologies for the poor hospitality tonight. Shenlang inquired. Any more tricks? Anyone else want to harm me? I can wait. Enjoying the discomfort of those who disliked him yet could do nothing. The room remained silent. If no one's out to get me, then I'll be heading home, Shenlang stated, leading Jin Mulan out. Only after they left did everyone breathe a sigh of relief, but then Shenlang suddenly returned, asking, really? No one else wants to harm me? I'm really leaving now. Su Chanqian, frustrated, thought, this is too much. Will it ever end?